This young man is considered a pathetic F-rank awakener, and that's exactly why. The only job he's suited for is mining mana stones. Eugene, who lost his parents at a young age, worked his fingers to the bone to raise his younger brother, only to be cold-shouldered by that very same brother. After awakening, his brother left home. Ignoring all of Eugene's warnings that it was incredibly dangerous, Eugene was sent into the military during that time. His beloved younger brother, Han Yu-hyun, turned out to be an S-rank awakener. He gathered hunters, formed the Haeyeon Guild, and became an increasingly unreachable presence as it grew into the strongest guild in the country, while Eugene was left behind all alone. The young man just wallowed in his resentment, harboring a single wish that he too could awaken. Eugene even sought out a broker who claimed they could make him awaken after he quit his job, but in the end they just swindled him out of all his money. He had signed their contract without thinking it through, as they buttered him up, promising to protect him because he was the older brother of an S-rank hunter. Poor Eugene did everything he was told, no matter how humiliating, and finally he awakened. Afterward, he was trashed by the media and left buried in debt. Everyone blamed him, calling him useless, and even his younger brother turned his back on Eugene, saying things that couldn't be more heartless. Clearly, the title you earned after awakening is caregiver, right? Because you're the one who raised an S-rank hunter. But isn't that title embarrassing, a caregiver? What the hell is that? You're just in my way. Eugene's misery only compounded when both his legs were paralyzed after an injury in a dungeon. When his brother said, "You want support for treatment. Do you really think I'd provide that for you? This is actually for the best. Since you can't move, you won't be able to say you're going into any more dungeons. Please just live quietly and stop getting in my way." Eugene of the present realized that the reason a weak older brother like him, who lacked any real power, was still able to survive in those dark dungeons, and where people died every single day, was thanks to his skill of gathering benefits from others through his title caregiver. This was the ability Eugene received upon awakening. It was a skill that affected those around him, both family, like the younger brother he had raised with his own 2 hands, and total strangers, people he had befriended and opened up to. As long as he spoke his keyword to them, they would be affected, transferring a bit of their strength to help him grow. That was the basic skill of a caregiver. However, only Eugene knew that the caregiver also possessed another skill, one that could help him survive whenever he faced mortal danger. The real reason he had survived all those times his teammates died was that whenever Eugene hit a dead end, the caregiver title would trigger, and the skills and stats of the target user would be transferred to him with double the power. Thanks to that, he was able to receive the power of his boss. The hidden skill, Last Reward, allowed Eugene to use the abilities of the target user when they were affected, and he would receive double the power. For example, if the speed of the target user was 100, he could run at a speed of 200, and if they possessed immense strength, he could fight with twice that amount. However, this skill was deeply unsettling because the condition to activate it was that the target user had to die. Because of this, Eugene felt panicked. After all, what kind of danger could possibly exist in a D-rank dungeon that would cause his boss to die? In the blink of an eye, a massive, gigantic monster appeared, and shockingly, it was in a D-rank dungeon. Before they died, they were even screaming and blaming him, saying, "It's all because of that damn F-ranker. Because of him, we got dragged into this." That monster was the exclusive Dragon King Lauchatus, a dragon of the highest rank, said to be nearly impossible to exterminate. No one had ever been able to take it down until now, but the core question was, why would a monster like that appear in a D-rank dungeon? Eugene was more panicked than ever. He activated the skill Enhanced Legs. His boss's skill was D-rank Bone Strengthening, and thanks to that, Eugene doubled the effect. Instantly, the young man ran at incredible speed, heading toward a spot where it couldn't get in, intending to hide and find a way to escape. Because Eugene was severely injured, it seemed he wasn't fast enough, so he decided to reinforce his arm and block it. However, he was sent flying with one hit. Eugene wasn't meant for one-on-one combat with a 3-headed beast, even with double the original skill of his boss. The memories of his boss before dying were even flooding into Eugene's mind. He felt helpless as his crippled legs couldn't run, and the young man thought he would die right there. Just then, Han Yu-hyun appeared and told his older brother to hide behind a rock. Eugene was terrified. Even if his brother was an S-rank, fighting the 3-headed beast head-on wasn't a winnable fight. Yu-hyun ignored what his brother said and activated the Willow Leaf skill. Yu-hyun leaped with immense force, attacking it with terrifying speed, and then finished it off with a flying sword, too fast. So this was how an S-Rank fought. After being stabbed straight through, its body leaked a green fluid. The younger brother warned Eugene that it was deadly poison and that even Eva's dew couldn't cure it. Yu-hyun charged in, again activating his giant shield. After landing one final decisive strike, Yu-hyun's blade was rusted and stained with blood. Eugene was left in a daze. Did that happen because he was trying to protect me? Is that why he couldn't fight at his full potential? Eugene could only blame his brother, saying, "Why are you in a dungeon again? Is a broken leg not enough to wake you up? Don't you think about how weak and pathetic you are? Now look at how everything ended. How much longer do I have to follow behind you and clean up your messes? I've told you so many times already. Stop causing trouble and just live peacefully." For a fleeting moment, Eugene felt a pang of disappointment. He had been wondering for a long time when exactly things had gone so wrong between them. Eugene suddenly lost his composure. "You must be so tired of your brother not knowing his place and constantly causing trouble, right? Then why did you come here? There's a much simpler way." Eugene charged straight at the monster and plunged into it, letting the toxic venom leak out. He thought simply that if he died here, his younger brother wouldn't have to deal with tedious things like holding a funeral. Eugene figured that even in hell, the people there might feel a sense of relief when he arrived. However, seeing his brother in danger, Yu-hyun didn't think twice and rushed forward. As blood spilled down, Yu-hyun suffered grave injuries. Eugene was truly shaken. His heart ached as he briefly thought, "Since when did my brother and I end up acting like this? Since their parents passed away, no one could ever replace the bond they shared." The moment Eugene struggled to stand and choked out, "Brother, brother." Eugene was struck frozen. Yu-hyun urged him, "Eugene, listen to what I have to say. Rasta sleeps once a year. You just need to hide somewhere for a few more hours and it will fall into a slumber. Use that chance to escape." Eugene was deeply confused and wanted to ask his brother, "When I broke my leg, you didn't visit me in the hospital. You coldly pushed me away time and again, and even when I begged for your help, you ignored me. You told me not to be a burden, so why are you smiling at me like this now?" Yu-hyun didn't say anything more. He just handed his brother a magic stone and told Eugene to use it to escape. "You should be the one using it, not me. We need to do something about your wounds right now." Yet in that moment, he knew nothing could be done. Yu-hyun didn't think he could use it. The moment the system activated the title Caregiver, it was the moment Eugene realized his brother was gone. The bonus skill of the Caregiver title, Last Requital, was activated. The strength and skills of awakened Han Yu-hyun were transferred to your body doubled. Eugene could clearly feel the energy surging through his body and the suffering as well. Eugene rose up to make the monster taste every bit of agony in this world. He slashed repeatedly without mercy. Along with the power came Yu-hyun's memories flooding through his body, and everything Eugene had wondered about all this time was finally revealed. In his brother's eyes, Eugene was just an F-rank awakened, so they couldn't be associated with each other. Yu-hyun was forced to stay away from his brother even more so than before. Because if those evil people knew that his brother was his weakness, they would come and hurt Eugene. So Yu-hyun thought that even if he had to sever their brotherhood, he had to do everything in his power to protect him. Yu-hyun had been helpless so many times when he couldn't protect his brother, and it drove him into a rage. Every time his brother got hurt, those moments when he acted like he wanted to cut ties were the times Yu-hyun suffered the most. The only thing he wished for was for his brother to never enter a dungeon ever again. Now that Eugene knew the whole truth, he smiled foolishly like an idiot. "Why did you do all that? I didn't know anything, and I was only good at getting in your way." The system notified him that the duration of Last Requital had ended. Once the time ran out, Eugene would die from Rasta's toxic gas. At this point, he had no reason to keep living. The system announced this was a miracle. Eugene had single-handedly destroyed a dragon and achieved the legendary title Dragon Slayer, receiving 10 magic stones, 5 first-grade essences, and a great sword of the red dragon, along with a wishing stone that could grant any wish. The moment he realized this stone could grant any wish, Eugene immediately wished to bring his brother back. However, the system informed him the stone could not bring the dead back to life. If he could have any wish granted, it could make Eugene stronger. He could become the strongest hunter, a new hero, and reclaim the pride from the position that Eugene had been envious of for a long time. But all that glory wasn't what Eugene wanted. Right then, he decided to ask the stone to turn back time to the moment before. Eugene died. He decided to live a truly peaceful life without touching any damn dungeons. He wanted to go back to before he became an awakened. Eugene figured that even if he might regret his decision later, he still wanted to do it. Eugene was determined that he would not let this happen ever again. In a flash, he traveled back in time and was sitting on a sofa in Yu-hyun's guild room. He opened his phone and Eugene had confirmed this was exactly the day he went to the broker. He had come here with a large sum of money, never knowing he would be scammed and then dragged into all this. Eugene thought that he could never become someone like his brother. He quickly realized what this meant very soon. And right here, Yu-hyun would appear to stop him. And just as it had happened in the past, Yu-hyun kicked the door open and shouted, "Brother, how many times have I told you? I told you not to do anything that would bring you here." The moment Eugene saw his brother, tears streamed down his face because he really had come back. Seeing his brother suddenly hug him like that, Eugene was taken aback for a moment. He choked out an apology to his brother. "Yu-hyun, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I was immature. I'm sorry for everything that happened." Eugene. Seeing this, thought that Eugene had gotten into trouble again. Eugene still held his brother tightly, not letting go, and said he was just thinking about it on his way here. "I'm 25, no, I'm 20 years old, but I've had to go through so much on my own, struggling to manage the guild and those dungeons. As your older brother, I should have known what you were going through. I'm sorry. I won't bring any more trouble into your life. You won't have to worry about me anymore, okay?" Yu-hyun was completely stunned, as if his brother could read every secret anxiety he'd been harboring all this time. After opening up, Eugene felt a massive weight lifted off his shoulders. Even though it felt a bit awkward talking to his younger brother like that, Eugene was incredibly happy that he could still prevent such terrible things from happening. From now on, no one would be able to tear the two brothers apart. He decided to forget everything about being a hunter or an awakened and just live a quiet life of his own. However, the moment he finished that thought, the system sent him a notification. Han Eugene has been registered as an awakened. Class Legendary. Titles Dragon Slayer and Perfect Caregiver. Passive skill activated, My Little One is the best. Growth rate for Han Yu-hyun increased by 100%. Both brothers were in total shock. Still, even in his wildest dreams, Eugene couldn't have imagined this scenario. The two brothers getting along and sitting down to eat a meal together like this. Before he regressed in time, the two of them had argued and Eugene had left right after. But now it's great that they've made up. Eugene was still a bit curious about his status window. He never thought he'd awaken again, and this time it was completely different. Compared to last time when he received a new title, Eugene had assumed it would vanish because he had turned back time. If it was Rank L, that must mean the legendary level even higher than Rank S. After checking it, he froze for 5 seconds as he realized he'd gained 4 additional skills along with the title, Dragon Slayer. All attribute resistance skills were rated as Rank L. It meant Eugene could resist all skills below Rank L. This also meant that if he ever faced off against a dragon, this skill would help him deal double damage. Damage against dragons. By now, Eugene truly realized that he had become the strongest person after turning back time. However, he was still a bit curious. Is his level Rank S or Rank L? Eugene's current physical state was no different from his past self. So how on earth was he supposed to use those skills? Eugene sat down feeling helpless, just as he thought nothing had really changed. His agility and mental stats were both still Rank E. Eugene guessed that they were quite similar to his previous skills. However, the Perfect Caregiver title had been boosted to Rank L. This title also came with 4 skills. Final Gratitude skill, Rank L. He swore to himself he would never use this skill even if his life depended on it. The names of these moves are just ridiculous. The My Little One is the best skill also increased to Rank L. It boosts the growth rate of a target using relevant keywords with a 3-day duration. Just like the Perfect Caregiver title, if it boosts the growth rate by double, it means the speed at which Eugene becomes stronger will be twice as fast as other hunters. With the My Little One is the best skill at Rank SS, when Eugene praises the target with a relevant keyword in front of at least 5 people, that target's stats and skill effects will increase based on the percentage of the crowd present. In other words, if Eugene praises his younger brother in front of 50 people, he gets 1.5 times stronger, and if it's in front of 100 people, the efficiency is 100%, meaning he becomes twice as strong. Eugene thought that turning his brother into the strongest person was just a matter of time. And it wasn't just his brother. Every hunter in the guild would grow and become the strongest guild. If they succeeded, the person behind that success would be none other than Yu-jin. Just thinking about it, he was already grinning from ear to ear, dreaming of a future filled with power. Yu-hyun stood there confused, not understanding what was going on while his brother was rolling around, pounding the table and chairs. Yu-hyun had received a keyword, "I love you." He guessed that this keyword had changed the moment he awakened. If Yu-jin went around saying this to everyone, he'd definitely get arrested for harassment, let alone creating a buzz. He was speechless and felt completely hopeless. The nature of this skill is just too good for anyone to actually use. There was one last skill called Promising Sprout. Yu-jin could identify people with potential who would awaken soon, and those affected by the keyword would awaken with their maximum potential. He was still lost in thought when his younger brother had already finished cooking the meal. They were able to talk so comfortably with each other. Yu-hyun mentioned that the world now had items and potions that could detoxify, but before they didn't. It seemed like someone had been poisoning and cursing Yu-hyun's food ever since he was a playful little kid. No one paid any attention to Yu-hyun. Guilds were busy colluding with big corporations to expand their power, but Yu-hyun didn't join any of them, and told everyone he would start his own guild. His brother said that if he had joined a mid-sized guild, things definitely would have gone more smoothly. Seeing his brother say that, Yu-jin lunged over and squeezed his brother's cheeks, jumping up. "Try a little harder, you silly kid. Why didn't you tell me anything?" At this point, Yu-hyun's face turned much sadder. There were some things that had been weighing on the younger brother all this time, specifically the strained relationship between the two brothers. Yu-hyun had been monitoring and cutting off contact with his brother so that they couldn't find Yu-jin. He avoided his brother only to protect him, just to prevent them from finding Yu-jin. Seeing this, Yu-jin scolded his brother, saying, "You should have talked to me too." However, Yu-jin didn't want to hurt his brother, and he didn't think his older brother could easily understand his situation. Yu-jin felt so happy that he had turned back time. It was the wisest decision of his life up to this point. Before he'd even finished his meal, Yu-jin said he had to go, because there were some things that needed to be resolved. Before leaving, his brother didn't forget to remind him to delete the contact information for the broker, because even if Yu-jin called them, they definitely wouldn't pick up anymore. Yu-jin broke into a cold sweat, deleted the info, and just hoped his brother wouldn't be furious with him. Yu-jin said that from now on, "You won't be able to leave here anymore, and you'll be living here from now on." Yu-jin didn't seem too happy about that, since he was walking around just fine this morning, but now his younger brother has put him under house arrest. Yu-jin felt this situation was completely different from earlier today. "Since you're by my side again, you're no longer as safe as you were before. The only reason you've been safe all this time is because I completely cut off all contact with you. But now my enemies will start targeting you. Your life could be taken at any moment. How could I possibly feel at ease leaving you alone? Because of that, you can't go anywhere." Yu-jin couldn't believe his ears. He jumped up furious. Just then, a delivery person arrived and asked him to sign for a package. The young man was shocked again and immediately cursed his brother. "You crazy bastard! What the hell are you doing?" Seeing his brother lose his cool, Yu-hyun calmly explained that going back home would be pointless anyway. "This will be your new home. You said you didn't have a problem with that, right? You said you felt regretful and that you loved me very much. You also said you'd look back on everything I've done for you up until now, which is basically the same as letting me do whatever I want with you." Yu-jin couldn't argue with that, so he just stood there with a blank, miserable look on his face. He realized he hadn't seen this move coming. He accepted reality and threw himself onto the bed, feeling completely defeated. The guy figured this must be a side effect of traveling back in time. Still, just lying around like this didn't seem right, so Yu-jin decided to grab what he needed. He planned to sneak out before his brother returned, otherwise he might be stuck here forever. But things didn't go as planned. The moment he stepped out the door, a massive, muscular bodyguard was standing right there. "Hey, where do you think you're going?" Just saying hello to that guy made Yu-jin tremble, so what could he even do? It was an S-rank hunter from the Sesung Guild named Kim Sun-han. Sun-han was a confidant of Yu-jin's brother, someone possessing top-tier defensive skills. Yu-jin had actually assigned an S-rank bodyguard to keep his older brother from leaving. Right now it felt like his entire body was being crushed by an intense, overwhelming pressure. It was just coming from a high-level hunter, and the young man felt like a herbivore standing right in front of a predator. Just then, the system activated fear resistance, neutralizing the pressure. Yu-jin stopped shaking, and his eyes suddenly looked at the bodyguard as if he were just a harmless puppy. Yu-jin decided to stand up and confront the bodyguard Kim Sun-han. Do you even know what the law is? There's this thing called personal freedom, you know. So this act of imprisonment is actually a crime. The young man even threatened to call the police to arrest him if he didn't let him go. Seeing Eugene being so defiant, the guard just lifted him up and threw him back into the room. Feeling helpless and realizing his skills were almost useless, suddenly the caregiver skill activated. He felt like something might be useful if he triggered this. Seeing the awakened Kim Sunhan standing there, a bunch of his information popped up. Sunhan's awakening potential was S-Rank, which meant in the future he could become an S-Rank hunter. This also meant there would be 2 S-Ranks in the Sesung Guild. After checking him out, Eugene just felt really embarrassed. The system notified him target is not yet fully affected. After using the skill, My Kid is the best on the target, you can gain S-Rank skills. This also means Eugene can change that. It seemed the answer was influence. Sunhan would listen to everything he said once Eugene could influence him. If he could tap into an S-Rank hunter, he could win back his freedom. If Eugene wanted to do that, he had to say the keyword. Eugene stammered and awkwardly blurted out, "I love you." The bodyguard didn't change at all. Instead, he looked completely speechless. He just turned and walked away, ignoring Eugene. While the older brother was still rolling around, the younger brother returned. The younger brother asked if his brother had rested well. Meanwhile, Eugene looked utterly exhausted, like he was dying. Eugene's brother picked him up and said he hadn't even unpacked his things yet. "You really want to live here with me instead of your old place, don't you? I'll set aside a room just for you, so let's move in there." Eugene was now powerless, letting his brother do whatever he wanted. However, after his brother said, "Just hang in there, I'll let you out soon," Eugene seemed to snap back to reality. "Calm down and listen to me. Until now, there have been many enemies eyeing us, but once we get stronger, no one will dare to mess with us recklessly from that point on. You can go out. So let's just wait until the Sesung Guild becomes the strongest in the country, okay?" Eugene cried out loud because that would take many, many years. This also meant he wouldn't be able to go out for years to come. Seeing his older brother look so pitiful, Yoo-hyun said he would make an exception and take his brother out a few times. But honestly, isn't that just like taking a dog for a walk? Yoo-hyun said they couldn't take him out often because clearing dungeons takes days, and he couldn't leave him alone with hunters below B rank. Eugene suddenly thought of something. He had been searching for information on hunters every day and knew exactly which hunters would become high-ranking. Eugene reasoned that he just needed to find them sooner and awaken them himself. After nurturing them carefully and making them sign a contract to be his bodyguards in exchange for his help, he could create an army of his own. Eugene confidently said, "If I can find myself an S-rank guardian, then let me walk around freely, okay?" But the problem was his brother wondered how Eugene would even find someone like that. The young man answered vaguely that he had his own methods. His younger brother felt something was off and had to ask, "Eugene, did you awaken already? Is that a skill that helps you find top-tier talent, or is it just their own natural ability? When did you awaken without me knowing? It wasn't when you met those brokers this morning, was it? So it happened after you met me? What kind of skill is that? What am I supposed to do now?" If even more people start following him, Eugene doesn't know what to say, just crying inwardly because in the end, it was all exposed. Still, even if he died, he wouldn't want to tell his brother the truth and risk a disaster. If he told him that he had obtained an F-rank no, an L-rank skill, he would be locked up for life. Eugene decided to tell his brother that he had received an F-rank skill, a mediocre F-rank, and its only function was to distinguish between the weak and the strong. Besides that, he could only awaken one person per month. His brother, seeing this, figured that if that was all it was, Eugene wouldn't be targeted. Very soon, there would be something to replace that skill. An awakening center would be established, and the awakening equipment there would be able to display stats. It's a high probability that once the center finishes construction, everyone will be awakened safely. Therefore, there will be fewer unauthorized awakenings, and the number of people eyeing that skill of Eugene's will also decrease. Eugene leaned into this to pull a fast one. He kept insisting to his younger brother that his skill was just a useless ability, so there was nothing worth worrying about. That was exactly why he wanted to find an A-ranker, so he asked Eugene for a chance. Eugene finally agreed, but it wouldn't be a cakewalk. Before that, Eugene still had to pack his bags and move into his brother's place. In reality, Eugene had a different scheme. "You think I'll just let you lock me up as you please? Just wait and see. I'll bring back every hunter from A-rank to S-rank just to shock you. I'll hire them and do whatever I want with my own decisions. What if after all this I end up joining a guild even bigger and more powerful than the Haeyeon Guild, hehehehe. The very next day at the resident registration office of the Korea Hunter Association, Yujin arrived with Kim Sunghan. Everyone was in awe at the sight of the Haeyeon Guild's shield, and obviously they were curious about the person walking next to him. Everyone looked at Eugene with a gaze of admiration, because if he was being escorted by an A-rank hunter like that, he must surely be someone formidable. As of today, Eugene was officially registered under the title of an S-rank awakener. At this point, it was so embarrassing he didn't know where to hide his face. People started whispering, "He's not an S-rank, so why is he acting like he's an S-rank? He's got nothing worth noting." What a letdown. Eugene brushed the gossip aside. Since the registration procedure was complete, he was going to go get some gear. Eugene had given Yoo-hyun money to go shopping. As soon as he opened the envelope, Eugene saw 1,000,000 won, which made his eyes pop out, and he thought, "My younger brother is truly insane." In the past, he was just a manual laborer working to put his brother through school. The young man had never seen such a large amount of money in his life. With money in hand, feeling truly confident, Eugene brazenly walked into the shopping district to buy the most high-end gear. However, he only wanted to find something simple. When they brought out a pair of dark earrings with plus 29 magic power, Eugene felt a bit satisfied. Then there was a pair of gloves that gave plus 61 stamina, and plus 21 strength and a belt that increased dexterity by 16. After purchasing the necessary gear, the young man thought his status stats would land at C rank. And sure enough, that was exactly what happened. The power of money is definitely different. With the remaining money, he decided to buy a few more contracts and a few potions. Just as he stepped outside, he saw the bodyguard looming there asking, "Where did you go?" Eugene showed a bit of annoyance. "I went shopping inside the building. At the very least, you have to let me do a few things right." In truth, there was one more place Eugene wanted to go. The Ice Witch Park. Yerim must be living somewhere nearby. If he remembered correctly, she lived with a relative who ran a barbecue restaurant in Jeju-do. Even when placed among a group of A-rank hunters, she was still way too talented. If it was her, Yoo-hyun probably wouldn't complain. Yerim awakened her powers 3 years earlier at only 18 years old, so if you calculate it, she was still in high school right now. Eugene needed to quickly find Yerim and reclaim his freedom. The moment he went to the restaurant and asked for her identity, it seemed like not a single employee knew. There were more barbecue restaurants than he thought, and if he had to track her down, he'd probably have to check every single one there. While he was wandering around looking, he suddenly encountered Yerim arguing with a boss, and after that, she ran so fast that it was impossible to catch up, even though he wasn't an awakener yet with this B-rank belt. Eugene was completely confident he could keep up. He ran as fast as the wind, and no one could see his movements. Finally, he managed to catch up to Yerim. Eugene suggested that he wanted to talk to her for a moment. Yerim thought that the strict uncle had sent him, so she absolutely didn't want to go back until she was almost hit by a car, and Eugene managed to dive in and save her, and only then did Yerim decide to talk to him. Eugene generously invited her out for some barbecue. She ate like she had been starving for a long time, and ate so much that Eugene even groaned. Luckily, he had brought the company card, so his worries were reduced by a few notches. Yerim, while stuffing her mouth with food, answered Eugene's question. "Why is it that your uncle owns a barbecue place but you don't eat there?" Yerim replied, "That place tastes awful. Old man, don't go there. It's just a waste of money." He didn't know how old he was to be constantly called an old man. Yerim was now calm enough to ask Eugene about the things she was curious about. "Tell me, let's hear it. I heard you're the older brother of the Haeyeon Guild leader, so what reason does someone like you have to come looking for me?" The young man flashed a friendly smile and replied, "Maybe it's because I can sense your good energy." She thought he was just spouting nonsense. With a look of annoyance and zero interest in making conversation, she started to walk away before she'd even finished her last bite, dismissing the whole thing as superstitious nonsense. Eugene had to wing it quickly, making up a story. "Actually, I knew your parents. They helped me out a ton back when I lost mine. It's a bit late, I know, but I've always wanted to pay them back." Yerim let out a weary, helpless sigh. "Fine, whatever. I've had plenty of people fake interest just to stab me in the back, so this is nothing." Eugene continued spinning his story, adding that when he arrived, he'd recognized her innate potential. Yerim just stared blankly, trying to process what Eugene was talking about. What he was referring to was her ability to awaken. He introduced himself as someone who could help others awaken, insisting that Yerim wasn't just some nobody she could awaken at least as a B-ranker, especially since he had the Leon Guild backing him. He could help her become a proper hunter. Eugene immediately offered to form a contract with Aram, and at that, the girl suddenly froze. Seeing her reaction, Eugene was pretty sure he had her hooked. To seal the deal and look credible, he pulled out an exclusive single-use contract scroll forged from dungeon materials. Aram was visibly stunned and impressed. All she had to do was sign it. The terms clearly stated an agreement with the Leon Guild to keep Eugene's skills a secret and take responsibility for protecting Han Eugene for 1 year. After reading it, Aram just asked, "Aren't you embarrassed?" To be protected by a high school kid like me? Eugene was speechless. If she awakened, she'd be way stronger than him anyway. The only thing the girl cared about was whether awakening would finally let her stand on her own 2 feet. That was a given for Awakener's age didn't matter. Without a second thought, Eugene decided to sign the contract right then and there. Even though he'd succeeded, Eugene still wanted her to read the clauses, carefully warning her, "You have to check and make sure the terms are fair. You're not used to this stuff, so you still need a guardian." Aram suddenly looked irritated. "A guardian? What's the point of having one if they just exploit me? What kind of fair contract is that? Everyone just uses me anyway." Suddenly, her nasty uncle showed up shouting and throwing slurs like crazy girl or slut at his own niece. Eugene immediately noticed Aram's ragged clothes and finally understood what she meant. It would be better to have no guardian at all than someone like him. Aram screamed in frustration. "He's a monster! He took all my parents' inheritance and didn't even give me a single cent. Even during a storm, he only gave me cheap umbrellas. And when they broke, he wouldn't buy me another one. I had to walk around with a plastic bag over my head." Everyone at the diner heard her and felt sickened by such cruelty. It was nothing short of child abuse. The uncle, feeling humiliated, flew into a rage and tried to lunge at Aram. Suddenly, Eugene collapsed, rolling on the ground and putting on a pathetic act. The guy hadn't even touched him yet, but Eugene was crying his eyes out like a seasoned actor in a drama. Playing the victim, he shouted, "A gentleman uses his words, not his fists. Why are you hitting people? I was just trying to protect this girl." "So you hit a weak high school girl, and now you're hitting me too, right?" Accused of a crime he didn't commit, the man went ballistic and grabbed Eugene by the collar. The guy tripped him, sending the uncle face first into the floor, and then had the audacity to fake concern. "Oh my God, sir, you have to be careful. The soda spilled everywhere. The floor is super slippery." Eugene pretended to slip, shoving the uncle's face straight into a plate of sauce. Only then did he warn him, "You should be ashamed for taking advantage of a little girl like her. You deserve to be torn apart. If you ever lay a finger on her again, don't blame me." Aram had never seen anything like this before, and she was absolutely thrilled. They heard a loud crash against a table like something heavy had been smashed. However, the sound came from outside, not from Eugene. A monster had crawled out of a dungeon break. Kim Sunghan, holding a sausage, was stunned, shouting Eugene's name to make sure he was safe. Everyone was running for their lives. A dungeon break had happened nearby. Sunghan told everyone to pull back. He would handle it. Sunghan activated his A-rank skill, Earthbound. Eugene had absolutely no memory of this happening. Why did a monster suddenly appear? He started to wonder if a dungeon break actually happened here at this time. Sunghan lunged at it to fight. However, he realized the monster had no physical core and was casually passing through walls. What the hell was going on? Aram's shoelaces accidentally tied together, making her trip. Her uncle just abandoned her, but right then Eugene stepped in, used a shield to block the attack, and grabbed Aram's hand. He led Aram to the evacuation shelter. For the first time, Aram felt someone truly caring for her, and she was deeply moved. The shelter was an underground shopping mall. Eugene told Aram to get down there quickly. As for him, he was staying behind. He'd seen this in his memories once before. Even if it wasn't strong on its own, it would be a huge headache if it couldn't be taken out in one hit. Kim Sunghan was a defense-specialized hunter, so he didn't have any wide-area attack skills. In fact, the current situation confirmed that he wasn't suited to fight that monster. Eugene decided to find a way to solve it. Aram grabbed Eugene's hand, begging to go with him. "Please, just let me awaken. Just let me join the fight." Eugene decided to find a way to fix this, but Aram grabbed his hand and insisted on coming along. "Please wake up. Just let me join the fight. That's all I ask." Eugene hasn't even signed that contract yet, which is exactly why Eugene can't let her do this. It's not as simple as Eugene thinks. Awakening doesn't mean you can fight proficiently. Eugene wanted her to awaken in a safe environment, and he never intended for her to be on the front lines like this. There isn't much time left, so he just reiterated, "I won't let a kid like you fight alone. We adults will do what needs to be done. Just evacuate to somewhere safe, got it, Eugene? Before stepping into this life-or-death moment, he reflected that he had been a hunter for over 5 years. He should have been able to find a way out even in this situation. The moment he saw him running over Hunter Kim Sung-han was even more bewildered. Sung-han, please use your skill. The guy thought it was useless, claiming that even if he tried to put up a defensive barrier, it wouldn't be enough to cover the whole town. Eugene insisted that the skill was good enough and that he had an idea. Eugene and Sung-han stood on the wall observing the situation. After Sung-han used his seismic skill, Eugene started moving, leaping with long, powerful strides. Currently, the shield acts like a solid wall, so if they could use it to surround the monster, it would become a giant cage. Among the items Eugene had purchased from the Hunter Association earlier, there was an A-rank poisonous item for emergencies. If Eugene detonates this inside the barrier and seals the area, he could wipe them all out in one go. For a split second, he was careless and didn't notice the rock hollow was empty. The monster had hidden somewhere. From the sewer, it slithered out a chain, wrapped it tightly around Eugene's leg, and lifted him up, spinning him around. Eugene hadn't expected this because, after all, in a dungeon, there shouldn't be any sewers. Eugene came running from somewhere, umbrella in hand, and struck the monster hard, startling it into dropping him. He scolded Eugene, saying he was just a regular civilian. So what the heck was he doing risking his life? However, the young man forgot that he was just a low-level trash-tier F-rank himself. The two of them ran for their lives, bickering back and forth. In reality, Aram had a reason for acting that way. When Eugene saved her, she felt relieved knowing someone genuinely wanted to protect her. But it also made her furious because she had to rely on others, just because she lacked the strength to protect herself. That's why Eugene wanted to become stronger. In moments like these, because she was just a child, there was nothing she could do but pray. Vow that someone would protect her. The strength to protect oneself and make one's own decisions, that's what Eugene had told her, something she could never forget. He had told her that Aram had the power to do greater things than anyone else, and she could become strong at a critical moment like this. Aram was truly curious about her own worth. Just how strong could she actually be? A massive noise like an explosion rang out. Sung-han was in a complete panic, having no idea what the heck just happened. The system notified that the Frost Breath skill had been activated. Registration for the Awakening Realm complete. Park Yeri Aram, just like that. Aram had even awakened as an S-rank. She was so amazed by her own incredible abilities that she started bragging, catching Sung-han off guard to the point his jaw hit the floor. Behind her stood a monster. Aram accidentally tested her power and immediately stopped the monster in its tracks. Was this truly the power of an S-rank? Aram, filled with confidence, said she would handle this from now on and asked Sung-han to lend her his weapon. She took it and swung it a few times, attacking toward the monster. The Hermes Boots skill activated. Being too enthusiastic, Aram accidentally buried Eugene as well. The girl finally calmed down. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm still a bit clumsy when it comes to controlling my power. In reality, only Eugene knew that even though she was a hunter, known as the Frost Witch, she was actually just a girl with such a radiant smile. He hadn't expected her to awaken like that. If Aram had an area of effect skill, that would be great. Yoo-hyun suddenly appeared and said, "Let me handle this." In one strike, Yoo-hyun was able to incinerate all the monster ruins. Even though he had done something wrong when he met his brother Eugene again, he acted like nothing happened, and excitedly greeted him. Eugene's face darkened and he shook his head. Eugene, what else are you going to say? Do you have any idea how worried I was on the way here? This is why I always tell you to stay home. You know what? I really should lock you up, maybe even forever. To calm his brother down, Eugene introduced the product he found today, a newly awakened S-rank Park Yeri. Aram shyly greeted him. It's a pleasure to meet you. Standing before Yoo-hyun, Aram could hardly believe her eyes. Was she really standing in front of the guild leader of the ABC Guild? Eugene boasted that she had said she would sign a contract with him. So what did he think? No need to worry anymore because he already had an S-rank bodyguard, right? What Yoo-hyun was concerned about now was that she was underage and there was the issue of a legal guardian. Seeing this, Eugene quickly replied that he would become Aram's sponsor because her uncle was incredibly cruel. Yoo-hyun couldn't believe his ears and had to ask one more time. What are you talking about? Not just supporting her, but acting as a legal guardian, too. Aram had originally thought support and sponsorship were the same. However, a supporter simply couldn't intervene in certain matters, so even if Aram signed a contract, they couldn't protect her. Conversely, a sponsor is the legal guardian of an underage hunter, basically taking the role of a mother or father. Aram heard this and understood the problem, so she hurriedly stopped him. Eugene, Mom and Dad, are you and me like that? You don't have to go that far. Honestly, who would actually want to babysit someone else? But Eugene couldn't just stand by and watch that scumbag of an uncle looking after his own niece. Yeah, right. The decision was entirely up to Yaram, but Yu-hyun wasn't having it. I don't agree with this. For your own safety. I've seen way too many cases where high-level awakeners bully the low-level people they're supposed to protect. An S-rank can't just follow an F-rank around like you, bro. What if this kid beats you up? Yaram was just a well-behaved middle schooler, so saying that was a bit unfair. Eugene figured that he should be the one to become her guardian. Eugene would be a better fit, but Yu-hyun didn't seem happy and insisted that Eugene become his guardian. They started arguing back and forth. One side kept claiming that this middle school girl would bully his brother, while the other argued that she wouldn't because the contract clearly stated she had to protect Eugene. Eugene stood on the sidelines, his head throbbing as they even started fighting over him. The two S-rank hunters were pulling him around so hard that Eugene felt his bones might just pop out. At this point, he really had to use his status as the older brother. Yu-hyun looked frustrated and scolded him. Yu-hyun, is that how I taught you? Yaram's guardianship is her own choice. Why are you sticking your nose in, and besides, you're a guild leader. You should be glad I brought you an S-rank. Hearing that, Yu-hyun seemed to find it reasonable. Seeing his younger brother cooling off, Eugene seized the chance to add, why are we even heading home in this state? Aren't you going to deal with things? Sung-han is waiting there for you. Go do your job, guild leader. Yu-hyun had to leave and put everything else aside. Eugene breathed a sigh of relief, finally escaping a catastrophe. Yaram was still fired up since the Abyss Guild leader was nothing like his public image. Eugene, being strict to the end, turned to discipline her too. Eugene scared the poor girl half to death, and she apologized immediately. Please forgive me, I'm having trouble controlling my powers. Is your shoulder okay? Eugene reluctantly replied, okay, hell no, it nearly popped out. He didn't forget to look after her, though, picking up the shoe she'd accidentally dropped and handing it to her. He wanted to support her while she couldn't control her powers yet, looking at her shoe, which was already worn out. And even the wrong size, Eugene couldn't help but feel heartbroken. He couldn't believe that scumbag uncle had sent his own niece out in such a trashed pair of shoes. Eugene wanted to buy Yaram a new pair. His kindness hadn't even spread yet before a fly landed on Eugene's head. Yaram noticed and quickly slapped the hell out of that fly, nearly taking Eugene out along with it. He really wanted to be someone who could be a reliable anchor. Before that, Yaram had asked him why he went so far for her. It was because he could understand what she'd been through. Yaram also had a rough time. After her parents passed away, she had wished for a reliable pillar to support the two of them. At that moment, Eugene confided that while he might not look all that reliable, he was ready to do his best. Yaram had a completely different view. To her, Eugene was incredibly trustworthy, even though he was an adult relying on a middle schooler. To protect him, she just hoped Eugene would take good care of her, since he was the only guardian she had left in the world. A shock occurred after. Eugene, on a roll, expressed, it might not be as much as your parents, but Yaram, I love you. It was originally just a trash keyword, but after the girl heard it, she interpreted it in a completely different way. And just like that, the system notified them that the S-rank Awakener Park Yaram had been affected by the keyword. Suddenly, that scumbag uncle came running up, acting worried, and said, where have you been? I was so worried. Is it true you awakened? I heard awakeners can make a ton of money. He kept asking over and over if she'd really awakened. After Yaram introduced the fact that not only did she awaken, but she was S-rank, he got incredibly excited, dreaming of a future where he'd be rich. When Yaram announced that she was moving out, and had signed a contract with Eugene, he went absolutely ballistic. He claimed that because she was only 15, she didn't have the right to move out on her own. Seeing that, Eugene had to step in, saying, according to the special hunter law, you can live independently from the age of 14. You should have tried using words to solve your problems, uncle. Why are you hitting people? I bet you used to lay hands on the middle schooler like this all the time, right? He also mentioned that he would gather evidence at the restaurant to use for a lawsuit against him. He warned the man that if he ever approached Yaram again, he'd expose everything. The old man lost his cool and grabbed Eugene by the collar. Seeing her uncle like that, Yaram couldn't just stand by. She activated her power blinded by rage because fake awakeners wouldn't be able to harm a civilian, but Yaram was a completely different person now. She wore a savage smile, approached him, and said, "I don't know what you're talking about, Uncle. You pushed this man and fell on your own right." The old geezer was terrified, feeling as if he were standing before a predator, not the timid niece from before. Even Eugene, standing before that aura, had to activate his fear resistance. Yaram continued to explode, pouring out all her long-held resentment. "You know it, don't you? You don't have the right to deserve my gratitude. What kind of guardian are you? You couldn't even buy me a decent umbrella, let alone anything else. I don't want anything other than to make you end up like this, to pay for everything you've done," the girl said, crumpling the fabric. As miserable as it was, she ultimately decided to let it slide because at this moment she considered everything else just a petty matter. With a flick of her hand, Aram warned that scumbag uncle, "Don't you dare think you're worth my time. Keep being the insignificant nobody you are and get lost." And she added with a rebellious glare, "If you don't stay in your lane and keep trying to get in my way or cause trouble for my dear Uncle Eugene, I won't let it slide." Aram ran over, showing off like she'd just pulled off a miracle. "How was that, Uncle? I followed your example. Did I do a good job?" Eugene realized then that he really needed to set a better example for the kids to follow instead of acting like this. When they got home, Yu-hyun demanded his brother hand over what he bought yesterday. Eugene panicked. "Huh? What are you talking about, the stuff from the Hunter Mall? You spent way too much, didn't you? You thought you could just blow all that money." In reality, what Yu-hyun was talking about was the black poison bone. Eugene was startled, wondering how his brother found out he bought that thing. Eugene stared at the black bone for a long moment before his brother lunged and hugged him tight. It turned out the kid thought he bought it to take his own life. "If your enemies start targeting you, you'll become my weakness. If you're ever taken hostage, you'd use this so you wouldn't be used against me." Eugene hadn't even thought of things like that. On the other hand, Eugene still expressed his affection enthusiastically. "You worry way too much about me, but don't use things like this ever again, okay? No matter what happens, I'll come to save you." Eugene couldn't even explain himself. The guy had originally bought it to secretly raid dungeons alone, but he couldn't let Yu-hyun know he possessed rank L poison resistance. It seemed the misunderstandings were just piling up. Eugene curiously asked if Aram's situation had been resolved. The day before, team leader Seo had stopped by their house. That scumbag uncle had tried everything to hold on to her, but it seemed he had already taken millions of won from Aram's inheritance to cover his own failing business. He signed a contract promising never to approach or contact Aram ever again, and in exchange, Yu-hyun wouldn't sue him. He even had to pay the guy a little bit extra, so he definitely wouldn't be bothering her again. Eugene felt Aram's inheritance was a huge sum, but she didn't want to be involved with them anymore, so she accepted it. Yu-hyun said that perhaps she was used to her stats by now. Aram had even spent the whole night in the training room. This room was designed to withstand S-rank power, so Aram could use it without any worries. Or so he said. But as soon as he went to admire the room, he saw it was completely trashed. You really couldn't predict anything in this world. It was supposedly designed for S-rank power, and yet it ended up like this. Just as he walked in, he saw Aram training intensely. She stomped her foot hard, activating a skill that shook the earth and left Eugene so affected he couldn't even move. The poor guy turned pale and passed out cold. When he finally woke up and looked at the girl in front of him, he couldn't even recognize Aram. She had cut her hair and changed to a completely new look. Apparently, Abyss changed her style because she'd be heading to the Hunter Association later. With that vibe, she looked just like a model in an energy drink commercial. Aram had filled out the application to become a hunter, and had just tested her skills to understand them more deeply. Eugene was curious about the skills she'd just used. The first was an ice-type skill called Frost Breath. Eugene had seen that one before. She could also fly and teleport short distances with her boots, and Shadowless Sun was a buff skill with a wide area of effect and a special bonus. It helped increase certain stats and significantly boosted elemental skill effects whenever Aram used it. Moreover, it could absorb enemy shadows and force them to slow down while granting her a buff proportional to how much she absorbed. It seemed she'd gotten stronger from absorbing the surrounding power, which was why the training room was blown to bits. However, there was still one ultimate move, White Corpse, a skill that could extract information from dead bodies. Still, that was a bit unlucky. Aram also found it strange because she should have had an attack skill or something similar. Yujin told her to hide White Corpse for now. There was no need to reveal all her skills before registering. Might as well hide a few other tricks, too. We'll just list the buff effect for Shadowless Sun and the flight effect for the boots. We'll set their levels around this much. Ever since when Aram had been looking at Yujin with such affectionate eyes, to her, Yujin was like an expert. Seeing this little kid getting all excited about his brother, Yujin, the older brother figure, was a bit jealous and acted annoyed. He's this good because he's been taking care of me. Please keep your distance. And just like that, they started bickering back and forth, forcing Yujin to step in and break it up. Everywhere Abyss went, she was welcomed like a superstar. Reporters swarmed to film as the new S-Rank Hunter Park Aram appeared. According to media reports, she was the 8th S-Rank combat hunter in the country. She was introduced with 3 starting skills. Yujin stood in the back watching, feeling incredibly proud that Aram was doing so well. Seeing the guy sneaking around like that, he helplessly sighed. If you were going to do this, why didn't you just come with me? She was sad he didn't come along. Regardless, Yujin only explained that he had some unpleasant memories of crowds, but knowing her personality, she wouldn't be sad for long. Yujin even felt that after she became famous and started living a luxurious life, she wouldn't even spare him a glance. I think she'll do just fine on her own. However, so many things had changed compared to his previous life. The cold, arrogant Park Aram he knew in the future was gone. In her place was a high school. Was Hunter, who was always confident and smiling. The explosion that happened a few days ago hadn't even occurred in the past. Yujin wondered if the future he knew was changing this much, and if that was even okay. After worrying for a long while, Yujin shook his head to clear his thoughts, thinking that whatever happens, it'll turn out for the best. Now that he's part of the guild, he's decided to scout for some talent, even F ranks and E ranks, because he knows how hard it is to come across an S-class hunter by pure chance. It's just not the kind of thing you stumble upon by luck. There's no way a high-rank hunter would be hanging around a place like this. Suddenly, Yujin takes off running, having spotted something. Originally, his time travel was meant to save his younger brother. If he could help Aram and his brother do better, and on top of that, if a hidden gem appeared right before his eyes, then his skills might have been granted to help that gem shine. The young man sprints over and grabs the hand of a stranger. It's the awakened Myungwoo, current rank F. Even if you awaken, you're still just an F rank. The optimal starter skill you can awaken is S-class. Yujin uses his act like an old friend tactic to strike up a conversation. He acts like he's known Myungwoo for ages, greeting him naturally. It's been way too long. Don't you recognize me? It's me, Eugene. Myungwoo looks blank, but Eugene stays friendly. No worries, it has been a long time. I get it. In reality, Eugene doesn't know Myungwoo at all. Using his divine eyes to scan Myungwoo's stats, he discovers an S-class skill, Master of the Golden Forge. Just by the name, it sounds like a skill specialized for crafting gear, and it's S-class. An S-class blacksmith could forge equipment, and that you couldn't buy even for $1 billion. A hunter with that skill might not even appear in another 5 years. To Eugene, finding Myungwoo today is like hitting the jackpot. People all over the world would pay Myungwoo a fortune if they knew he had a skill like that. Seeing the guy seems to be struggling, Eugene has already figured out exactly how to recruit him. He asks, "How have you been lately? Did you awaken too?" Myungwoo doesn't hesitate. "I did, but I'm only an F rank. They said if I register as a hunter, I'll get 1,000,000 won." Eugene seizes the opening to show some enthusiasm. "Wow, what a coincidence, me too. I'm an F rank too. Do you want to go through the basic training with me?" However, Myungwoo doesn't seem very interested. It looks like he just came for the subsidy. His problem is that you have to pay for the basic hunter training. So even if he took the classes, it's useless for an F rank. He's truly strapped for cash, and Eugene uses this to lure Myungwoo to the guild. He even enthusiastically pitches it, "I guarantee it's free." Before he can finish, Sung-hyun grabs him by the collar and sets the record straight. Eugene-only guild members are allowed to receive the new hunter orientation. As soon as Myungwoo sees Sung-hyun, his limbs start shaking. Even while being dragged away, Eugene keeps up the act, noticing Myungwoo looking at Sung-hyun with such admiration. "The guildmaster of the Haeyeon Guild, actually that's my younger brother." Myungwoo is suddenly so dazzled by Eugene that his eyes hurt. Eugene says confidently, "That's the effect of having some real power. I'll put in a good word for you with the guild, so let's just go together. Come on, I'll even let you borrow my gear." Seeing Myungwoo still hesitant, Eugene grabs his hand warmly. "Don't overthink it, don't hesitate. Just take it. You're a good person and I just want to help you out. Is that all right? You deserve to be treated well. Hearing this, Myung-woo is so touched that he bursts into tears. By the way, Eugene wants to bridge the gap, so he buys him a coffee at an expensive shop to help him calm down. Myung-woo is still choked up, sniffing. I'm sorry for acting like this. It's been so long since someone stood by me and said things like that to me. Since he was little, Myung-woo was very handy and won many awards, but when he grew up, his parents told him those things were useless. Everyone kept telling Myung-woo to stop playing around and just study. From that point on, everything went downhill. Myung-woo had no talent for academics. His college grades were terrible. He couldn't get a job, and his family eventually abandoned him. By the time he woke up to reality, he was drowning in debt. Myung-woo became a loser with nowhere to go. Hearing this, Eugene sympathizes deeply because he knows exactly how that feels. Even after the world changed, it wasn't any different for Eugene. People were divided by rank, and only those with combat or healing skills were welcomed. They said if you had neither, you were just an F rank in this society. Eugene wondered if those things had happened to Myung-woo. He would never have had the chance to use his talent and would have lived like that forever. But it's okay now. At least Eugene realized it in time and is ready to heal those wounds. He regains his energy and declares, "Stop looking down on yourself, Myung-woo. So what if nobody else sees your true value, no matter how confident you are? This world is a tough place to live in already. Be confident and love yourself because, Myung-woo, I really love you, my friend." At that moment, the system notifies that the awakened Myung-woo has been affected by the keywords. Eugene thought everything was going smoothly, but suddenly the HR manager of the Haeyeon Guild blocks him. He doesn't want to let a total stranger take the guild's new hunter orientation. Even as Eugene pleads, it's no use. The orientation is a reference material that they cannot just hand over to some trash that you scrape together from who knows where. Hearing that, Eugene flies into a rage, feeling incredibly frustrated. You've crossed the line. How could you call him trash? Eugene was still passionately pleading, insisting that Myung-woo had great potential, even though the personnel captain acknowledged that Eugene had a great eye for talent and that discovering him was quite an achievement. However, he also mentioned it might just be a coincidence, adding, "Honestly, I don't even know what you're trying to do anymore. A few days ago you were scammed by a con artist, and now you're trying to suck up to the guild leader for personal gain. Do you really expect your credibility to just skyrocket like that?" Seeing Eugene suffering such humiliation on his behalf, Myung-woo couldn't hold back and ran off sobbing uncontrollably. Eugene wasn't willing to let it go and wanted to ask his younger brother directly. Seeing that Myung-woo just gave a faint smile and said he was fine. Just having someone tell him that he had worth was more than enough. Thanks to Eugene, Myung-woo had found the will to live again. Myung-woo said he wouldn't shrink away anymore. He would do everything he could. There was a place that said they would provide jobs for F ranks. Just as Myung-woo said that a car full of gangsters pulled up and threatened him. "Hey, you've become a hunter now, right? Time to pay up." Myung-woo just smiled and got into the car, promising to contact Eugene if he made some money. Eugene sensed that something felt wrong, so he quickly opened the door before those gangsters could start acting up. "Myung-woo, are these guys loan sharks? Where are you taking him?" They glared and warned Eugene. "What's it to you?" The young man quickly replied, "I want to go with him." And that settled it. Sitting there surrounded by a bunch of thugs, Eugene couldn't help but mutter, "You actually borrowed money from these terrifying people." It turned out the bank refused to lend Myung-woo any money. As soon as he said that, Myung-woo wondered why. Eugene came along when he didn't owe anyone a dime. The guy sitting next to him glared and asked, "So you know Myung-woo? Are you an awakened too?" Eugene nervously replied that he was an F rank. The young man introduced himself as Myung-woo's childhood friend. The two had met at the Hunter Association, and Myung-woo had told him about the job for F ranks, and he was curious, so he came along. Sensing they had caught another easy target, they grinned gleefully. They made an offer. "Hey, buddy, why don't you come with us to the dungeon to mine mana stones? You know that guilds usually don't accept F ranks, right? But we'd be more than happy to have you join." Eugene acted excited and surprised. They took the opening and continued, "Since you're a friend of Myung-woo, we'll let you tag along. Do you want to come?" Eugene didn't hesitate at all and agreed. While he was at it, since he was already playing the fool, he added a few gentle compliments that made them shiver with delight. "I thought you guys were It's scary, but it turns out you're not only handsome, but you're also good people. Eugene correctly identified this as a forced labor mining contract. Eugene had once been a victim of this very contract. They pressure F-ranks with no equipment or experience into mining while the real guild members go hunting. This is an exploitative contract. They take 70 to 80% as a protection fee. Even so, injuries or death from monster attacks are common. It seems that according to future events, Mai Ung-u died while being exploited in a place like this, never able to show off his true talent. On the way there, they kept sharing the work, saying Eugene only needed to pick up the valuable-looking things. And they even added that while doing so, Eugene would make a fortune. Since he was already acting, he went all the way with an innocent, naive face. Eugene acted incredibly excited about this light-work, high-pay job. On the outside, that was his demeanor, but on the inside, he was furious and cursing them silently. They were a bunch of scumbag scammers. Finally, they arrived at a building called the Errand Service, hoping to play along. Eugene kept praising the slightly dilapidated building. I feel like there's hope here. The office on the second floor must get a lot of sunlight. Before he could even finish, Eugene was kicked hard in the back by someone standing behind him, making him choke on his own spit. They didn't just kick him, they started beating Mayungu too. Once there, these thugs started showing their true colors. I'm sorry to see you got dragged into this, even though you don't owe any money. But blame yourself for walking into the trap voluntarily. You had a choice when you arrived, but there's no leaving now. Mayungu was crying miserably, constantly apologizing to Eugene. They started forcing Eugene to write and sign a contract. They suggested that after deducting various fees, they would leave him 20% of what he earned. This was a contract specifically for Awakened. They warned that if Eugene broke it, the consequence would be a D-rank curse. Eugene shyly said he wanted to ask one thing. I want to compare my contract with Mayungu's. If our terms are identical, that wouldn't be very good, would it? I don't owe anyone like he does. At this, they laughed manically. You're pretty smart, aren't you? Before deciding anything, we should check things carefully. Here's the contract. Take a look. Holding the contract, Eugene was shocked. While Mayungu was being exploited so badly, he only received 10%. This was essentially a slave contract. Eugene calmly tore the paper in half. How dare they exploit and target Mayungu like that? The gangsters were already panicking when the system notification announced that a D-rank curse had been triggered by the breach of contract. The D-rank curse was nullified thanks to the curse resistance skill. Eugene didn't hold back and stomped right on the leader's face. That's when they realized Eugene probably wasn't just F-rank. The rest of them summoned their courage and charged, but Eugene immediately called Sung Han. The call had been going on for 25 minutes, and at the moment the signal was given, Sung Han appeared. The moment Sung Han arrived, it was as if everything was blown away. In an instant, he sent them flying everywhere. As it turns out, just after getting in the car, Eugene had immediately made the call. Sung Han is an incredibly sharp guy. He understood the situation as soon as he heard it. Plus, Eugene had described the exact location where he was headed, so finding them was a piece of cake for Sung Han. Any punk who got in his way was basically a dead man, seeing how strong Sung Han was. They grabbed a sharp knife planning to stab him from behind. However, those little brats were no match at all. The blade only managed to rip Sung Han's shirt. Without saying a word, Sung Han just gave a light flick. They should have used a weapon capable of handling an A-ranker, honestly. Only then did they realize Sung Han was from the Abyss Guild. When Sung Han ordered them to kneel, they obeyed instantly. After confirming that both Mai Ung-u and Eugene were unharmed, Sung Han asked how to deal with these gangsters next. Eugene was still hesitant because there is a saying that a debt of blood must be paid with blood. Eugene handed them an S-rank contract and forced them to sign it. Upon seeing the terms, the leader was stunned. We have to hand over 90% of our profits for 55 years. Are you even human? Eugene kicked him square in the face as a retort for all the innocent people they'd hurt. He was so angry he called them scum, partly because they thought, if someone is F-rank, it doesn't matter if they die. They used these poor people like cheap commodities because if they promised to lead them to a dungeon, plenty of F-ranks would come looking. Eugene's rage flared up once again. I understand that rank is the most important thing, but they are still human beings. You damn murderers. It's time for you to taste the same struggle they went through. That might help you realize the crimes you've committed, but I don't want to do anything other than throw you into a high-rank dungeon. Hearing this, the leader started begging for mercy. Eugene played hard to get. They thought the 55-year contract was a bit too much and hoped he would show some mercy. Eugene flashed a bright smile. Great, glad you know you're wrong. So you'll happily accept your punishment, right? Eugene finally handed them over to the Hunter Association and left with Mai Yu Sung. Han immediately contacted Eugene about how to handle the gangsters' total assets. Their revenue would be used to compensate the victims. I will file a report regarding this case for the future. Mai Yu was still overwhelmed by how well Eugene had treated him, so he lost his composure and burst into tears after returning. Eugene sought out Suk Simeon right away. After some back and forth, he secured the dormitory room by using his position as the guardian of Eugene. This room was. Eugene specifically reserved a slot for Mai Yu. It was meant to be a dorm room, but it was sparkling like a luxury apartment, even having 4 rooms. However, outsiders are not allowed in this dorm, but domestic helpers are an exception. So Eugene came up with a way after the training Mai Yu would stay by pretending to be his helper. To avoid any misunderstandings, Eugene emphasized once again that it was just a title, and Mai Yu wouldn't have to do any actual work as he might need quite a bit of time to recover. The kid really is a crybaby. After Eugene said that, he burst into tears again and lunged at Eugene. Mai Yu was so exhausted that as soon as he laid his back on the bed, he could fall asleep until morning. He mumbled in his sleep, "Just leave all the housework to me. Do you want to shower first, or eat dinner first, or should I?" Clearly, Eugene's enthusiasm had truly won Mai Yu over. After witnessing this scene, Eugene could finally rest easy and go get his things. He guessed that once his younger brother found out he moved out, another war would break out. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Sung Han standing tall outside. However, he came for a different reason today, not to supervise Eugene. Sung Han reminded Eugene that he didn't need to do anything extra and just had to follow him. Sung Han took Eugene's to a bar. As soon as he saw the staff, Sung Han glared and asked if he knew Kim Minui. The staff member broke out in a cold sweat. He whispered that he would lead the two to a quiet place. The customers there all looked at them with suspicious eyes, certain they were there for money. Finally, they stopped in front of a lavish table. Eugene wondered why the staff brought him to a place only teenagers frequented. In reality, this is where hunters. This is. Kim Minui of the Abyss Guild had suggested it. She was around Eugene's age and said it was a popular spot for hanging out with friends. Sung Han, with a face as tense as if he were about to kill someone, said, "Don't feel pressured, just relax." Eugene wondered why Sung Han had brought him here. Sung Han finally got to the point, opening up. "I want to apologize as soon as possible. Truthfully, I haven't been reliable for a long time. I was always just a pebble in the guild leader's way. But it seems I misjudged you. You're a good person, Eugene." Hearing this, Eugene felt extremely confused. Sung Han was deeply grateful for how Eugene tried his best to come back and help. When the dungeon incident happened, he even gained Aram's trust, signed a contract, and solved the childcare issue that could have become a problem in the future. Even risking his own safety to save Mai Yu Sung Han now feels that Eugene is truly someone he can trust. Eugene realizes he can't miss this opportunity. If he takes this chance to tighten the bond between them and then uses the keyword, it would be a perfect plan. He immediately pulls himself together. Wiping the confusion from his face and acting as friendly as possible, he decides tonight is the time to influence Sung Han. Sung Han continues to heap on the praise, saying he's also impressed by how you handled the situation today. Did you plan for those brokers to awaken days ago? Eugene looks dangerous. Of course, I had a few things I wanted to investigate. The problem is doing something like that as an F-class is extremely dangerous, but Eugene thinks his brother wouldn't just stand by. However, they were captured faster than expected. Eugene had been worrying about him too much. Sung Han confides that he has no parents and was raised by his grandfather. After growing up, he always visits his grandpa during every break. Sung Han awakened while protecting his grandfather from a shock in a dungeon. President Eugene helped Sung Han a lot until his grandfather passed away. Fearing a misunderstanding, Sung Han emphasizes that the president really understands the importance of family. Please don't think poorly of him, even if he worries a bit too much sometimes. Afterward, they drank heavily. Eugene tries to seize this opportunity to ask about Sung Han's keyword while pretending to be drunk. Regardless, Eugene has truly drunk a lot. The moment has come he has to act well, pretending to foam at the mouth. Deep down, he thinks, why aren't I drunk yet? Perhaps it's because of his poison resistance skill. Eugene wants to turn off the poison resistance because he doesn't want to reveal that shameful fact while sober. The system notifies him that the poison resistance is off. Eugene's face changes 180 degrees, turning beet red. The intoxication hits him all at once and he collapses completely. When he wakes up, he finds himself lying peacefully in bed with Sunghan looking at him intensely. He reminds Eugene that basic training starts today, so he needs to prepare. Eugene is curious why Sunghan is here so early. This act seems to have worked. But why are they together this morning? Sunghan continues with a dangerous question. Do you remember what happened last night? I want to see how much you remember. 1,000 thoughts run through Eugene's head. Under the hesitation, Sunghan hands him some arrowroot juice for his hangover. He's so attentive that he even rubs Eugene's feet, and he enthusiastically brings a bedpan for Eugene to use. The night before, while drunk, Eugene had confessed his love to Sunghan 30 times. Sunghan wasn't annoyed at all. He actually loved it. It reminded him of the time his grandfather would do the same when drunk, always telling him how much he loved him. Upon waking, Sunghan was influenced by the keyword, which is why he changed so much. Eugene makes him feel like he's with his grandfather, so he tries to take care of Eugene devotedly. He even promises not to say weird things in front of others, and is always ready to care for Eugene when needed. Eugene suddenly realizes this is the effect of the comprehensive care skill. Words of love make them subconsciously remember the person who nurtured them, just like Iram and Mai Ungu did with Eugene. Eugene just realized why. Iram and Mai Ungu treat him so well. They truly see Eugene as their nurturer. For Eugene, this effect is even stronger because he actually nurtured them. Iram wakes up and wants to see Eugene. Seeing Mai Ungu clinging to their uncle, she feels jealous. Eugene thinks that while the care skill isn't powerful, it has a brainwashing effect that makes others submit to him unconditionally. However, he thinks this skill might be dangerous and wonders why the system gave it to him. The system also has the ability to trigger poison resistance. A few days later, Mai Ungu becomes a real homemaker with his cooking improving day by day. During dinner, Eugene tells Iram that one day she will also be able to go down into dungeons just like Sunghan, Yuyun, and get on TV. Iram is looking forward to that day. Of course, there will be a day I defeat the things in the dungeon, collect all the mana to become rich and buy a huge villa. Then Uncle can come live with me and drop the name Mai Ungu. Eugene only hopes that these two can become close and stop arguing. Eugene feels helpless and intends to go outside. When he opens the door, he sees CEO Simyoung, who announces that the new hunter training program starts today. There are some changes to the plan. They have to learn practical basics before theory. The condition to pass the practice is simple: defeat the monsters. Upon hearing this, Eugene, Iram, and Mai Ungu all fall silent. The one panicking the most right now is Eugene. This is just basic training, not defeating every single monster. Simyoung says this is just a practical class to get them used to facing monsters. Iram is the only one excited about this exercise. She even plans to bring a monster back to grill for meat. She shouldn't be so optimistic as to charge straight at the monster like that. Some think that putting newcomers against that many monsters in a basic course is dangerous, but Simyoung isn't worried about that. In fact, he is worried that the other two don't have any monsters to fight because Iram already handled them all. After quickly cleaning up the rest of the monsters, Iram stacked them up to create a Christmas tree. However, one monster survived and is charging at Mai Ungu. He is very cowardly and only knows how to run for his life. Just as it's about to catch Mai Ungu, Eugene protects him from behind. These monsters are F-class called rat teeth. They only attack in a straight line because their vision is very poor. To deal with them, you just need to thrust your spear straight ahead to win. While Eugene is handling the monsters, Simyoung stands outside watching Eugene's every move. I want to see how he reacts in a situation like this. He is truly professional at killing monsters, and the contract he signed with Iram is strictly professional, as if he is hiding some secret. Mai Ungu. Yu looks at the monster and worries about Eugene, but Eugene confidently declares that even though he's just an F rank standing in front of something like this, it's nothing to worry about, as if he were a veteran. After years of experience in the field, the young man only realizes after hearing Yu speak that killing such a monster right now is truly a suspicious mission. Eugene is forced to act like an inexperienced hunter so as not to hurt the pride of Mai Ungu. Eugene from a hero facing the monster in a flash. turns 180 degrees, acting timid, screaming loudly, not even faking it. "Oh, I'm so scared." Aram, hearing this, has no choice but to rush over to save Eugene. Simyung, who was looking forward to the developments, feels extremely disappointed. "I guess I'm just bad," he thinks. After escaping the challenge, Mai Yu and Eugene look completely drained. Only Iram is still full of energy. "I've used my skills until I was satisfied, that's for sure. I want to do another round," Mai Yu, while dragging his exhausted body, cries, because even though Eugene was the one being bitten, he is the one being helped. In this situation, it's clear. Mai Yu is truly not cut out for fighting. Finishing the basic training, Simyung also offers praise, though it's hard to tell if he's complimenting or mocking. "You all did a great job, even though..." Aram is already good enough that she doesn't need to be officially added anymore. "I thought you two were hopeless." Eugene is extremely frustrated upon hearing this and exclaims that he will go home and tell his younger brother. He declares that starting tomorrow, theory lessons will begin as planned, and the one in charge of teaching will be CEO Hyan. Even though she is very young, beautiful, and pretty, she is already a professor. Truly the top of the line. Eugene realizes at a glance that this person is an expert in researching dungeons. She is a young genius who went to America and discovered the origin of how dungeons are formed. The name everyone calls her, globally famous, is Dr. White. However, no one calls her by that name anymore. Just after meeting, Heian gives Eugene a compliment. "You're quite knowledgeable. I've heard information about you from Captain He." Now Eugene realizes that these two share the same last name. Heian has worked hard to enter the Abyss and is staying in the Ryam world for a research project. After shaking hands with the beautiful woman, Eugene feels like his romantic luck has finally arrived. The young man's little heart flutters for the first time. In another aspect, Eugene and Sunghan are still in the dungeon. Sunghan doesn't even feel any sign of life here. This terrifying monster that is dead is a fire god. It died when it couldn't do anything to Yu Hyun. Under the mother's corpse is a young fire god. The moment the dungeon first appeared in the world was like the moment primitive humans discovered fire. Everyone was both worried and curious, gathering to examine it. When the dungeon gradually faded into oblivion, explosions occurred one after another. Monsters began to appear from the cracks erupting from the dungeon. The dungeon shock condition happened at the same time the dungeon exploded. However, many awakened individuals appeared and began to fight regardless of the danger. Many elements and new technical methods were improved with magic stones as a new source of energy. Humanity very quickly adapted to the changes of the world. Each city began to build hunter corporations, places to control awakened individuals. Most hunters, when working, are linked to corporations as well as other guilds. S-rank hunters are linked to national enterprises to establish large guilds. That is what Heian taught the newcomers. Hearing this, Eugene is a bit sentimental. She begins to continue talking about awakened individuals. The levels of awakened individuals are decided by looking at all their stats and skill ranks. Eugene thinks to himself, even though she teaches quite well and the explanation is easy to understand. But this curriculum was compiled 5 years ago, so some parts are no longer correct. Skills only change based on talent and environment. Seeing Eugene distracted, Heian curiously asks, "Is something wrong here? You have the same look as my major professor. You're showing that face because you discovered something wrong, right?" It seems Heian has figured Eugene out. He scratches his head and replies, "It's just my own thinking." But isn't it a bit incorrect to say that skills are only revealed in dangerous situations to protect someone? There are still many awakened individuals who have revealed skills even without participating in combat. So I think protecting oneself is not the main reason. Dungeons always explode everywhere at any time, so they always seem to be in dangerous situations. So I'm wondering if there are any other factors influencing the formation of skills. Hearing this, Heian also ponders a bit. The existence of demons, also known as monsters, entities that only appeared in stories, have become real. Since the dungeons appeared, most of them have been targets of subjugation. However, sometimes people can tame them into mounts. Those beasts are extremely valuable because high-level dungeons are very large and possessing a mount will provide an advantage. It can even have fire resistance, so it's a waste to skip it. Eugene went home to talk to his younger brother about this and asserted that it would be perfect if it became Eugene's pet. The younger brother, with his face covered in soot, is distracted but also weighs the options and feels that his older brother is quite right. Eugene, on a roll, adds, "Think about it. Even if you plan to look for another one, do you think it can withstand your fire-type skills? A high-level mount? that appeared for the first time and possesses fire resistance. If it can be tamed properly, there will be unparalleled power. Eugene will also receive a huge benefit from taming it. What Eugene is weighing right now is how Eugene intends to tame it. With an aura of complete knowledge, Eugene declares that he will start with food first. If he feeds it something delicious, there will definitely be bonus points with the beast. Eugene begins to think about the food he will prepare. They will eat monster meat, but it only eats it if it's mixed with magic stones. So every meal needs C-rank magic stones. Each C-rank magic stone costs $10. The sparkling magic stone dust sprinkled over the processed monster meat containing love and money instantly produces food for high-level monsters, even if, boy, he only feeds it once a day. 1 month will cost $300. 1 year is $3.6 million. If it eats 3 times a day, it will be $10 million a year. Just thinking about that makes my heart wither away. However, Yoo-hyun said he'd pay for its food, so Eugene told himself to calm down. He was wondering if this adorable creature even understood what "I love you" meant. Even if the keyword is cheer up, it only works if Eugene manages to convey it to the beast. So every time he fed it, he'd say, "I love you." The first step is to get the beast to like him. The plan was to play after feeding to get it used to him. Eugene used a B-rank rope, thinking that since he'd tried every side job imaginable at the veterinary clinic, any pet would like him, and he could play tug-of-war. And just like that, a life-or-death tug-of-war broke out. Eugene used his trump card just as the beast was going berserk. He held out the collar, and suddenly the ferocious beast became incredibly tame. The system announced that the perfect nanny title was boosting the collar's effect. The target now liked him, and the little beast had turned into a super-cute puppy. Yoo-hyun was also surprised, having never seen it act so adorable. Yoo-hyun was worried his brother would get bitten while holding it, since it was still a monster after all. Eugene quickly reached his hand out and got bitten hard. Eugene took this opportunity to teach the new pet that biting people is wrong because it's very bad. Its eyes sparkled, meeting its master's request, and Yoo-hyun finally smiled, feeling at ease. It's fine. I'm just glad it's not violent towards you. Raise it well, okay? Even if it can't be a mount, at least it will protect his brother." Eugene was thrilled. Tamed monsters are much better than brainwashed people. Eugene had already started envisioning a future if he succeeded. Maybe he could tame a bunch of young monsters and keep them by his side. By then, his nickname would be Monster Tamer. Just thinking about it made him shiver with excitement. However, Eugene didn't seem to plan on keeping it at his brother's place. He used the excuse that his own dormitory was quite spacious, using it as a reason to move out and live on his own. Because if he stayed with his younger brother, he would definitely be locked up again. Suddenly, seeing his brother look so sad, Eugene was a bit flustered. Yoo-hyun had felt it was so difficult for the two brothers to finally reconcile. He knew his brother had his own life, but he still wanted them to live together like before. Eugene recalled what Sunghan had said. He was someone who understood the importance of blood ties very well. Even if he thought Yoo-hyun was worrying too much about him, he should try to understand him. So Eugene walked over, patted his brother's head, and said, "I guess it's not your fault. I didn't mean I'm moving out for good. I meant I'll be staying in both places. I'll come visit often, okay? If you're thinking about that, it's due to my own skills and the state of this world. I'll hang out with you a lot as soon as I finish my training." Eugene realized it had been a long time since he'd spent time with his brother, so he suggested having a night out for drinks after finishing the dungeon internship. If the world were still peaceful, the two brothers might have shared a beer while living together. Now it was time to name this beast. Eugene decided to call it Peace Bin Yin because he wanted the world to be filled with love and peace. The next day, standing in front of the dungeon entrance, appeared Yoo-hyun and Yerim. She was startled the moment she saw him. Yoo-hyun even said he'd been looking forward to this day and told his brother to take care of her. Eugene was so embarrassed he could only look down. Yoo-hyun's appearance today was to personally stand up and assist Hunter Yerim during her first dungeon raid. He wanted to guide the new S-rank hunter through her first dungeon, and this was something he felt he should do as an S-rank senior as well as the guild master. Yerim was smiling on the outside, but her heart was breaking with tears streaming down. By this point, Eugene finally understood. So this was how his brother promoted his own image. The media began reporting on a perfect combination. Not only did the two possess opposing fire and ice attributes, but there was also the appearance of Manhwa, who could craft gear. If you added Kim Sung-han, who had S-rank defensive skills, it was truly the Fantastic Four. Eugene was excited just looking at them. The equipment would be rented out for free and returned after the dungeon was cleared. A big guild really doesn't disappoint. Every item here was of top-notch quality. Eugene thought that in the future, Manhwa could definitely craft things thousands of times better than this. Eugene also told Manhwa that there was no need to be afraid, and to just pick whichever ones were good to use. The higher the grade, the longer the durability. Manhwa wanted to take a few more recovery potions, but they wouldn't be free if he wasn't a member of the guild. Because of that, Eugene told Yerim to take all of them under her name and give them to Manhwa, and while she was at it, pick out a few more weapons. Eugene continued to advise Yerim, you must focus on your skills. So choose what fits your physique. Don't pick something grotesque like the one you're holding. Even though they were in the middle of a press interview, Yoo-hyun still kept an eye on every move his brother made, feeling that just like Captain CEO said, Eugene was too experienced for a new hunter. He just stood there thinking about his brother, which made him keep smiling. The media was quick enough to capture this moment. Before them was the gate leading to the dungeon. Below that gate was a D-rank dungeon, a low-level, relatively safe obsidian zone. The gate would close 1 hour. After entering and wouldn't open until the boss was defeated or the hunters inside were eliminated. Yoo-hyun held out a stone and said, even though you can use this stone to escape in an emergency, it's a rare item that is very hard to find in this country. Before he could even finish his sentence, he saw his brother lost in thought. Eugene remembered the feeling of being treated like trash and just running around dungeons aimlessly. It felt like it was only yesterday, but now things were different. He was no longer buried in debt, and he was no longer being cursed at. Eugene couldn't have imagined in his wildest dreams that he would be entering a dungeon with his brother and people who cared about him. The dark past would no longer exist, and it would never happen again. Stepping into the dungeon, the first sight was breathtakingly beautiful. It was like stepping into another world. Eugene demanded everyone be serious. Even though it was beautiful, they weren't here to play, and they shouldn't act like they were on a nature trip. Behind that magnificent beauty, a terrifying swarm of monsters was waiting ahead, but Yoo-hyun swung his sword, and a massive shockwave exploded, tearing through the Aram Mountains. Yerim, still naive, could only stand there and complain out of concern. She worried about the environmental impact, not realizing Yoo-hyun did it because he sensed monsters hiding nearby. Honestly, the first rule of entering a dungeon is to ensure it's safe. No one could tell what the situation was really like, and since they didn't know if more monsters were lurking, that's exactly why the strongest person always takes the lead to clear the path. Yerim was left completely stunned. This is exactly what happens when you don't. Focus on your training. Right now, the condition for leveling up is for Yerim to land an area of effect skill. If she keeps killing monsters, she'll hit level 10. That's the main goal of this practice session. However, no one could predict which skill Yerim would actually get. In reality, Eugene was behind the scenes pulling the strings personally, selecting the optimal skill for her to learn. It was the Frost Dance skill, a signature AoE move for Frost mages. The system notified that it would focus on developing the Frost Dance skill for Park Yerim. To boost her morale, Eugene encouraged her, saying, I have a feeling you're going to get an AoE skill. Yerim was thrilled. Really? If so, I'll hit level 10 in a heartbeat, and help the uncle level up. But things weren't that simple. Eugene explained that the experience points required between S-rank and F-rank are vastly different. Yerim, you don't just need 5 times more than an F-rank. As you get to higher levels, the requirements keep skyrocketing. Even if you hogged the entire dungeon for yourself, you still wouldn't be able to hit level 10. Eugene said that just to make it clear that he would be the one to help his brother and he didn't need anyone else. Turns out it was just petty jealousy. Yerim saw that and flared up, declaring war on Yoo-hyun. Yoo-hyun remained calm, firing back. I'm not declaring war on you, I'm just helping you realize your own rank. Your S-rank status, that is? They argued so much that Eugene finally snapped and punished them both. If you two are going to keep bickering in front of me, then take it elsewhere. Both of you get out, scram. Only Myungwoo stood there trembling in fear, not daring to get involved. Eugene started questioning them both. First he asked his younger brother, tell me, what did you come here for? Yoo-hyun stammered that he came to supervise the training. Then Eugene asked Yerim, and she awkwardly replied that she came to level up. Everyone had their own goal. Yet they were still fighting like that. Eugene was more furious than ever, ordering them to focus on hunting those damn monsters. Even an F-rank has to hunt a ton of monsters just to reach level 10, Act like you did during the interview earlier if you two keep arguing like this. Then I'm not talking to either of you anymore. After their brother's heated lecture, the two brats finally settled down and played nice, though it was clearly just a facade. This is a dungeon, so no one is allowed to let their guard down. Yujin wanted everyone to help Myungwoo reach level 10. As soon as he finished speaking, Yujin and Yuhyun rushed toward a monster to snatch the chance to help. For Yujin, maybe this would be the perfect team-up for the future. They were both still hoping they would get along better. Meanwhile, a group of strangers was talking about Yujin. It seems he had entered the dungeon, the person who returned from the past. They were currently pinpointing the location to find out which dungeon Yujin was in. A loud explosion echoed through the forest. Yujin laughed with excitement. "I'll freeze them and hand them over on a silver platter for you, uncle." But even so, Yujin wasn't skilled enough to pierce through the ice with that spear. Yuhyun advised that Yerem needed to burn the monster's skin first, so his brother could easily pierce it with the spear. A pile of monsters lay stacked on top of each other, still breathing. Now Yujin just had to strike. Myungwoo couldn't believe his eyes. They were all frozen and scorched. That's insane. Now Yujin had to protect the magic stones from the monster carcasses. Those rich S-ranks probably didn't know how valuable they were. Just as he was about to stab another monster, Yujin, he suddenly thought that Myungwoo needed to level up too. As he approached with the spear, Myungwoo's hands and feet were shaking. "Do you think if I try to level up I'll get a good skill too?" Yujin, being very thoughtful, encouraged him. "Why are you worried? Of course you will." Only Yujin knew that once he reached level 10, Myungwoo would receive the SS-Rank Master Craftsman skill. But then he discovered that there was another condition needed to obtain this skill. SS-Rank Master Blacksmith. The acquisition condition is reach level 10. Yujin stood there with a face full of question marks, not yet processing what was happening, while Myungwoo was excited. "Oh, it worked. My experience points are going up." Yujin was thinking, what the hell is this? A typo or something? Does the system have typos too? Are those things typed in manually? Myungwoo had reached level 10 but looked very disappointed because he hadn't received any skill yet. Yujin wondered, who actually wrote those things then? Even in the future, it was impossible to uncover anything about the system. Many considered it a miracle from God that changed the world. But the most confusing problem was, could God actually make a typo? Yerem was still floating in the air, excited about everything, pointing here and there. "I think I'm at the end." Yuhyun asked his brother how everything was going. "What level are you at now?" Yujin stood next to Myungwoo, who was exhausted and crying, and replied, "Myungwoo finished his part perfectly, and I'm almost level 10. Just then, the system notified them that they had found. Both Myungwoo and Yujin were bewildered, not understanding what was happening. Yujin strained his eyes to look again. "Is something wrong?" "No, it's just that my status window is acting a bit strange." The system kept popping up bizarre error messages, and Yujin had no clue what it was apologizing for. Just then, Yuhyun and Yerem ran over, shouting, "Watch out!" The moment the massive explosion of fire erupted, Yuhyun managed to pull his brother to safety, while Yerem used her weapon to block the blast. Yujin stood there dazed, while his younger brother was incredibly worried. "Are you okay, brother? Did you get hurt anywhere?" Yerem confirmed that it was definitely an attack from a boss monster. Everyone was thrown into a state of shock and panic. A boss. But a boss in a D-rank dungeon shouldn't be able to use attacks like that. An AoE attack like that. The original boss was supposed to be a giant mountain goat, but that bird suddenly swooped in and took it down. Yerem was frantic, unsure what to do next. "Doesn't the gate usually appear once the boss is defeated?" Yuhyun quickly assessed the situation. Even though the original boss was dead, the exit portal hadn't appeared. It was likely that the bird had replaced the old boss and become the new one. And that meant, we have to defeat that monster to get out of here. The attack let out an even louder blast. There was no time to delay. Yuhyun was seasoned, yet he had never seen anything like this before, and he had no idea just how strong it was. He handed an item to Yujin and told him, "Take this, brother. If things go south, you at least need to use this." Hearing that, Yujin fell silent. His face went pale and he looked terrified. He was scared because everything happening felt exactly like it did before. A super-powered monster had appeared and his younger brother had sacrificed himself. Back then, Yuhyun had given his brother this very same thing. Right now, Yujin refused to take it. "No, I don't need that. I'm much weaker than you. It's a second-grade gold mining monster. You can see it for yourself. It's fire elemental, and this bird is an A-rank dungeon boss. Its beak is its main weapon, and its main weakness is its skull, because compared to its sturdy back and belly, the skull is much softer. It has 2 pairs of wings, so attack the head instead of the wings. Hearing such detailed information made Yu-hyun incredibly curious about how Yu-jin knew all of that. Yu-jin remained firm. "What are you doubting me? We'll talk after we kill it." Yu-jin was genuinely hoping for a victory this time. He prayed that things would be different this time. He was determined not to let the past repeat itself. The boss was diving from the sky and Yu-jin began directing the team. "Yerem, use your frost breath to create a barrier." Yerem immediately obeyed and activated frost breath. The icy power blanketed the sky. Next, Yu-jin instructed, "Little brother, deal with that bird's feathered head." Before leaving, Yu-hyun didn't forget to say, "I'm leaving things here to you." Yerem replied, "Just go. Don't worry about us." Yu-hyun was still deeply concerned for Yu-jin. He insisted that his brother hold on to that stone for safety. Yu-hyun soared high to face the boss. The sky was filled with fire. Yu-jin shouted, "Aim for its head." "Yu-hyun, you can do it right." Yerem wondered, will he be okay? Wouldn't it be better if I went, I have a flying skill? Yu-jin had already calculated everything. If Yerim went, she would be burned to a crisp. The fire from the monster required someone with fire resistance like Yu-hyun to handle it. Although Yu-hyun didn't have a dedicated flying skill, he had something similar. He was currently baiting the bird into diving straight down. The moment it lost control of its speed, Yu-hyun dodged and the bird slammed its beak into the ground. Now that it had landed, the next step was a decisive strike to deal damage. But the move was a bit risky, making Yu-jin very anxious. "Why are you slashing at its wing? I already told you that wouldn't work. It has 2 pairs of wings." Yu-jin wondered, "That's strange, why is he still on the ground?" The bird took flight, but kept spraying fire everywhere. The flames grew more intense. Yu-jin was worried because logically Yu-hyun only needed to jump up, slash the head once, and use the willow leaf skill in place of a flying skill. He suddenly realized Yu-hyun might not have mastered that skill yet at this point. The older brother held on to the hope that his younger brother would succeed. The boss suddenly changed targets, whipping around 180 degrees and flying straight toward Yu-jin and Yerim. Everyone froze in fear. "Uncle, what do we do? It's flying right at us." Yerim screamed, "Hey, Uncle, do you really think I can stop it with frost breath?" As if the uncle wasn't panicking enough, Myung-gu was shaking like a leaf, grabbing Yu-jin's neck. Right at that moment, Yu-hyun finally activated the willow leaf. What a relief. Wait, so he could use it, but something looked wrong. The willow leaf kept sticking to the boss's head. Yu-jin was exasperated. "What the heck are you doing?" He had to stand far away and shout the instructions. "Not like that, use it to step on it." Yu-hyun still looked confused, but Yu-jin kept shouting, "Jump up by stepping on that leaf." Yu-hyun instinctively followed the directions and stepped on the leaf. Only then did the young man realize that was a way to use it. Thanks to that, Yu-hyun's speed just kept increasing. The monster spewed flames at him, but to the young man that fire was nothing at all. Yu-hyun launched his weapon to finish it off and everything exploded. The heat was so intense that Aram felt like she couldn't hold on any longer, but Yu-jin lying there kept encouraging her. "Hang in there, Aram. We'd be dead without you." The monster plummeted to the ground and burned to a crisp. Yu-hyun landed looking disheveled, his clothes tattered and his face covered in soot. As soon as he touched down, Yu-jin ran over. "Are you okay? You're not hurt anywhere, are you?" Deeply moved. Yu-hyun immediately ran over and hugged his brother. "It's all thanks to you, Hyung. That was amazing. How did you even come up with such a brilliant idea? Using the willow leaf skill instead of a flight skill." Yu-jin had assumed Yu-hyun used that skill like that all the time, but in reality, the young man had never even thought of it himself, let alone Yu-hyun. He had always felt he lacked the most important flight skills, and Yu-jin had provided him with the perfect solution to that problem. Yu-hyun stood there, scratching his head, looking embarrassed. "Since you caught the boss, I'll let that slide." Yu-hyun still couldn't contain his excitement. "How could I not be? It's like I just received a brand new skill." Yu-jin's eyes sparkled as he looked at his younger brother. It was so good to see him this happy, just like a child receiving a birthday gift and a Christmas present at the same time. After leaving here, Yu-jin wanted to look through Yu-hyun's other skills too. Seeing this, Aram also chimed in, wanting Yu-jin to check hers as well. The moment they stepped out of the dungeon, everyone was stunned. "Are you all right, Guildmaster? We were so worried because of the level." The dungeon had suddenly changed. Yu Hyun explained it was because a rank A boss had flown in from out of nowhere. They were all relieved and excited to see that Hunter Yeri was okay. Even though the younger brother and Aram were both dealing with the staff and the press, Yu-jin had already snuck off to the back. I should probably stay away. I need to return the gear soon so I don't draw attention. Before he could even finish his sentence, he saw Sunghan sprinting toward him from out of nowhere, shouting loudly, "Mr. Yu-jin!" He tripped and fell face first. "Are you okay?" "I should have gone with you." Yu-jin, who just wanted to stay quiet, was now the center of attention. He panicked, pulling back with a blank expression. "What's wrong with you?" "I'm fine." Sunghan was being so dramatic that it made Yu-jin awkward. His enthusiasm was a bit much. "Get on my back. Let's get home quickly so you can get some rest." Yu-jin could only wave his hands and shake his head. "I'm telling you, I'm fine." Myung-gu looked noticeably sad watching this scene. Night had fallen, and it was time for Yu-jin to return. As soon as he got home, Yu-jin shouted, "Your big brother is home!" Yu-hyun had laid out plenty of snacks on the table, and there was even wine. Yu-jin felt the management office was treating them very generously. Just looking at these things, he knew they were expensive. He called out but couldn't find his brother anywhere. He figured he must be taking a shower. After all, he was covered in boss monster blood earlier. While waiting, Yu-jin wanted to go play with Pi. The little thing was spinning around like a total goofball. Even though it hadn't gone out to kill monsters, it looked just as wrecked as his brother. Playing with it is enough for now, I guess. I'm going to die. But I really think I'm going to die today. There were so many strange things today, from system typos to receiving a message through the chat window. Not to mention a higher-ranked monster suddenly appearing in the dungeon. Something like that rarely happened in years. Yu-jin began to feel anxious. Could it be that they have something to turn back? Time. Is there something going on? Some kind of deviation when time was turned back. That's why things that were supposed to take years to happen are happening right now. That's what the system is trying to tell me by any means necessary. Yu-jin held the system back and vented his frustration. This isn't my fault. If this could happen, you should have explained it from the beginning. The system had been incredibly unreasonable from the start, like when it started with that skill. If it had explained things properly, I would never have chosen a keyword like that. Right then, the status window changed again. Yu-jin was confused. He didn't know what was wrong with the status window. Behind the system, the operators were having a conversation. The time interference was too short. We couldn't do anything else because we used force to open a path. It would have been much better if we could have explained it in more detail. I wrote it in a hurry, but I'm sure he can understand it. I tried to make it as intuitive as possible in a form recognizable in his world. The identified targets affected at this time are Yu-hyun and Arim. Yu-jin stared, thinking it might be some kind of attendance list like they used in kindergarten. He wondered what on earth the creator of this system was thinking. Wait, the affected targets. Isn't this just showing S ranks? He thought he was right because he didn't see Myung-gu or Sunghan on the list. Plus there were 50 slots and a good luck symbol. Just as he was fumbling with it, Yu-hyun finished his shower. His face darkened as he looked at his younger brother breaking into a cold sweat. Is this thing telling me to raise 50 S ranks? The young man's face darkened as he turned to look at his younger brother who was breaking out in a cold sweat. He wondered, is this thing seriously telling me to raise 50 S rank mechs? It's been 2 days since I started using my taming skill on the newborn Kirin-type fire monster. The beast has already grown to 51 centimeters and weighs 5.6 kilograms. It doubled in size in just 2 days. Yu-jin was beyond excited. Wow, I don't think it's a wild animal anymore. He was so happy he hugged Peace tightly. But before he could even hold him properly, the little guy jumped so hard that Yu-jin almost flipped over. Whoa, it's okay, it's okay. I've already borrowed all the equipment for physical stamina and strength. Currently, Yu-jin's stamina has increased by 94 and his strength by 45. The night before, he had been drinking and talking with Yu-hyun, who was quite surprised by his brother's monster taming skill. A monster taming skill? Yeah, it's a skill I unlocked after reaching level 10. What does it actually do? Hearing that, Yu-jin thought it would be best to use it as a cover-up skill. After all, I can't really tell him it's actually an influence skill. Yu-jin replied, My younger brother, I can raise monsters in a tamed state using my own power. It's an S-rank skill, so I can even use it on high-level monsters. Yu-hyun was completely shocked to hear this. An S-rank. You have an F-rank body, but an S-rank skill. And in such a dangerous world, not only that, but it's a unique skill too. As he said this, Yu Hyun tightened his grip on the rope in his hand, making Yu Jin nervous. Hey, are you planning to lock me up again? We should be using this, not hiding it. You can raise Peace and then let me ride on his back in the dungeons. You could even raise other mounts. Do you know how many S-rankers need high-level mounts? What if every member of the Haeyeon Guild got a high-level mount? Imagine walking through a massive dungeon for hours, then suddenly you're riding a horse instead. With a skill like this, the motivation to clear dungeons will completely change. Thankfully, Peace was already influenced, but if Yujin had to influence 50 more S-ranks like the system wanted, it would be better to brainwash monsters than people. Training with Peace left Yujin absolutely exhausted. But Peace still looked at him with sparkling eyes as if he wasn't tired at all. On top of that, he kept stepping all over Yujin's head and neck. Yujin was so tired he was tearing up, whispering, I meant to make some extra cash, but not like this. Once we have more mounts and our dungeon raid efficiency improves, the frequency of dungeon breaks will decrease and this world will become a better place, especially with the number of dungeons increasing so much in recent years. My health can't take this kind of play anymore. As he was lying there, CEO Suk Sim-yong appeared out of nowhere and started clapping. I didn't expect that right after the practice session ended. You'd still be training in a place like this. Yujin didn't understand. What do you mean, Suk Sim-yong said, I'm just saying you can use this place. He replied, I didn't come here to chase you away, don't worry. It's only been one day of using your skill and the newborn monster has already grown this much. I'm not just impressed. I've changed my mind, Mr. Yujin. Yujin was still confused as to why he was acting like this. Suk Sim-yong continued to bow his head, showing total reverence, even kneeling down and hugging Yujin's leg. I apologize for always acting disrespectfully toward you in the past. The deep insight and analytical skills you've shown, as well as these amazing new skills, I beg you please join the Haeyeon Guild and bring a breath of fresh air to the hunter world. Yujin felt this was just harassment. It was so annoying that he shouted, Stop it, let me go, I don't have that kind of ability, I'm begging you. The man still clung to his leg stubbornly despite Yujin trying to push him away. We need your skills, Yujin. The young man thought bitterly. Deep insight, my foot. I just memorized the answer key from the future. Besides, I really hate this guy. I don't want to be associated with him. I don't know how much I've worried whenever I went to the Haeyeon Guild just because of his attitude. Even though he refused, Suk Sim-yong was persistent, begging Yujin to reconsider. I guarantee I'll give you everything from transporting this newborn beast to food taming fees and everything else you need. Yujin suddenly realized that the things from before didn't happen in this life, so Suk Sim-yong didn't remember his past pathetic behavior. Instead, right now, Yujin was the one in control, so he could definitely play it cool. Yujin's attitude changed completely, and he was firm, I don't need it. Yu Hyun already said he would cover all the expenses. Suk Sim-yong was still stubborn. You already have a dormitory room, so there's no need to discuss that issue anymore. Now let's sign the contract immediately. Yujin said it wouldn't be as a hunter, but just as a permanent staff member. He would become a freelance hunter. Only that way could he raise mounts for other guilds and make a ton of money. This greed for money made Suk Sim-yong worry about the future of Haeyeon. Yujin added, Oh, I forgot an important point. Besides, Haeyeon isn't the strongest guild in our country, so you can't sign an exclusive contract with me. And I happen to know very well just how important this mount taming skill is. As long as this skill is utilized effectively, dungeon raid efficiency will increase significantly. I'm sure I'll become a golden goose among high-level hunters, but the Haeyeon Guild wants to own this skill exclusively. How would the other guilds react to that? There will definitely be hundreds of people trying to sabotage what they don't have. I've heard there are plenty of people willing to kill others just to bring them down. I'm only the supplier for the poison and the food, so if it stays like this, I'm basically a goner, right? Wouldn't it be better for me to just become a freelance hunter? And I could say things like, if you guarantee my safety, I'll raise one for each guild, even though I'd be getting paid per job. But I'll raise peace for you guys anyway, so can I just join as an employee? You guys cover my back and do the hard work of negotiating with the other guilds. Help me out with that, plus benefits, social insurance, and bonuses. Hearing these ridiculous conditions, CEO Seok Sim-hyun just laughed. Ha ha! I guess I can't beat you. Well done. Seok Sim-hyun, can I use this training video for negotiations? One more thing. If the Abyss Guild becomes the strongest in the country to the point where interfering with other guilds isn't a problem, then will you sign a contract as a hunter? Yujin pondered. But he had already guessed that CEO Seok Sim-hyun had turned on a voice recorder as evidence, so he called him out. Are you recording this? He didn't even deny it. Yeah, you guessed right. Just as he was about to leave, Yoo-jin asked, What's the benefit for you in hiring me? You've already gotten what you wanted from my skills anyway. There's nothing else to exploit. Don't come crying to me if you regret hiring me. Seok Sim-hyun laughed foolishly. Ha ha, how unexpected. Nothing else to exploit, huh? Hunter Han Yoo-jin, you lack self-awareness, don't you? Every time he looked at Yoo-jin, he was surprised. People with unique skills were often unaware of their surroundings. It's because they are blinded by their own power. He had seen countless awakened people like that. Han Yoo-jin seemed arrogant, but he was different from the others. He calmly predicted the situation and succeeded, turning the negotiations in his favor. Has he always been this talented? Was he overshadowed by his younger brother's brilliance, so no one noticed him? But if he becomes our exclusive hunter, the other guilds will definitely meddle. Was the Abyss Guild ready to face that threat? But if Yoo-jin remained a freelance hunter, everything would change. All eyes would be on Han Yoo-jin himself, not the Abyss Guild. Pros and cons. He still didn't realize the gravity of this situation. Is it because he doesn't know what the world of high-rank hunters is like? Or is he trying to protect his younger brother? Whatever it was, the three major guilds and the whole world would be watching Han Yoo-jin. Seok Sim-hyun thought, and predicted it all, that Yoo-jin would soon realize just how valuable the cards he held really were. On the other side, Yoo-jin was still being completely innocent, busily setting up a kennel for Peace. Overall, it was a pretty massive structure for a pet like that. He asked Peace, Do you like it? You're going to live here with me now? It paced around, looking very excited. Yoo-jin worried about whether it would be too cramped when it grew up. Just then, Yerim walked in just as excited. Whoa, who is this? Oh my gosh, you're such a cute kitten. She lunged at it to hug it but got bitten. Yerim, that's not a cat. Uncle, save me. It's going to bite me to death. Mi-eung was also being shredded by it. Just as they were fighting inside, Yoo-hyun opened the door and walked in. Brother, do you have a moment? Yoo-jin stammered, probably not. Because the guildmasters are coming to see you right now. This made Yoo-hyun very unhappy. You can just say no. You're under no obligation to meet them. Yoo-jin felt he couldn't do that. They're S-rank hunters. Most low-rank hunters find it hard just to have a conversation with them. Shh, you're not wrong. See, let me tell them to turn back. Just as he was about to send them away, Yoo-jin stopped him. Hold it right there. You're a guildmaster. Why are you acting like this? Think about what our guild will think. If the masters of the major guilds all come to Abyss personally, they'll say, wow, Abyss is top tier. Isn't that a good reason to meet them? It's fine even if you show your face. From now on, you are forbidden from saying but in front of me. Seeing his brother so visibly frustrated, Yoo-hyun got a bit intimidated. However, Yoo-jin cut him off again. Even however, you are not allowed to say that in front of me. Yoo-jin walked away with a pout. If we're about to negotiate, it's best to check out the clients personally. As they walked into the room, there were already too many guildmasters waiting there. Everyone's face looked serious tense as a tightrope. Yoo-jin was sweating bullets, and his fear resistance skill was activated. Yoo-hyun spoke first. Let me introduce you to Hunter Han Yoo-jin. Someone stepped forward, offering to hold Yoo-jin's hand for a moment. Let me do that so I can appraise your skills before we negotiate. Yoo-jin understood, so he just offered his hand to the man. As soon as he reached out, the guy with glasses grabbed Yoo-jin's hand, causing the young man to flip out. Oh my God, how can you just grab a man's hand like that? Yoo-jin was freaking out like that because he didn't expect them to bring a skill appraiser. Yoo-jin was terrified that the appraiser would reveal all his L-rank and S-rank skills. And if they found out it wasn't a taming skill but an influence skill, it would be all over. The appraiser kept begging, I just need a few seconds, so please give me your hand. Yoo-jin was stammering, not knowing how to handle the situation when Peace jumped in looking furious and ready to bite the appraiser. Yoo-jin even had to hold it back. Peace, it's okay, he's not a bad guy. The white-haired man with glasses was the chairman of the Guild Association. That beast must have sensed a skill being activated, used on its master, huh? Association Chairman Han Sun-hyung judged it was still young, maybe only C rank. But no one expected it to have reached this level already. Just then, Breaker Guildmaster Moon Hyuna spoke up. I don't think we need proof anymore. Seeing how fiercely it protects its master is enough. I don't think we need to appraise its skills anymore. Am I wrong, Tamer? After that, she carefully invited Yujin to sit. We can't have a VIP like you standing. At first glance, I thought she was some brawny guy. Who would have thought she was a woman, Yujin thought to himself. She's so huge. What an insane physique. Moon Hyuna smiled in a friendly way and said, I didn't know the young guild master of Haeyeon had a brother like you. Yujin was looking at her with a smile, wondering if the S-ranks were all like her. If so, wouldn't Aram be bigger than him? Moon Hyuna looked at Peace and asked. A horned fire master. It looks like when it grows up it will be at the level of a dungeon boss, right? How about it, young man, since it's still this small? Why don't you just give it to us? Right then, Yu-hyun spoke up. We aren't giving it away for free. We are planning to trade it for a hatchling of a top-tier mount with ice resistance. Moon Hyuna understood Yu-hyun's intention. So our brother is bringing a mount that Ms. Aram can use, huh? Aren't you being a bit too greedy? The MKC Guildmaster Choi Seok-wan, the man with the tightest-looking face, also joined in. 7 high-rank hatchlings and 1 top-tier hatchling, the Haeyeon Guild, has already swept up all the hatchlings on the market. How can you have the nerve to ask for a trade? Yu-hyun replied. There's one in the dungeon, so you guys can just trade for it. This condition made him angry enough to slam the table. Are you messing with me? You mean if we want a mount, we have to do everything your side demands? Are you being arrogant just because of your brother? Don't think I don't know that your brother has nothing to do with the guild. It's just a scam, isn't it? He is his brother. Naturally, he has some involvement in the Haeyeon Guild Choi Seok-wan, Moon Hyun-ah. I saw the atmosphere getting too tense and wanted to end it there. That's enough, you guys. Haeyeon and I only have a give-and-take relationship. Yujin also spoke up. Because I couldn't handle it alone, I asked for their help. Thanks to them, we are able to have this meeting. If I had wanted to team up with my brother from the beginning, I would have just raised this beast and given it to Haeyeon. Why would we even need this meeting? This reasoning made Choi Seok-wan pause, and Yujin added, The beasts I'm capable of raising have limits. Let's look at the reality. Regarding this matter, if we close this deal, your side will own a mount sooner than any other guild in the world, just like the Haeyeon Guild. Doesn't that sound like a deal worth making? It's a great pleasure to welcome our distinguished guests here. Fortunately, Choi Seok-wan cooled his temper a bit. He was hot-headed, so different from when he was on TV. Yujin used to be his fan back when he was a member of the national soccer team before he awakened. Moon Hyun-ah patted his shoulder, continuously praising him. Yujin is not only strong but also great at negotiating, having a younger brother who is a guild master and a super strong rookie, plus this cute pet. I'm getting more and more obsessed with you. If I had you, I'd have everything, wouldn't I? Do you want to join Breaker? What the hell is she doing? Even though he thought she was pretty, he was just worried Yu-hyun would get furious and burn the place down. So he had to speak up to soothe his younger brother first. I already said it. I'm not siding with anyone. Besides, I'm not a display item. There are no freebies included. Moon Hyun-ah heard this and turned to ask, You're not selling... What about your brother? Yujin said he wanted to wait until his brother became the strongest person in the country, then he'd think about it. Saying this made all the other guild masters stand there, frozen for 5 seconds. What did he just say that seriously Yujin still didn't understand what he did wrong? And answered very innocently, what's wrong? Yujin looked embarrassed. Did I say something wrong? Why are you guys... They still couldn't stop laughing. He said Yu-hyun is well-behaved, ha ha ha. I was wondering all day why that guy was being so polite, so it's because of his brother, ha 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 ha. That crazy dog is even acting charming in front of his brother. Hearing his brother being called a crazy dog, Yujin jumped up. How dare you call Yu-hyun a crazy dog? Aren't you insulting him just because he's still young? The association chairman asked, laughing until he was in tears, though he still had to force himself to say, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as he treats my younger brother well, that's all that matters. You've got yourself a well-behaved brother there. Wipe your tears before we talk, Mr. Chairman, ha ha ha. After laughing his fill, they handed the contract to Yujin. Thanks to you, I had a good laugh. Now let's wrap up this contract. Yujin still couldn't understand their reaction. What's going on? Is there something wrong with Yu-hyun? Maybe he just can't act polite since he became a guildmaster at such a young age. Moon Hyun replied, mentioning that most of them had already reached an agreement before the two of them arrived. Read this carefully, and if you need anything, let us know. Yujin focused intensely, carefully reading the terms. The contract stated that the 5 major guilds would guarantee the safety of Han Yujin and his building. Seeing the confused look on Yujin's face, Moon-hyun guessed that he probably hadn't been told anything by CEO Sim Yong yet. The guild chairman spoke up. You needed a place to raise monsters, so he built a building. It's near this area built for that purpose, and it's under your name. Yujin was incredibly touched by CEO Sim's kindness. Here is the summary of the negotiation. The 5 major guilds will guarantee the safety of Han Yujin and his building. Han Yujin will prioritize the tasks of the 5 major guilds. The construction of the taming facility will be funded by the 4 guilds excluding Abyss. The ownership of the building will belong to Yujin. Yujin kept listening intently as Moon-hyun read on his lips pursed so tight he looked hilariously miserable, so much so that even Moon-hyun had to stop reading. Is there something wrong with your lips? Yujin blushed, embarrassed, and replied, it's just, I'm so nervous that my mouth is doing that. In truth, he really wanted to smile, but in this situation even a smirk was forbidden. The young man couldn't believe he was about to become the owner of an entire building. A massive building right in the heart of Seoul, all Yujin's. Now he wanted to break the tense atmosphere. I will bow before all of you, my distinguished guests. With a building in his name, protected by the 5 major national guilds, he could bring Myung-woo there and open an equipment workshop. Maybe he should convince CEO Hyeon too, if she conducted her research there instead of going to America. The young man started imagining dream scenarios, feeling like a Hollywood superstar. Mr. Yujin, a property owner at 25, you must have a secret to changing your life from a construction worker to a millionaire, right? Haha. It's no big secret, I did my absolute best to serve my distinguished guests. Maybe that was it. Yujin felt that even if he just collected rent without doing anything, he could easily retire. While he was lost in his delusions, the guild masters began to leave. Until they were gone, Yujin kept showing his appreciation. Well done, brother. He was so distracted he didn't even realize the negotiation had ended. Moon-hyun hesitated and said, Brother, don't pay attention to what the other guild masters say about me. At the very least, I've never done anything evil. The 2 brothers were so careful about protecting each other's image. Seeing his younger brother acting so shy, Yujin spoke up immediately. Ha, who cares what they think? Is there any guild master who can live without ruffling a few feathers? The young man was so excited, he even turned to hug and praise his pig. Piggy, you did well too. I didn't expect you to lie still for that long. For Yujin, today was a total success. He knew he couldn't have asked for better terms. Suddenly, the world felt strangely beautiful top tier. On top of that, he got to enjoy a sumptuous meal, carefully prepared by Myung-woo. He felt that Yujin truly deserved this treatment. It had been such a long time since Yujin had such a delicious meal. As he ate, he chatted with Myung-woo. Oh, right, Myung-woo, you don't have any luggage, do you? But why do you ask? Nothing special, it's just that we need to prepare to move out of here soon. There's a new building being constructed nearby and... Before he could finish his sentence, Myung-woo collapsed. Boo-hoo, so I'm being kicked out after all. Before he could even get started, he was there sobbing. I knew it would end like this. Even if you kept me around, I'm just a useless F-rank. Yujin panicked, not knowing how to handle the situation. He could only console him. Hey, what's wrong? I'm F-rank too, you know. Don't cry. Myung-woo continued to moan. Even though we're both F-rank, it's clear that we're different. You protected me without fear of the high-level hunters, and you can even give advice to your S-rank brother. You are truly special. As for me, I can't even get a level 10 skill. Yujin didn't know how to explain because it was all just a bluff on his part. At this point, he just had to keep comforting him. Don't be like that, Myung-woo. Myung-woo kept sobbing. Just as I thought, I have nothing good to offer. I think I should move out just like you said. Thank you for all the wonderful things up until now. Yujin was helpless. Where do you think you're going? You don't have anywhere else to go, do you? It seems like we're both missing each other's point. Myung-woo continued. But even so, I can't let you waste your time on someone like me, Yujin shouted back. Yujin was the only one who knew that Myung-woo was the one who would receive an SS-Rank skill if he forged 10,000 tools. He was a crucial piece in ensuring Yujin's perfect retirement life. But he probably wouldn't believe it if Yujin said it. Even so, Yujin couldn't reveal his skill either. I feel like I can't keep you by my side. I feel so guilty for making you endure so much in this miserable life, Yujin thought. Yujin continued to put on a suave face after I found some information that might be extremely valuable to you, but No matter how valuable that information is, I can't force you to do what you don't want to do. Got him. Myungu was curious. So, Yujin kept up the act. I was going to share this with you, but I really shouldn't. Myungu was already too curious, so please, Yujin thought, just tell him. So do you want to hear it before you leave? I heard from CEO Ha-yan that there's a training method that can help an awakener like you unlock a special skill. Yujin thought to himself, using a powerful person as a shield is the best way to make Myungu believe me. Please let me borrow your name, CEO Ha-yan. I'll definitely make it up to you later. In her office, CEO Ha-yan seemed exhausted. Oh my. With this, the entire necessary process is done. I wonder if the answer will actually appear. In front of us now are a bunch of knives. This is a great training opportunity. But you can't tell anyone that someone told you about this. Especially not Ms. Ha-yan. Myungu agreed to the condition but was still confused about what these knives were for. Yujin replied, these are the materials we need. You have the weapon augmentation ability, use it to sharpen these knives. Myungu held it in his hand but was still a bit anxious. He started placing the knife to sharpen it, and once he sharpened the weapon, the 1 out of 10,000 counter appeared. Yujin again used Ha-yan's name to add. She said you should just keep sharpening the weapons like this. You will obtain weapon-oriented skills. Those are mythical grade skills that can support you for the rest of your life. Myungu seemed shocked by this information. Then Yujin reaffirmed it once more. It's true. Even though having to grind 10,000 points is a bit tough, if he could persist for a year, it would be okay. Myungu felt that if it only took 10,000 points, it was too simple for him. Only 10,000, I'll be done in 100 days. Yujin heard this and jumped up. 100 days? Do you plan to just do nothing but eat and sharpen knives all day? For Myungu, the one thing he didn't lack was persistence. Wait a second, it'll only take a flash. Yujin was starting to get scared now. Hey, put the knife down and let's talk calmly. Myungu insisted he would practice hard to repay Yujin, who thought happily, what is there to repay? You alone are enough to make my top-tier retirement fund. Now moving on to fund number 2. Returning to CEO Ha-yan's research lab, she was showing quite a bit of excitement while talking with Yujin. Oh my. It's so good that we could have such a smooth exchange. You know so much about dungeons. You must have studied them before, right? Do you want to come study at my research institute? Or we could collaborate to open a research lab that would work too. Yujin's face was full of frustration and helplessness. He thought to himself, how many hours has it been, for heaven's sake? Please let me go. Ha-yan continued drawing and added, the problem is people always say that everything in a dungeon is unpredictable. No one wants to do research on things they already know. Yujin countered, but that's just a hypothesis and I don't have enough data to prove it, especially since there aren't enough dungeons in the country to conduct research. Ha-yan jumped up, agreeing, exactly, our country is too small, so the number of dungeons is insignificant. Ugh, if anyone heard that, they'd probably throw stones at me until my head cracked, Yujin replied with a sheepish smile. It's okay. I understand what you mean. If we could research more dungeons, we could analyze the data set, that's right. Why don't other countries let people from other nations in to do research? Do I have to join some research associations abroad or something? And just like that, Ha-yan flew to the US. 3 years later, her research team concluded the laws of dungeon generation. Then the US reaped a portion of the money. Huge royalties. If the principle had been discovered in Korea, that would have been great. So Ha-yan prepared this. That is, muk is a Korean food made from 5 types of beans or seed starches like buckwheat. Ha-yan said that if you prepare muk and makjoli, the favorite food of the dokkaebi, on the last night of every month dokkaebi, you say, those are the hunters that come and go like ghosts. Have you heard of them? According to Ha-yan's explanation, dokkaebi are creatures that dress very strangely. To this day, no one knows their exact names or genders. The only thing known about the dokkaebi is their ability to teleport. That power allows them to move anywhere they want. They are very famous because he saved so many lives during dungeon breaks and natural disasters, even though his powers are a bit dangerous and can sometimes make people panic due to his sudden attacks. Dr. Kabi thinks he knows all their secrets, but as long as they're safe, those secrets are never exposed. Dr. Kabi's skills not only make him hard to capture, but honestly, what organization in this world doesn't have a few secrets? So in the end, Dr. Kabi is safe and free. He moves around without any strings attached. Ha-yan thinks Dr. Kabi must be very knowledgeable about dungeons, so she even looked up how to summon him online. Now, Ha-yan is acting all giddy, tossing buckwheat around while thinking about what to ask before they meet. Yujin waves his hands to explain, but he's not actually Dr. B. I think asking about a B. To get direct help would probably be better for this case. Suddenly, the room goes pitch black. It looks like a power outage. Yujin fumbles to turn on his phone light. As soon as he flashes the light, he sees Hyen standing right in front of him, mouth agape, breaking into a cold sweat. She looks absolutely terrified. Yujin still doesn't get what's going on. "Ms. Hyen, what's wrong with your face? Is something the matter?" Yujin just turned around and saw a ghost, so he screamed his lungs out. When he turned back, Hyen had already fainted and was foaming at the mouth. "Hey, Ms. Hyen, what the heck?" Fear resistance skill activated. Yujin thinks to himself, all right, calm down. As if there are ghosts in this day and age. Monsters, sure, but ghosts. This must be a prank to scare someone. "The culprit is probably Dr. Kabi." Yujin speaks up immediately. "Cut it out, Dr. Kabi. He finally shows his face. All right, don't get so heated. I only came here because she said she wanted to meet me." That was a bit overboard, don't you think? I honestly didn't think she'd faint. Through Yujin's analysis, Dr. Kabi is named Ionian Current Rank B Potential, Rank B. His active skills are optimized. Yujin determines he can manipulate this guy. A hunter who doesn't belong to any organization, someone who can go anywhere and do whatever he wants. That is truly attractive. With his help, Hyen won't have to go to the States. This is the chance. Yujin stands firm and says, "I'm not afraid of your tricks. If you're so sure, why don't you try knocking me out, Dr. Kabi?" Suddenly seeing that Yujin has lost all his fear, he retorts, "Oh, really? You liar, I saw you shaking like a leaf." Yujin keeps a straight face and says that was just because he was caught off guard. After this admission, Dr. Kabi jumps up, thrilled. "See, you were scared, you coward, you chicken, ha ha ha!" Yujin helplessly holds his back and says, "I told you I wasn't scared." "Do you really think I'd fall for that childish trick?" Dr. Kabi is rumored to love pranking and scaring people. Having figured out this nature, Yujin comes up with a condition. "Fine, to prove it. Do you want to make a bet?" "I bet you can't scare me." Dr. Kabi is stunned, realizing he's finally met his match. The moment Hyen wakes up, she looks panicked when she doesn't see Dr. B. Only after Yujin tells her that Dr. B has left does she finally breathe a sigh of relief. However, Yujin keeps making judgmental comments. "Geez, that Dr. B's fashion sense is a total disaster. Wearing blue with a red mask. Does he think he's the Korean flag or something? It's only peaceful now because he's gone." Hyen looks regretful because she still had so much to ask. "My national-level research is at a standstill, so I'm looking for a way to break through, but..." Seeing Hyen acting all shy and hesitant like that, Yujin offers to help. Before he can finish, Hyen gets excited and shouts, "Oh, are you going to go to university?" Yujin gets scared after she misunderstands him. He explains, "No, it's just that I can provide you with more information. You said data collection was the biggest problem, right? I was planning to... No, I have a way to get that information. Actually, before that, Dr. Kabi and Yujin made a bet. Dr. Kabi bluntly asked what Yujin wanted to bet. Yujin replied, 'If I get scared, I'll become your subordinate. But if not, you will become my subordinate for 3 years. Hearing this condition, Dr. Kabi even bursts into laughter, looking down on him. "Ha ha ha! A rank F guy wants to make me a rank B, Dr. Kabi his subordinate." "Be your subordinate for 3 years. Even if you were the brother of the ABC Guildmaster, you'd at least have to be my subordinate for 25 years for it to be fair." Through what he said, it seems he knows a lot about Yujin. Taking advantage of that, Yujin quickly tosses the contract over and forces him to sign. "All right, then, I'll write up the contract." Dr. Kabi finally feels confused. "What? Wait, this is definitely strange and suspicious. You're signing this even though you know you're going to lose. Are you hiding some kind of sinister motive, aren't you? Are you trying to hide some kind of sinister motive? It seems you don't have any impressive skills, seeing as you're rank F. It must be your items, then. Only now can Dokebi verify that he has no idea what your skill resistance is. Fear resistance has made you completely immune to threats, and fear from the mythic rank and below." Yujin thinks to himself with confidence. The moment Dr. Dokebi fell into the trap and agreed to the bet he had already lost. But to make things more dramatic, Yujin decides to bait him a little further. "To be honest, I do have a motive." Dr. Kabi leans in. "I knew it. What is it?" Yujin takes the opportunity to flatter him. "Honestly, it's because you're so cool. You're amazing. You've saved people hundreds of times, and you've even made a name for yourself. And you hold so many secrets. It's just so cool. So I really have nothing to lose, do I? If I win, that's just a bonus. And if I lose, I get to become a subordinate of Dr. Kabi." Hearing this, Dr. Kabi is puffed up with pride. "Ha ha ha! That's right, I am perfect and incredibly cool. You're funny, I would have just smirked if you had begged to be my subordinate. But since you made a bet and drew up a contract, I like you. Yujin continues to push, wanting to make the bet even more exciting. I say that, but I'm confident. I won't lose, you know. Dr. KB replies immediately, all right, deal. 3 tries in 1 week starting now. If you get scared, then I win. If you're not scared, I'll become your #1 subordinate. And that is how it all went down. But back to the present, Yujin can't let Hyun know how he got that information. However, he will definitely provide enough data to carry out a national-level research paper. Burying his head in books isn't Yujin's forte, so he set a condition. If you manage to figure out the principles behind dungeon formation using the data I provide, you just need to share the profits with me, okay? Hyun gives a faint smile and replies seriously, you're truly kind, but there's a chance this research won't yield any results. Once again, Yujin insists firmly, I'm sure you'll succeed. You will. Hyun is taken aback by that affirmation and his intense expression, which makes the girl quite shy. Yujin brings both hands to his head. I'm not just saying that to be random. Wait, what is this again? That's right, go ahead and do it. Recently, an A-rank dungeon was just discovered in Incheon Gyeonggi province. The environment of that dungeon will be humid or coastal. Hyun is startled, wondering how Yujin could possibly know that. The young man doesn't answer the question because he got the answer from the future, so he just replies, if that's the truth, please take my proposal very seriously. I'm making this offer because I'm quite certain that you can do it. So don't worry about the results of the research. And remember to tell your uncle to seize management rights for that dungeon. After stepping outside, the young man seems very excited. It'll be okay, right? I told her all of that. It'll be fine. Right now, all that's left is to play with that guy Dokebi for a week. The first scare attempt happens while Yujin is holding peace. Dokebi with a ghostly face starts to threaten him. Do you want blue pants or red pants? Yujin stays completely calm and even tells peace. Don't bother with these ghosts dressed in such outdated clothes, okay? Dokebi freezes, rendered speechless, and the first attempt is a failure. The next scare attempt happens when Yujin is carrying his stuff home. Myungwoo, I'm home. You're home, Myungwoo asks. I just picked up some dull knives from the second-hand shop. Dokebi sticks his hand out from nowhere, trips Yujin face first, and then tries to drag his feet into the closet. After this, SS Yujin is extremely annoyed, so he jumps up and curses him out. I said scare me, not kill me. Dokebi, in his ghostly form, actually has to apologize. Sorry, I didn't know you were so easy to trip. Yujin continues yelling, don't underestimate the fragility of a rank F. And just like that, Dokebi's second attempt fails. Only one more try left and Yujin will win the bet. It's the middle of the night, stormy and windy. Yujin is so thirsty he wanders over to open the fridge. Just then, Dokebi disguises himself as a ghost again and starts to threaten him, but Yujin's face remains blank. Oh, wow, you've really used up all 3 tries now. But I'm still not. Before he can finish his sentence, Dokebi immediately continues the scare from behind with glowing red eyes. Yujin exclaims, oh, a double attack! Actually, Yujin has a fear negation skill. Otherwise, he would have peed his pants by now. Just as Dokebi isn't finished with his tricks, Myungwoo appears with a cold, blank face, holding a knife and staring at Yujin and Dokebi, which terrifies Dokebi. This face is even more terrifying than the ghost. Once again, Yujin's fear-resistant skill carries the team. Myungwoo. He actually couldn't sleep, so he wanted to get up and sharpen a few more knives. Yujin's restless eyes turned to ask Dokebi, what's making you so scared? After seeing Dokebi, Myungwoo is shocked to the point of fainting and foaming at the mouth. The final situation unfolds, and the result is that Dokebi failed after 3 attempts. Dokebi could only sob in despair, boo-hoo, I've really lost it all. On top of that, he was getting scolded by his own underlings for being so reckless and rushing to sign that contract. While he was still rolling around whining, Yujin had to carry Myungwoo to bed since the guy had completely passed out. Yujin turned back, looking surprised. So you actually have underlings? I think that happened because you didn't bother to check the fine print. Dokebi kept throwing a tantrum, kicking and screaming. If I go back, they'll roast me alive. I can't go back. I won't. I want to stay here. Yujin felt a headache coming on and snapped, Stop crying. How old are you? You're not a kid anymore. The guy sulked, claiming he was over 100 years old. Yujin couldn't believe it and thought he was joking. I'm Dr. Dokebi, that's just an act. How could a real dokebi possibly exist? Dungeons and Awakened exist, don't they? You even have a little brother who can breathe fire. That's just due to the system. Suddenly, Yujin realized it actually made sense. Wasn't a dokebi from a myth more believable than Dungeons and Awakened? Did they just appear out of nowhere? But wait, isn't this guy an Awakened? Though this name is a bit weird, are you really not human? Dr. Dokebi took off his mask, revealing his true face. All right, a bet is a bet. So I'll tell you, Boss Kim, I'm over 100 years old, but at the same time, I'm only 3. 3 years old, or rather 3 years? That's how long it's been since Dungeons and the system first appeared. It seems he was born right along with the system. Originally, dokebi were entities born from souls residing in old, forgotten objects. The power of a dungeon had seeped into him and awakened him, someone who had been slumbering for over 100 years. Now everything made sense to Yujin. Continuation. Now Yujin completely understood why Dr. Dokebi's teleportation skills made more sense. Continuation. Because the power of the system is something that can connect this space to other dimensions. But it was still a huge surprise. Who would have thought a real dokebi existed? Yujin asked him, "What's your name, Yoon?" Yoon. So the first Yoon is the surname and the second Yoon means wheelwright. Then you must be an old water wheel from Yoon village, huh? Dokebi looked completely shocked, wondering how Yujin knew that. Amazing. Are you a dokebi too, boss? Yujin sighed and turned away. Not at all. In any case, I am your skilled boss. I've got a job for you, underling. Dokebi's face went blank. Yujin couldn't understand that expression. He hadn't even given him a hard task yet, and he was already throwing a fit. What do you want me to do now? I'm not doing those boring chores. With that attitude, how can he call himself an underling? Yujin, though frustrated, continued. The mission is to investigate dungeons in other countries. I've written down everything you need to check here. After all, foreigners are usually banned from dungeons, but with your teleportation and stealth skills, it should be a piece of cake, right, Dr. Dokebi? His face remained blank. Of course. But why? Yujin continued to butter him up to motivate him for the mission, naturally to make you a greater hero. If you collect the data, we might be able to figure out the principles of how dungeons form, right? And then the negative effects caused by dungeon breaks will gradually decrease, won't they? Dr. Dokebi started imagining a dream scenario where he was admired by everyone. And just like that, he excitedly agreed, well, I guess I don't have much of a choice, do I? I'll go right away, but wait. Do I really have to go to other countries that's so far away? Yujin was surprised. Perhaps Dr. Dokebi couldn't teleport that far. According to Dokebi, although he could teleport, he couldn't teleport that far. So he couldn't teleport over super long distances yet. Come to think of it, that skill wasn't on the list. If so, Yujin would have to help him until he leveled up. Suddenly, Yujin said in a sweet, sugary tone, Hey, Dr. Dokebi, I love you. Hearing that, Dokebi jumped out of his skin. What the fuck? What the hell are you saying all of a sudden? Yujin happily explained, didn't you know? Generally, dokebi have a lot of affection. There are even many legends saying that dokebi have turned into beautiful women to seduce others. I saw this information on the internet. A true Dr. Dokebi needs to be used to love and affection. Dr. Dokebi heard that and bought it hook, line, and sinker. Really, is that true? Yujin with glittering eyes continued, From now on, let's greet each other like this. I love you, Yoon Yoon. Now it's your turn. Dr. Dokebi's eyes welled up as he tried to say it back, but he couldn't bring himself to do it and just ran away. It was all just too awkward. Oh well, I'll have to count on you later, my dear underling. The next morning, everything was peaceful when Ha-In ran in shouting and even dancing in celebration. Boss Yujin, you were right, absolutely right. Yujin looked completely confused. The man lifted Yujin up. It really is a slime dungeon. At first, I was a bit skeptical about the bet. But who would have thought we'd hit the jackpot? Peace saw his master being handled like that and got very angry, growling continuously. Yujin pleaded, and for them to put him down while trying to calm Peace. Peace, don't make a scene. Calm down, Peace, boo-hoo. According to the information, the Abyss Guild had collected a huge sum thanks to Yujin as soon as he stepped inside. They felt like everything in the dungeon was worth a fortune. Those were some incredibly rare materials. From now on, we don't need to worry about our budget anymore. CEO Sim Yoon kept exclaiming, wondering where a treasure like you even came from, Yujin. Upon hearing that, the guy felt no joy at all, just a heavy weight on his shoulders, and with Ha-In getting all overexcited, he added, I'll accept your proposal, Yujin. I'll do my absolute best. We'll place a tracking device on you to ensure we can protect you anytime, anywhere. At this, Jujin went from being happy to feeling completely deflated and frustrated. What the hell? Are you crazy? Stop saying things that would make someone like Yu Hyun say, "Hey, beast, bite him, CEO Sim." Hyun still tried to explain, "But we can't just leave such a precious talent like you alone." Jujin snapped, "Talent or whatever, it doesn't matter. I can't provide accurate predictions. And this CEO Ha-Ian here will conduct the research for me. Let the guild support her study. I only know how to tame magical beasts." As soon as he finished, the guy ran for his life as fast as he could, grumbling to himself, "Do they really think I'd fall for that flattery? No way. I'm going to live a peaceful life." It was just luck that my prediction was right. From now on, so many things will change, so I have to refuse to avoid being labeled a liar. Ha-Ian stood there, stunned, unable to grasp Yujin's reaction. He truly is a dedicated researcher, she thought, someone who only cares about contributing to the upcoming study rather than his own recognition. The uncle standing next to her was also delusional. "Even if you don't show it, I know you care about the guild more than anyone." The misunderstandings just kept spiraling further. Being with Peace was probably the most peaceful time for Jujin. He had brought him along to join a challenge, and today's mission was to escape the pet labyrinth. With glass and toys used as distractions, even dogs and cats take 3 minutes to get out. Who knows how long a flame-horned lion would take, but it was amazing that Peace managed to get out, even before the host could finish explaining what a record right. A tiger is a high-level magical beast. Its intelligence is incomparable. Jujin hugged Peace tightly. "Well done, my baby," the host shouted. "Let's give a round of applause for Peace and Hunter Yujin." The reason Jujin was on TV today was because of a previous meeting. "You should go on a game show." "Why so sudden?" "We need to get you recognized. No matter how much we try to hide information about you will soon spread worldwide. It's better if everyone knows who you are. The more attention you attract, the safer you'll be." That was why Yujin agreed, but he didn't like it at all. Yeri stood behind him as his bodyguard, cheering him on after the victory. But Jujin didn't have any good memories of being on TV. He was afraid he'd get bashed again. Even though he was trying his best to put on a happy face right now, the host and the other players were all marveling at Peace's cuteness. "Aw, he's so cute. This is the first time I've seen such an adorable magical beast. This is the best moment of my life on TV, seeing this cuteness with my own eyes." After all the cheering, Jujin finally got a break. He was showing off his child to the fullest. Clearly, he wasn't the only one who thought Peace was cute. Hiding this level of cuteness is a crime against humanity. Should I start a social media account? Then I could sell albums and merchandise, and Peace would become a global star when he grows up. I could even get some of that fame as his manager and magical beast trainer. Just as he closed his eyes and drifted into his daydream, Jujin shouted, all right, if you want an autograph, get in line." Just then, long hair dangled down. "Sure, I'll be the first." As soon as he opened his eyes, Jujin was completely shocked to see the guild master of the Breaker Guild standing before him. She asked softly, "For Peace's autograph, I suppose a paw print will do right." "Hey, aren't you the brother of the Seseong Guild Master? Didn't you know? You need at least 3 A-rank hunters present to film a magical beast, so I used that as an excuse to come see you." Looking closely at her aura, Jujin was still overwhelmed, and everyone around them was the same. Wow, it's Moon Hyuna, the guildmaster of the Breaker Guild. Then she reached out her hand to pull Yujin up, but he ignored it and stood up on his own. Moon Hyuna looked puzzled. "Come on, get up. Don't you want to hold my hand? Or should I solemnly lift you up in a princess carry?" Jujin bluntly said he didn't need any of that. "Everyone is watching, so you'd better not do things that cause misunderstandings." Moon Hyuna remained stubborn. "Come on, who cares? You're going to be the one raising my child after all." This misleading remark left everyone around them stunned, while Jujin just bit the bullet and tried to endure it. And she kept going, "Ah ha ha, I really do like you. Do you want to join my guild?" Jujin replied, "If that's the case, why don't you grant my request first?" Moon Hyuna gave an embarrassed laugh. The way he stood up to her without any fear was truly impressive. Jujin tried to regain his composure and replied, "Why should I be afraid? My brother is also an S-rank. We're the same, we're people." Moon Hyun-ah immediately patted Jujin on the shoulder. "I like your choice of words, but you should still be careful. Right at that moment, Aram returned with the drinks and sensed a strange energy as soon as she arrived. She surrounded Yujin with a barrier that no one could penetrate. Iriam panicked and tried to rush in, but Moon Hyuna held a finger to her lips, murmuring, "Mind lending him to me for 5 minutes?" It was a soundproof barrier. Furious at the sudden blockade, Yujin shouted, demanding to know what she was planning. Moon Hyuna remained nonchalant. Soundproofing, a simple, effective skill. Don't worry, I'll have my people explain things to little Iriam later. Yujin felt a sudden tightness in his chest. He realized her skill mastery was incredibly high. It was unbelievable. Even an S-rank like Iriam hadn't even reacted in time. Moon Hyuna crossed her arms. Now we can talk in peace. Yujin scratched his head, looking confused. Ha. What secret are you planning to reveal? It's not just a secret, it's more like a safety precaution for when you talk behind your little brother's back. I'm a bit worried because you know so little about him. Mentioning his brother made Yujin's expression go rigid, which caused her attitude to shift as well. See? I haven't even said anything yet, and you're already like this. Unable to hold back, Iriam moved to attack Moon Hyuna, but Hyuna just offered a friendly, reassuring smile. Now, calm down. I don't have bad intentions. I'm not trying to interfere between the two of you, but... Big brother, you really should look into your brother a bit. I was smiling through the whole negotiation out of pure surprise, but if you want to continue this work, you need to know the truth. Do you truly trust him? You think your kind-hearted little brother built his guild solely on his own merit? An obedient younger brother born into a poor, parentless family. Even in fairy tales, that kind of thing doesn't exist. It's not realistic. Yujin tried to argue, but Moon Hyuna cut him off. I get it. Because he's a little angel fallen from the sky, right? But you don't realize that angels don't trample over others just to build their own guild. Should I tell you what your brother's life as a hunter has actually been like? After I awakened, I couldn't remain an athlete, and I eventually ended up as a guildmaster. But how could someone who spent their whole life as an athlete, like me, actually manage a guild? Joey Seokwan and I, we all collaborated with the conglomerates. We were just slightly more valuable than puppets, that's all. So that's why the real leaders behind the 5 major guilds are Sung Hyun-jae of Sesung and Han Yu-hyun of Haeyeon, a high school student. Trying to build his own guild, ignoring all the heavyweights reaching out to him, I thought he was just some cocky kid who didn't know his place. I assumed he would crumble soon. I even heard that people tried to poison and assassinate him. The funny thing is I was still naive back then, so I decided to intervene. He was still just a child without a proper ID, so I thought it would be cruel to take his life. But then I saw flames scorching and decaying everything. I thought it was a monster, but it wasn't. I kept hearing screams for help, and I found Yu-hyun standing there. Beside him, someone was begging, "I won't do it again. I'll never go near you. Please spare me." But Yu-hyun didn't even blink. It was a one-sided slaughter. I tried to intervene, but Yu-hyun attacked me. I regretted it deeply. I hadn't expected I'd be worried about a child like that. Yu-hyun back then was no different from a wild beast. The incident was covered up as a gas explosion, and everyone who helped with the cover-up was secretly dealt with, one by one. In the end, Haeyeon Guild seized control of everything by forcing them to their knees. After hearing this, Yujin was momentarily stunned. This is unbelievable, Moon Hyuna. I'm sure it's hard to believe, but that's how an S-rank awakener really is. I heard you two haven't lived together for quite a while now, right? Isn't he very different from the little brother you knew before he awakened? Think about it carefully, big brother. At the very least, the face I see is worlds apart from the brother you used to know. He's a monster. Right now, he's just pretending to be the kind little brother. But you'll never know when he'll drop the act. Getting too close is dangerous. Just then, Moon Hyuna received a call. It seemed she had sniffed out that something was going on here. What do you want to do? If you want to keep your distance, I can lend a hand. It seemed like she might sway Yujin, but he just sighed and said, I understand. So he had to go through all this chaos too. As soon as he finished, he snatched the phone from Moon Hyuna. Hearing his brother's voice, Yu-hyun immediately asked, Are you okay? Did that woman say anything else strange to you? Yujin went quiet. A monster of a brother. Those who climb to his position have to have blood on their hands and trample over the bodies of others. Yujin began to speak up. Yu-hyun, she said some pretty nasty things about you. Yujin knew it was true. His brother had become a bit strange, but he knew exactly how the world worked. After going through the chaos of the last 5 years, his own hands had been stained with blood too. Besides, what kind of brother would he be if he just had let go of his brother after witnessing all that? Yujin spoke up firmly. I think you're underestimating me too much. I'll talk behind her back too, no. I think I'll just say it to her face. About a year ago, specifically last April. Let's talk about Moon Hyuna's dark past. Over the past 4 years, you were discovered by people in the country on April 2nd at 5 o'clock at a convenience store in the Incheon branch Gyeonggi province. So that's what this is about. She was so furious that she snatched the phone right out of Yujin's hand and crushed it. How could she? No one was supposed to know about this. Where did you hear that news? Tell me now. Yujin stayed calm despite her shaking him, saying he just happened to find out. Moon Hyuna was going crazy. Damn it, I wish I could just get rid of you to shut that mouth of yours. Yujin, knowing her weakness, continued to provoke her. Go ahead. You don't need a mount anymore, right? Feel free to kill me. Is this the price I have to pay for you bad-mouthing my younger brother? Why don't we both just shut up? I'd be willing to take the loss if it meant that. Moon Hyuna glared her eyes wide with a warning. Damn it, watch yourself! Forget it. I misjudged your brother. Yujin knew full well that things like this would eventually come to light. Moon Hyuna was just acting it out herself. Since you looked more naive than him, I just wanted to test you. But it seems that even if other guild leaders can approach you, won't have any problems, right? Only then did Yujin realize how troublesome they all were. Just then the magic was lifted, and Yeri became visible again. Seeing her uncle looking startled, Yujin calmed her down, saying, I'm fine. Moon Hyuna stood by and patted Yeri on the shoulder. We were just talking about grown-up stuff. I smiled at everyone, but whispered a warning into Yeri's ear. If you say anything, I'll kill you, you hear? The sinister expression on his face while whispering to her uncle made Yeri snap, and she lunged. You're doing it again! What are you planning to do to my uncle? I'll punish you if you touch my uncle. The competition would continue in 5 minutes, so Yujin needed some water. Watching Yeri struggle with Moon Hyuna, Yujin wondered why the two of them were so close. I don't know when they became that close. Maybe it's because in our country they are the only 2 S-rank women once the contract ends. She won't run off to the Breaker Guild, will she? In any case, Breaker will disappear soon. Finally, Moon Hyuna also won't be able to stand this small country for long, and neither will Choi Seok-wan. So in a few years, MKC and Breaker will both dissolve. Yujin was even thinking about whether he should recruit Moon Hyuna. No. Moon Hyuna's powerful attack skills are very compatible with Yerim, and she would also influence more S-ranks. Even though I don't know what the system wants, surely Yerim would be happier having a woman as a mentor rather than an old uncle like me. Those are just imaginary scenarios for the future. But right now Yerim is still being extremely grumpy toward Moon Hyuna. It's not just your child, you know. Child. The uncle will raise my child too. Yujin also got agitated and warned her, stay away from Moon Hyuna. She's not a good person. The performance was broadcast and the title, Han Yujin 25 Dad of the Monster, spread everywhere. Watching the replay, Yeri and seemed very amused, while Yujin was embarrassed and turned away. Is that uncle really the dad of that monster? The reason Yujin was so helpless was that his Monster Tamer title had just vanished. Instead, the title Dad of the Monster was etched into people's minds. Inside this red bag were many knives and supplies. Yujin and Myunggu were heading to the maintenance room. Supplies because they said they would lend me a workspace. I asked them because you can't just sharpen knives in the kitchen forever. Myunggu stammered, You're right. Not to mention we even scared your friends and I even fainted. Yujin had lied to the goblins saying they were his friends. Yujin thought it would be great if Myunggu became close with the maintenance staff. Who knows, they might even become colleagues in the future. Myunggu seemed quite hopeful about that. He expressed that he didn't want to clear dungeons anymore. That line of work really didn't suit him at all. Although he agreed out loud, inside Yujin was thinking, so what if it doesn't suit you? Fate has already decreed that you will become an SS-rank blacksmith. You'll be coming to places like this more than dungeons. Ahead was the supply maintenance room. As soon as the door opened, the heat stung their faces. Inside, workers were bustling about with countless machines. So this is the equipment maintenance room. They all looked very serious. Yujin heard that the staff here were all E-rank awakeners or higher. Myunggu was curious about the glowing rock next to him. Was it a magic stone or something? Curious, he went to touch it, but a staff member shouted, Hey, don't touch that without permission. You can't be in here without authorization. Yujin smiled and politely announced, Hello. Human Resources must have contacted you about providing a workspace for my friend. At this, the man realized and bowed back. Oh, that's right. I heard you have a knack for sharpening knives. Seeing the physical difference between him and Myung-gu left Yujin confused. With this disparity in physique, could Myung-gu really become a blacksmith? As they walked, he asked if Myung-gu knew how to use a grinder. Myung-gu had actually been using one since he was a child. Right in front of them was a special crushing machine. Myung-gu was curious and fiddled with it. I saw this online. It can sharpen things automatically with one touch. The man looked annoyed and warned, "Don't touch that, it's ours. I've prepared a separate space for you." This collapsing room was Myung-gu's new workplace. "You can use the regular grinder over there. You said you knew how to use it, so if you'll excuse me, I'm leaving." Yujin immediately expressed his frustration. "Wait, that's a bit rude. Are you going to leave someone in this cramped dark room?" Myung-gu stopped Yujin. "Don't say anything else. He doesn't look happy, and neither do the other employees in this room. Is that the guildmaster's brother's friend? I heard he's an F-rank. We don't even recruit F-ranks here. Damn nepotism. Like we aren't busy enough already." Myung-gu patted Yujin on the shoulder and said, "It's fine. In their eyes, I'm just someone who got in through luck, right? Just being able to use this equipment is a blessing for me. I will work really hard." The happier he seemed, the more Yujin felt guilty for bringing him here. Myung-gu fiddled with his new workspace. "Let's see. Looks like this is my spot." Yujin looked worried. "Will you be all right? You said you hadn't used this thing in a long time, too." Myung-gu still wanted to try it out for a bit. With the first few steps, he already had it spinning. Sparks were flying everywhere. Yujin was impressed. "Amazing. It still counts as weapon grinding. Equipment like this is much more effective than that machinery outside Myung-gu." He decided to focus even more and tied his hair up. The sparks grew stronger and stronger, and Yujin was quite worried, afraid Myung-gu would get hurt. The masterful grinding continued, and the result was truly surprising. Can that cold face of Myung-gu's really have expressions like that? The Myung-gu from before was always terrified and broken. Yujin had never seen him this calm. Several hours passed and Yujin's phone rang. "Myung-gu, I have to go back. It's almost time for Peace's training." Because he was so focused, Myung-gu didn't even notice Yujin was still standing there. "Oh, you're still here. Time flies so fast. Sorry for taking up so much of your time. Do you need me to walk you out?" Yujin smiled brightly and said he would wait for him at home later. Yujin really wanted to observe Myung-gu a little longer. He wondered if this was like a fish struggling, surviving in murky waters, finally showing its true form upon returning to the vast ocean. Even someone as oblivious as Yujin could notice this was a natural-born talent. From now on, he'll probably be fine. Things seemed like they were going well, but the very next day, Myung-gu was sore all over and collapsed on his bed. He kept moaning and whining all after just one day. "I really can't do anything right." Myung-gu had to stay home due to severe muscle damage. The next day, he didn't come to the workshop either. The other blacksmiths wondered. "He didn't come in today. The kid who borrowed our grinder ha-a textbook example of nepotism, right? He said he couldn't come because he was sick. Ha ha, only one day." "Are you sure that kid isn't lying? He must be desperate because he couldn't use his connections to land a cushy job." Just as they were standing there mocking him, the guy in the white headscarf told them to go over to Myung-gu's workstation. "Look at this, come take a look. You think someone who likes to slack off could do something like this?" The girl was still confused about what he meant, so he stated, 1,000. The kid sharpened 1,000 blades in just one day. About a week later, Myung-gu's sharp blades were coming out more and more frequently. Under everyone's admiring gazes, he didn't care about anything and just stayed that focused. Myung-gu's grinding process had reached 5,600 out of 10,000. Even after a hard day of grinding, Myung-gu still showed off his cooking skills, and even more glistening dishes were created. Yujin could only gape. "Wow, what is all this food? It's glowing. Did your knife-grinding skills improve your cooking too?" Irim also got to share in it, lost in bliss. "What is this? Let's live together forever, Myung-gu." He had only taken one bite. Irim's attitude had changed that much. Irim stuffed her face. "I have to eat more. Once I enter the dungeon, I won't get to eat food this good." Yujin finally remembered Irim was going into a dungeon today. The young girl sighed, expressing that she felt very bored lately. Because she was still young, they only let her into dungeons below C rank. But she needed to level up quickly to get new skills and become richer. Irim looked dazed, wondering if rushing into dungeons every day would help her improve. "If I just use all my skills, once I could sweep through several dungeons in one day." Yujin felt uneasy, so he gave her some advice. You shouldn't do that. It's easy to tell when your physical strength is low, but when your mana drops, it's not so easy to notice. Imagine if you fainted while raiding a dungeon because you were out of mana. Wait, Aram, how much mana do you have? Aram's current mana was 102. The moment the young man learned this number, he could only offer a bitter smile. Currently, Yujin only had 2 mana plus 29 from his equipment. Compared to Aram, she was in an entirely different league. Yujin hung his head, thinking, who is the one making these decisions? Her stats are 51 times higher than mine. Even if I add up all my other types of stats, Aram's mana is still 5 times higher. Meanwhile, while Yujin was feeling insecure, Aram and Myungu continued to chat. Oh right, Myungu, are you not planning on raiding dungeons anymore? While Sujin was still feeling insecure, Aram and Myungu kept chatting. That's right, Myungu. Are you not planning to raid any more dungeons? No way, if you just worked as a chef, you'd already be raking in a mountain of cash. Honestly, you should just open a restaurant here. Myungu seems pretty into the idea. Haha, let me think about it. Aram keeps saying that with these skills you don't even need to be a hunter anymore. Jujin also chimes in, aren't you pushing yourself a bit too hard lately? You spend all day sharpening knives and then cooking too. Myungu says he just does it because he likes it. Jujin hands him a pair of gloves. At least wear these. I'll lend them to you. Myungu stammers, looking like he doesn't dare take them. Aren't these gloves of yours super expensive? You said they were A-rank items, right? Jujin replies, I haven't been using them lately because they're too hot. You can borrow them until you finish sharpening all your knives. Myungu's eyes well up. He's so touched that he hugs Jujin tightly. Jujin, I'll take good care of them. I'll never take them off my hands. Whenever he acts like this, it really gets on Jujin's nerves. Get off me, and besides, you have to take them off when you go bathe. Myungu brings out a pile of knives he hasn't sharpened yet. This much is enough for the afternoon. It's really hot in here, but that's understandable. Because this place uses fire. From behind, another blacksmith hands Myungu a towel. Use this. This is a towel made from magic stone so it can keep us cool. This place is just too hot. This is the first act of kindness that Myungu has received since coming here. The process goes smoother and smoother, but after several hours his body is exhausted. Everyone else outside has already gone home. Just as he steps out, he sees a glowing rock. Myungu is incredibly curious and approaches it. It glows on its own. Cool. Once again, he gets caught by the workshop owner just as he's about to touch it. The man yells, even if you want to, don't touch that. That's an S-rank magic stone. It's worth at least $1 million. Myungu looks stunned. The man adds, it's rare to find a stone preserved at this size. We kept it because we aren't sure if we should refine it or not. It's a pity. Even the equipment division of a huge guild like Abus doesn't have anyone capable of refining this thing. This isn't something an F-rank could dream of. I'm sure you felt pressured by the snide remarks about getting this job through connections. But we are people who only look at skills. If someone wasn't chosen through the standard process, we wouldn't recognize them. Myungu scratches his head, looking embarrassed and hanging his head low. Right at that moment, the man continues, but sometimes in this life, there are a few people who deserve to be given a chance, because they were buried in the dirt and rocks. I heard that yesterday you sharpened equipment for our staff. I came to check it out and found it looked like a brand new product. It seems you were very persistent about it. So keep proving that you aren't just someone who relies on connections. If you want to continue working here, do just that. Myungu starts to feel a flicker of joy. Any missing stats can be compensated for by using strength-boosting equipment. I will work hard. Everything was going so smoothly until that happened. While working enthusiastically, someone runs up looking very urgent. Is the hunter Myungu here? You are Hunter Ju Myungu, right? Please, come with us. Before he even understood what they were planning to do, the girl taps Myungu on the shoulder. Hunter Yujin has disappeared, so we need to investigate you. It feels like a lightning strike to Myungu. He freezes up on the spot. What happened to Yujin? Myungu doesn't seem able to focus on anything else right now. He looks blank. Missing Yujin said he was at the AB Guild all day today, though. I didn't see anyone strange approaching him either. The girl seems unreasonable. So didn't he just disappear on his own? Aram also rushes over in a panic. What happened to that old guy? He was originally on his way to a dungeon raid, but after getting the call, Aram rushed back immediately. The man in glasses leads Aram away. Please follow this way. The guildmaster has returned. Myungu's face is full of worry, stammering, wait, if there is anything I can help with. The guy in glasses replies bluntly and coldly, please just stay here. That will be safer, and I'm sorry I have to say this. You can't help with anything. A few hours ago, Yujin was still relaxing peacefully on the sofa. The young man was satisfied because both Ayu Hyun and Aram were doing very well. He had also invited the CEO Hyan, and for Myunggu, it was only a matter of time before he awakened his skills. All he needed to do was lie on the couch with Peace. Just as he was imagining that dreamy, leisurely scene, Peace kept clawing and scratching at him, signaling that he really wanted to go outside. Yujin understands and indulges him. You're feeling pretty restless, aren't you? Why don't we head downstairs and get some training in? The moment he stepped out the door, a burly bodyguard was already standing there. Yujin stammered, "Excuse me, I was just heading downstairs. Where are you supposed to be going?" Things were starting to get a bit annoying for Yujin. After some negotiations, the major guilds had started sending bodyguards to follow him around. Their goal was likely a mix of keeping an eye on him and protecting his identity. This bodyguard was a grade B from MKC. He made a call to check the path to the basement, then turned to Yujin. "You're heading to the training room, right?" Yujin answered excitedly, "That's right, the second basement level." As soon as they got into the elevator, Peace completely surprised Yujin by pressing the button himself. Yujin was thrilled and kept showering him with praise. "Peace, oh my God, did you press the elevator button all by yourself? Look how smart our little buddy is." Yujin was all hyped up, but when he looked over at the bodyguard, he didn't see the same enthusiasm. Yujin toned it down, feeling a bit confused. The last bodyguard loved Peace so much. Well, I guess not everyone is a fan. The elevator doors opened to reveal a crowd of staff members packed inside with massive, oversized luggage. Even though it was cramped, Yujin still couldn't help but use his skill to check their levels. Based on their stats, they definitely weren't from the Abyss. Yujin asked, "Are you guys from a different guild?" "Oh, we're from Bricks, a guild under the Abyss. These armor pieces and all this bulky gear, we were just grabbing them from a dungeon. We always borrow their training room to inspect our items, but they already finished checking them. We're not suspicious or anything." Seeing them acting so friendly and cheerful, Yujin responded just as warmly, "Ah, ha, ha, you guys must work really hard." "Guys must." Finally, they reached the second basement level. They all turned to wave at Yujin. "We're heading off. Have a great day." Yujin smiled and said, "Yup, bye." He seemed cheerful on the outside, but in reality he found them pretty suspicious. Plus, they didn't even say Peace was cute, so the kid was feeling pretty miffed. Then again, Yujin reconsidered. "Nah, I'm probably just overthinking it. Things like that happen all the time. There's no law that says everyone has to compliment Peace." They finally arrived at the training room and Peace jumped down, excited. "All right. You want to play tug of war first, right? Wait a second, let me get ready." As soon as he pulled his glove on and looked back, he saw those guys from before throw a cloud of bright red powder straight into his face. What is this powder?" The system notification chimed, "Item securities fruit activated. Poison resistance triggered. Effect nullified." Noticing something was wrong, Peace turned around too. He growled and hacked, then just slumped over. Yujin panicked, having no idea how to handle the situation. Then they shoved a cloth over Yujin's nose. They looked confused. They had used high-grade sleeping powder, yet Yujin was still awake. Did the Abyss give him some kind of antidote? That was when Yujin realized these were the guys from Bricks from earlier. Why are they here? How did they get in? Yujin quickly kicked the guy in front of him right in the chest and twisted the arm of the one behind him. What is going on? Wait, isn't his stat supposed to be grade F-y? Yujin focused all his strength he just needed to make it to the door. He used all his speed to run for it and then desperately cried out for help. "Bodyguard, please help me. There are intruders." No sooner had he finished speaking than the bodyguard kicked Yujin square in the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. He scolded the other guys. "Can't you guys do anything right? He only has items on him. His brother must have given him some good stuff. Strip his equipment first." Yujin couldn't resist them on his own. He was absolutely terrified with no idea what to do as they pinned him down and started stripping his items one by one. Reinforced leather gloves removed, strength decreased by 25, current stat is 4. Thin fabric belt removed, agility decreased by 16, current stat is 4. It seemed like MKC had betrayed him. Those scumbags had sent imposters instead of real bodyguards. Yujin swore to himself that he had to get out of here. They tied Yujin up tightly, then spotted his earrings. Could these earrings be the antidote? They heartlessly ripped the earrings right off his ears. Blood splattered. Dark fairy earrings removed. Mana decreased by 29. Things were looking bad. Yujin had used so many skills already. If they took the earrings, his remaining mana was in serious trouble. It wasn't even 10%. Yujin was running out of strength and couldn't even speak or fight back. Seeing the kid was totally exhausted, they made their final move. Finally, he's quiet. Put him and that monster into the luggage. They checked us when we came in, so they probably won't check again. Yujin gritted his teeth in frustration. Damn it, I should have known the moment they didn't show any love for peace. After being unconscious for a long time, they brought Yujin to a dark warehouse. The guy with the ponytail splashed a whole bucket of cold water on him to wake him up. As soon as he opened his eyes, Yujin was confused all over again. He sat down with a nasty smirk on his face. Finally awake, huh? You were making too much noise while you were sleeping, so I helped you wash your face. Through his appraisal eye, Yujin identified him as Kim Uji. I don't recall this name. Is he from a kidnapping guild? If he's B rank, he must be the leader or vice leader. Kim Uji grabbed Yujin's hair. I feel sorry for this pathetic F-rank disgrace. So I'll get straight to the point that fire-horned beast you're raising, you're holding the master's code, right. Hand it over. He smoked a cigarette and told Yujin to give up any hope of being rescued. Then he demanded the master's code. If Kim Uji wants the code so badly, it means they haven't killed Beast yet. Recalling what they said, it seems Beast was brought here to Yujin. He gritted his teeth, observing how relaxed the man was. You must think you're in total control of this situation, don't you? You know full well what the 5 major guilds and the association will do once they find out about this. Kim Uji just smirked. I don't know, it's only a matter of time. He then held up his phone. See this? It's a text from your bodyguard. He's still guarding the training room. No one knows you've been kidnapped. Even if they find out, how would they ever find this place? There are tons of shipping containers here. By the time they're searching aimlessly, we'll probably have already sailed to Japan. It seems the Japanese are backing them. Kim Uji insisted there was no backing, it was just an auction site. If I hand you over, I'll get a decent amount of money. Plus half your auction value. Yujin now understood. They couldn't cause trouble with him in this country, so they intended to sell him abroad. So that's how they lured the bodyguard and small guilds into cooperating. Yujin was desperate. Would he be rescued in time? Once they know he's been kidnapped, the guilds and the association will hunt them down, even if they have to mobilize customs. But if the ship reaches international waters, things will get complicated. Yujin had to stall for time until then. He couldn't let them succeed. Kim Uji kept smoking blatantly. Why don't you give up and just hand over the master's code? Yujin laughed foolishly. The man was taken aback by this strange attitude, and Yujin began to speak. Do you really think I'm that stupid? Do you truly think I'd hand over the master's code after saying that? Kim Uji looked confused. What? Yujin added. You just admitted that I'm someone of value. Now I know you can't touch me. So why should I be afraid? Aren't you supposed to be smart? Smart my ass! You're just a brainless idiot who can't think things through. It's pathetic, really, that ugly mouth and a brain with nothing inside, even if I handed over the code with that tiny brain of yours. What could you possibly do with it? These taunts successfully provoked him. He furiously flicked his cigarette away and lunged, punching Yujin straight in the stomach. That punch seemed completely uncontrolled. He was losing his mind, warning him, You keep talking like that, you must have no idea what your situation is, huh? Even though he was foaming at the mouth and feeling weak as a twig, Yujin still tried to keep his mouth running. Situation, ha. Of course I know. I'm smarter than the idiot standing in front of me. I've got better skills, too. A B-rank combat hunter like you is nothing. You could bring a truckload of people like you, and they still wouldn't compare to me. The anger continued to mount, and Kim Uji kicked Yujin again. It really hurt. He stomped hard on Yujin's right foot and glared, That's right. You're so precious that we can't destroy you. It's a shame that's all I can do to you. Yujin was trying to provoke him just a little bit more. Why not grab me by the throat or punch my gut again? I need you to beat me until I'm in critical condition and need a hospital or something just to stall for time. Kim Uji dragged Yujin out. Come on, let me introduce you to a new friend. We're raising a beast, too. As soon as he looked up, Yujin felt a monster's tentacle touch his shoulder and his face went pale. Kim Uji looked delighted at Yujin's terrified expression. Finally scared. That's a secret rank dungeon monster. It casts a curse on its prey using the toxins on its tentacles. The pain it creates is pretty brutal, you know. In just 30 minutes, anyone would surrender and beg for mercy. Now let's see how a valuable item like you cries. I'll give you 30 minutes of fun. Yujin broke out in a cold sweat. This move was unpredictable. Elsewhere, Abbas was in turmoil, frantic and rummaging around. Aram couldn't control her emotions. As soon as she burst into Yoo-hyun's room, she grabbed his collar and demanded, "Yoo-hyun, explain, you said the security in the AB Guild was tight. You told me the uncle would be safe, and now look what's happened." Yoo-hyun stammered. "This incident doesn't make sense. It's highly unlikely that a direct subordinate of an S-rank hunter would betray them, especially those who raid S-rank dungeons together. They are like beasts that follow the alpha to survive. You can't underestimate the leaders. That's why we limited the pool of my brother's bodyguards to just his own subordinates." Aram was still fuming, her hand tight on the collar of Yoo-hyun's shirt. "So was your uncle kidnapped?" It seems that Guard wasn't the one originally assigned to the job. Someone inside the MKC must have orchestrated this switch. The MKC Guild is funded by powerful awakeners, not like the hunter-centric structure of the Seseong Guild. With the internal power struggle at MKC, this was definitely the work of one of their backers. I've been investigating my brother's situation. That's why CEO 1 lost control of the guild and is being held back by those investors. I knew this would happen eventually. The two factions are constantly at each other's throats, after all. But I never expected them to team up with one of our sub-guilds. I also didn't think they'd use such low-level hunters. Yoo-hyun is only an F rank. I should have been more cautious with those hunters. Aram's tension was palpable as she snapped, "So what did the MKC guildmaster say?" "Where is your uncle now, Yoo-hyun?" Yoo-hyun looked crushed. "That's what we need to keep searching for, and that's exactly why I called you here. Can you use White Ghost?" Aram let go of him. "No wonder I smelled blood. You want me to read the memories of the guard in this room, don't you?" "Exactly. Find out where they might be keeping him. I've already informed the MKC that the Seseong Guild will handle that guard. I figured this would be more effective than just interrogating them." Yoo-hyun reminded Aram to keep it a secret. Meanwhile, Kim Ujin was waiting, checking his watch and his phone. "That's strange. Shouldn't that bastard have sent the usual report by now? Have we been found out, Tisk? Whatever. As long as I get the master code, even if the rest of the plan fails, I'll still come out on top." Kim Ujin opened the prison door, asking excitedly, "Yoo-hyun, did you have fun?" Seeing Yoo-hyun lying limp on the ground, he smugly assumed the curse had drained him completely. But he was wrong. Yoo-hyun opened his eyes, snapped upright, and shouted, "Now! Let's start peace." Kim Ujin was confused, not understanding what Yoo-hyun meant. A tentacle gently wrapped around his neck. The monster he was supposed to be controlling suddenly lunged at him. What the hell is going on? This is impossible." Yoo-hyun calmly stroked peace. Kim Ujin was stunned. "I thought you only raised a hatchling." Yoo-hyun smirked. "You know we shouldn't reveal everything about our skills, right? Go, Peace, give him a taste of what you can do." Peace's tentacles tightened. Kim Ujin was still reeling. "Damn it! This is nothing like the rumors I've never heard of." "That you could do something like this?" Yoo-hyun smiled brightly. "You didn't know an F rank could do this, did you? Actually, I can do quite a lot." 30 minutes earlier, when he first faced Peace, Yoo-hyun was terrified. "Oh God, that's creepy. What are those tentacles?" "Thanks to my curse resistance skill, I should be fine. But what if it attacks directly?" Yoo-hyun stood up, thanking God that he could still access his inventory. But could he use these 30 minutes to take down a C-rank monster? The monster stared right at Yoo-hyun, then backed away. "It's backing away. Why, it looks like it's afraid of me. I'm just an F rank." The system chimed. Dragon Slayer's Predator effect activated. All skill effects doubled when facing creatures with dragon traits. Is this thanks to the Dragon Slayer title? Since I earned this title after killing a dragon that used curses and toxins, it also affects other creatures that use those same powers. The monster kept retreating. Even without an attack skill, the buff applied to his pacify skill. Yoo-hyun tossed his knife aside. "That's it, good boy, Peace. Want a treat? It's a C-rank magic stone from underground." Just like that, Yoo-hyun successfully tamed it. Back in the present, seeing Kim Ujin's terrified face was deeply satisfying. "I can't give you the details, but I guess I'm just lucky. I just happened to be in the right situation. I've even made a new friend, thanks a lot," he told Peace to bite him. Even though his arm was wrapped up, Kim Ujin bluffed. "These tentacles are useless against me," just as he broke free from the tentacles. Yoo-hyun plunged a knife straight into him from behind. Kim Ujin grabbed Yoo-hyun's hand and screamed, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Even after being shoved aside, Yoo-hyun felt a rush of adrenaline. A tiny knife was still effective against a B-ranker weakened by poison. By now, all Kim Ujin could do was curse Yu Yun as a son of a bitch. More peace. Kim Ujin confidently declared that no matter what it was, nothing but a C-rank monster. One hand is enough to deal with it. Then he grabbed his weapon and lunged at the monster. Ha ha ha. You really think you can do anything with just that, even if bottom feeders like you try? You won't be able to defeat a B rank. You're going to pay for this. Just as he was acting all high and mighty, Kim Ujin's body began to change, engulfed in dark, shadowy energy. What the hell is this? I definitely killed it. That curse level is even lower than mine. Yu Hyun was activating the last gratitude skill, doubling the effects of all pieces, stats, and skills. Dragon Slayer's Predator effect activated, doubling the last gratitude skill effect. Since the skill effect was already doubled, it hurt quite a bit. Yu Hyun figured he was just doing the exact same thing Kim Ujin did to him. Since I've already done this to you, consider this self-defense, Jujin said, narrowing his eyes as he asked the final question. Why would you try to lay a hand on someone who just wants to live in peace? He pressed his hand firmly against the man's face. Now let me ask you one thing. Where are you keeping peace, my little one? Kim Uji was in too much pain to speak, only able to gasp. You son of a Who the hell are you, you damn animal? I'll kill you. You know that I was actually planning to let you go. But now that you're running your mouth like that, you've really killed the mood. I guess you're not going to talk, huh? Since you put it that way, I suppose I have no reason to let you go anymore. Jujin activated his sticky venom skill. Sorry, but my skills, especially my heartfelt appreciation, are not meant to be shared with others. Who told you to kidnap me anyway? Honestly, I didn't think I'd be killing anyone in this life. I really wanted to leave your body intact, but unfortunately we have a young girl who has the ability to read the memories of corpses. Jujin picked up the twisted, mangled iron bar, inspecting it. He felt that the power of Blackie had truly reached its peak, even reaching a point of total control. This ghost-like state of Yujin's was nearing its 7th day. Yujin told himself he'd have to hide this carefully when he returned. Taking the chance, Yujin opened the Blackie system to see if there was anything useful in these skills. Just by touching them, a number of incredible skills appeared before Yujin, leaving him speechless. This invisibility skill is perfect for sneaking around. And that one is Weakling's Intuition. With that, I won't have to worry about accidentally running into high-level hunters anymore. While Yujin was lost in admiration of the list of skills, his legs suddenly throbbed, causing him excruciating pain. Suppressing the agony, he chose the Lizard skill. Full of newfound energy, Jujin headed off to find the beast. The crew members and the kidnappers were huddled together chatting, when suddenly countless invisible threads tightened around their necks, leaving them gasping for air. Jujin calmly carried that mass of energy invisible to the naked eye all the way to the boss's room. Seeing Jujin walk out of the room safely and make it all the way here, the man's jaw dropped. Hearing Yujin ask about the horned fire lion, he sneered and threw the wooden box in his hand straight at the wall behind Yujin with all his might, arrogantly saying, "A lowly F rank. Like you can only escape with pure luck, right? You should have just run away. Why would you recklessly come here, huh? The horned fire lion, it's locked up tight. I've still got the key right here, so what are you going to do?" The boss, Park Sun-gun, with his blood dance axe skill, laughed boisterously, challenging Yujin. "If you're so good, come and take the key from a C-rank hunter like me." Before the guy could even finish his sentence, Yujin's force smacked him right across the face, blood spraying from his mouth. Yujin remained calm and cool, coldly demanding, "Sun-gun, hurry up and hand over the key and tell me everything." Sun-gun, having been slapped onto the floor, hadn't even processed what happened before Yujin laid into him with 10 more blows, leaving him unable to catch his breath. The empty room echoed with the non-stop sounds of physical interaction. Sun-gun was getting pounded into a pulp, unable to say a word. Seeing he was still being stubborn, Yujin picked up his blood dance axe and gently, tenderly bent it into a twisted pile of scrap metal. Sun-gun turned pale with fear. Jujin's casual display of power made him want to wet his pants. He gasped, promising to give Jujin the key, but first he demanded Jujin sign a contract before he handed it over. This was a contract to ensure Yujin wouldn't attack Sun-gun after getting the key. Yujin didn't hesitate and signed it immediately. The energy surrounding Sun-gun was released, and he breathed a sigh of relief. But the moment Jujin turned to leave, As Sun Gun flipped the script, his eyes glaring as he lunged to grab Jujin's throat. "Haha, you're so gullible, what are you going to do now? You can't attack me anymore, right? This contract was created with a very powerful curse. If you attack me, you'll go blind for violating the contract." You should have thought it through a bit more. I guess I expected too much from a newbie entering a dungeon for the first time. Sun Gun was laughing triumphantly, but his smile slid right off his face when he saw Yujin calmly tearing the contract to shreds. Turns out the curse of losing his sight had been nullified by Yujin's curse resistance ability. Yujin sneered, his whole body radiating murderous intent, his eyes glaring as his other hand gently grabbed Sun Gun's hand. And then what had to happen happened. After a good lesson, Yujin walked out of the room, which was now filled with the black, sticky mess of Sun Gun. Passing by, the unconscious crew members Yujin, in his kindness, decided to spare them since they hadn't seen him use his skills. He'd leave the rest for the Abyss team to handle. Thinking of Blackie, Yujin gently opened the door and walked in, looking at the poor beast sprawled out on the floor. Yujin feared that if he left it behind, it would be tortured and sold off as material. Instead of that, Yujin decided to use magic to turn it into a useful diamond stone. Afterward, Yujin found peace in the dungeon. Fearing that bringing him out now would arouse suspicion, Yujin just climbed into the dungeon, hugged peace, and fell sound asleep. A long time later, the Abyss team arrived in a flurry, finding Yujin and Peace curled up together, sleeping soundly. Between the ship's networks, a notification system popped up for Yujin. S-Rank awakened individuals are approaching. Yu-hyun, along with Aram and Sung-han, hurried over, bursting open the prison door. They were frantic and worried, not knowing if Yujin was okay. Yujin was a bit taken aback by such excessive concern, feeling like he might have become someone important. As they were walking, Yujin suddenly collapsed into Yu-hyun. Everyone started panicking again, like they were running around with their heads on fire. Yujin shyly assured them he was totally fine. But before he could finish, Yu-hyun picked him up in a princess carry and walked straight ahead, ignoring the confused stares of everyone around them. Yujin felt embarrassed and wanted to crawl into a hole, but he also felt happy to have a kind younger brother looking after him. Aram tearfully waved the two brothers off, saying she would head back as soon as the crime scene investigation and cleanup were done. In the car, Yujin was a bit worried when he thought about Aram having to use the whitey for that rather difficult mission. Suddenly, Yu-hyun spoke up, cutting off his thoughts, telling the driver to head to the hospital. Yujin was slightly panicked. Even though he kept trying to refuse, Yu-hyun insisted on taking him to the hospital for a general checkup just in case. There's no other way. Otherwise, they'll find out my stats spiked due to my sudden gratitude, Yu-hyun thought, anxious. Later on, Yu-hyun's man-trap strategy actually worked on Yu. Hyun felt a pang of sympathy and immediately had the car turn around abruptly, but her sharp nose still caught a whiff of something, the fishy reptilian scent clinging to Yu-hyun, making his heart. Yu-hyun wanted her to keep her distance. Using his lizard-climbing stealth skill, Yujin lied and said it was just the smell of the sea, and thankfully, Yu-hyun didn't press the issue. And so a long day finally came to an end. The MKC was temporarily stripped of its security duties. It was an obvious outcome. They had already tightened security for visitors and for the new bodyguards being assigned. The guildmaster himself was now checking identities. Yujin still had nightmares every night from the skill. He was still haunted by memories of Blackie before it kicked the bucket. Startled awake from the dream, Yujin was drenched in sweat, his breathing erratic. This was something he used to experience a lot, but he had forgotten it lately. It hadn't been that long since Yujin had turned back time. As he headed to the kitchen to grab some water and calm down, he remembered the time he was stuck. At home for a week doing nothing but drinking. Suddenly people had broken in and taken him to the hospital. Thinking back, he was sure those guys had been sent by Yu-hyun. It doesn't matter. That won't happen again now. Sranks don't die that easily, but what about Myung-woo? Yujin wondered. He walked past Myung-woo's room and noticed he wasn't there. It turned out Myung-woo was busy in the basement forging knives. He had already forged his 9,980th knife, yet he felt utterly helpless and desperate, thinking about how he couldn't do anything when his friend was kidnapped and in danger. The words of the AB organization still stung like a knife in Myung-woo's heart. They had claimed Myung-woo had no ability to help, and they couldn't see any connection between him and Yujin, even though they were longtime best friends. Not only was he useless, he felt like he truly was nobody. Myung-woo bowed his head in despair and sobbed. Early that morning, Yujin had called Hyun, making a huge fuss about Myung-woo running away from home again. Not only that, but before leaving, Myung-woo had even cooked a batch of spare rib soup and left it behind. This made Yujin incredibly panicked and rattled because it meant Myung-woo might never come back. Yujin was worried out of his mind, terrified that something might happen to Myung-woo. Meanwhile, Myung-woo was trudging through the city with his backpack, not knowing where to go. He felt incredibly depressed and gloomy, thinking about how, even though he was Yujin's friend, he couldn't do a thing when Yujin was kidnapped. As he was walking, his shoelace came untied. He bent down to tie it, but just then everything in his backpack has spilled out all over the street. Talk about bad luck. Just as Myung-woo was about to cry, two kids found his SSS Guild entry card that he had dropped on the ground. They were shouting and making a scene, drawing a crowd. The kids looked at Myung-woo with admiration and kept asking him endless questions, causing passersby to stop and stare like ants around a sugar cube. Faced with all this unwanted attention, Myung-woo just wailed and explained that he was only a manager for the SSS Guild dormitory. The kids' attitudes shifted as fast as a toxic ex. Once they found out Myung-woo was just an F-rank hunter, they bluntly called him useless, which felt like a knife to his heart. The kids kept rubbing salt in his wounds with their mean comments. He was already deeply insecure about his inability to progress, even after forging 10,000 knives. Myung-woo even imagined a scenario where Yujin's group, Shua, would abandon him, and he burst into tears right there in the street. The kids were frozen in shock. Seeing how pathetic Myung-woo looked, they decided to drag him home to help him find a good skill. And so the help that Myung-woo received from these kids was torture by water. They pushed him off the second floor, and he was terrified he'd faint. Isn't this just abuse, Myung-woo? They're just kids and they're bullying you? What the hell am I doing? Myung-woo was being dragged around by the kids like a worn-out toy. Lost in his thoughts, he didn't realize they had dragged him onto the main road. When they told him to cross the 8-lane highway, Myung-woo was horrified and immediately protested. I already told you. We're just trying to help you, mister. Skills appear when your life is in danger. I'm sure a good combat skill will manifest if we keep doing things like this, the little girl insisted. Myung-woo thought about it for a moment, and while not entirely convinced, it sounded somewhat logical. Looking at the two determined kids in front of him, he was curious, and asked if they did this every day. When they confirmed it, Myung-woo's heart skipped a beat, and he advised them to stop and focus on their studies. Come on, what's the point of studying? Even if I did that, I still couldn't make a living. Everyone says that. They say being a combat hunter is the best, the boy replied. Myung-woo was taken aback. The priority had shifted from school to becoming a hunter. Nothing has changed at all, Myung-woo thought. Just then a deafening explosion erupted behind him, followed by flashes of blinding light. A dungeon break had occurred. The government immediately urged citizens to evacuate to the nearest shelters. Unlike Myung-woo, who was terrified, the kids were excited, thinking they might awaken their own powers. Myung-woo scrambled after the kids, fearing they would get hurt. The whole street was in chaos, with people rushing everywhere to find cover. Somewhere far off, a giant spider monster with powerful fire attacks and webs sealing off the streets was roaring, preparing to break out. The dungeon break was currently extremely violent and brutal. The entire city was engulfed in a sea of flames and spider webs. Massive spider monsters poured out, attacking the city fiercely. The cause was a portal that had formed in an abandoned shopping mall, which triggered the dungeon break because it wasn't detected in time. A news crew, while reporting, had accidentally captured the footage. A dungeon broke out inside an abandoned shopping mall because it wasn't discovered in time. Some reporters, while covering the news, accidentally caught the whole thing on camera. Myung-woo and the kids are running for their lives, terrified, while a pack of spider monsters chases them down full throttle. The kids are bawling their eyes out as they run. Unable to even cry out loud, Myung-woo glances back and sees the spiders attacking others. He's scared out of his mind and sprinting like he's never run before in his life. He's starting to regret following those two kids to this place. While Myung-woo and the boy are screaming their lungs out, the older girl is surprisingly brave, trying to calm them both down just as a giant spider lunges at them aggressively. She rushes in front of Myung-woo and the boy, who are both pale and gasping for air. She furrows her brows, glares, and gets into a defensive stance. She tries to attack the monster, but as expected, it just flicks its leg and sends her flying into a chicken coop. She shakily tries to stand up amidst the chaos and rubble. Her face is ashen as she stares at her palms, totally oblivious to the spider stalking her from behind. Just before it can land its attack, Myung-woo rushes in. He scoops the sister and the boy up and bolts toward the rooftop. Carrying the girl, Myung-woo is exhausted and nearly out of breath, but he doesn't dare complain. Suddenly, the girl speaks up, pleading, "Myung-woo, just leave me behind. Just leave me here. My life is over anyway. I just awakened and I'm only an F rank." The girl is sobbing uncontrollably. The monster has already caught up to the stairs, making the whole group terrified. As they rush forward, the girl notices Myung-woo is struggling under her weight. She yells at him to drop her. "I'm just F rank. My life is finished anyway. I don't have any combat skills I'm not worth risking your life for, so just leave me and go," she screams. Myung-woo puts her down immediately, but he doesn't run away alone. He whips a razor-sharp knife out of his pocket and points it at the monster. "I'll hold it off, you two kids, just keep going. Don't you ever say things like your life is over or that you should be abandoned. Isn't there still so much you can do? Even if that weren't true, your lives still have value. So get up, go find help, and then come back for me. Support each other while you run. Go," Myung-woo says in a low, choked voice, fighting back tears. Even though they don't want to leave him, the kids obey, promising to return soon as they scramble to find a way out. Myung-woo is terrified. He was just trying to encourage the kids, but he's scared to death himself. His whole body is shaking, and he's so panicked he can barely stand. Even though he knows he's no match for the monster, he remembers what the girl said, so he takes a desperate leap of faith and charges at it. His efforts, however, are negligible. The result is getting slammed by the monster and sent flying right out of the building in an instant. So this is it. It's over. Just as I thought, I'm completely useless. Thanks for everything up until now, Eugene. He watches his life flash before his eyes. As he falls, Myung-woo dreamily thinks of Eugene in his final moments. He catches a glimpse of Eugene appearing beside him and assumes it's just a hallucination, but to his surprise, Eugene has actually shown up lunging like a god to grab Myung-woo's hand just before he hits the ground and dies. Myung-woo is so overwhelmed with emotion that he's saved. His eyes are swimming with tears and he's weeping, unable to speak. Myung-woo actually doesn't remember a thing because his memory was completely wiped right after Eugene saved him. He saw Eugene fighting the monster tooth and nail with a massive tentacle sprouting out of Eugene's back. Myung-woo was so shocked he couldn't even process it, wondering what kind of skill that was. He was so stunned he was stuttering. Eugene, wanting to avoid the hassle, just gave him a swift chop to the back of the neck, knocking him out cold. And just like that, Myung-woo's memory was cut off. Myung-woo wakes up with a start, drenched in sweat, and finds himself in the dormitory. The TV is reporting that the two kids were rescued safely, which makes him breathe a sigh of relief. He feels like this isn't a dream, but he's still incredibly confused, having no idea how he made it back safely. Just then, Eugene walks out of the kitchen, struggling to carry a pot of porridge. Myung-woo is dazed, not sure if he's awake or dreaming. "You're the one who saved me, right? And there was something like a tentacle on your back." Myung-woo asks about it, but Eugene brushes it off, pretending that hunters from the Orbis Guild were the ones who saved them and brought Myung-woo home. Before Myung-woo can finish, Eugene grabs him by the collar and gives him an ear-splitting lecture for running away from home. Seeing how worried Eugene is, berating him like a mother, Myung-woo is deeply moved and starts crying all over his shirt. The weight that had been pressing down on his heart finally vanishes. Eugene even says, "Even if you sharpened 10,000 knives and only get a useless skill, you'd still be my friend, wouldn't you?" Myung-woo asks again, just to be sure. Seeing Myung-woo ask such a stupid question, Eugene is furious, finally realizing he ran away just because he was worried about things like that. He feels like he really wants to give Myung-woo a beating. Even without special skills, you're doing just fine right now. I even heard you were recruited by the equipment maintenance department a few days ago. Anyway, I have a request. I don't think I can eat anyone else's cooking but yours. Even if you succeed, don't leave me behind. Or at least you have to keep coming over and making food for me. I promise I won't be picky and I'll pay you for it, but it's best if you just keep living with me. Hearing every affectionate word from Eugene, Myung-woo is so happy he could cry, promising to always stay by Eugene's side. Myung-woo no longer feels disappointed or anxious because he knows Eugene will always be there for him. Remembering the past, Myung-woo awakened in a cramped, dirty apartment that was also the day he did something foolish. After that night of awakening Myung-woo's life, nothing ever really changed, and stuck with a useless F-rank skill, Myung-woo didn't have many expectations left. He felt like he was never going to be the main character in his own life. With no one by his side and nothing to his name, Myung-woo was just getting by, just breathing until the moment he was ready to log out of this world, totally consumed by despair. That's when Yoo-jin suddenly appeared. At first, Myung-woo was so skeptical, wondering if he was even worthy of any of this. He felt both terrified and grateful, realizing he could never become someone like Yoo-hyun or Yerim. Even if he spent day and night sharpening his knives, he just couldn't picture himself reaching that level. If only he had a cool skill of his own. But the moment he heard that girl demanding they drop him off, Myung-woo realized he'd been wrong. That was when he finally understood that Yoo-jin had never looked down on him, not even from the start. Yoo-jin didn't force Myung-woo into combat. It wasn't his thing. Instead, Yoo-jin just made him believe he could do what he actually loved. And so Myung-woo was finally able to pour his heart and soul into his own strengths. All this time, Yoo-jin had been cheering him on. That's why. Myung-woo wasn't scared anymore. He felt like he could finally see the path ahead of him. It was to become stronger in his own way. And so, after finishing the 10,000th knife, Myung-woo shed tears of joy as he unlocked a new SS-Rank skill, Master of the Golden Forge. Falamana had found its master overnight. The news sent shockwaves through the community, and the one holding this top-tier S-Rank weapon was none other than our girl Yerim. With the item crafted by Myung-woo's own hands, the Frostwood Spear Yerim decided to test it out on the stream in front of her. With just a flick of her hand, a massive surge of ice energy erupted like a storm so powerful it froze the entire area solid. I think it's pretty clear that S-Rank Frost attribute upgrade is working, don't you? This was the 16th domestic S-Rank weapon, and it didn't come from a dungeon. It was crafted by a human. After confirming it was indeed an S-Rank weapon, BISA, the Korean Hunters Association, officially certified Myung-woo as the creator. At the press conference for the new S-Rank gear, the MC introduced him, and after showing the video of Yerim testing of the product, the reporters bombarded him with questions. Myung-woo, sharp in a red suit and looking perfectly groomed, calmly began to explain, leaving everyone stunned. Up above, Yoo-jin and Sung-han were so happy for him. Myung-woo looked so reliable now, and his posture was much healthier and stronger than the first time they met. When Sung-han heard from Yoo-jin that Myung-woo had leveled up to C-rank just from crafting items, his jaw hit the floor. Being able to boost stats to that degree made Myung-woo a total anomaly. Yoo-jin remembered a few hours earlier when Myung-woo got his skill and immediately started grinding, jumping right into making an S-rank weapon. And he didn't stop there. Myung-woo also showed Yoo-jin a spatial bag filled with S-rank and SS-rank materials that appeared alongside his skill. Yoo-jin's eyes almost popped out of his head. How could one skill give so much? Meanwhile, the skill, I got which is L-rank, only has one line of explanation and the keywords are absolute garbage. That hateful system. Are you discriminating against me? Yoo-jin was so jealous and miserable he just curled up and started crying. Seeing this, Myung-woo led Yoo-jin into his golden forge for a tour. Myung-woo waved his hand, and a golden door glowing with brilliant light appeared. Yoo-jin was a bit nervous, but he let Myung-woo take his hand and lead him inside. He felt like a character in a movie or a novel. The moment he stepped inside the massive space and the appearance of the fire elementals left Yoo-jin completely speechless. Myung-woo explained that the fire elemental had helped him craft weapons. The preparations left by the previous owner of this place had allowed Myung-woo to learn the basics of crafting. Yoo-jin was surprised that another hunter with a crafting skill had been here before Myung-woo. Myung-woo pulled out a note left by the previous owner and read it to Yoo-jin. "Welcome, my successor. Perhaps the blessing of embers and molten metal has found you. Occasionally traces of civilization are found in dungeons' remnants. And that look just like this world. But the houses and castles are completely different. That's why people have hypothesized that another civilization exists in another world." Myung-woo didn't know if the previous owner of the forge was from that other world or not. And he thought they had left all of this so that their successor could learn the craft. Myung-woo then softly held out a colorful bouquet of flowers to Yoo-jin, telling him he would always follow Yoo-jin no matter what choice he made. Everything was going exactly according to Yoo-jin's plan. Both Hyan and Myung-woo were on his side. But instead of being happy about it, Yoo-jin felt a sudden sense of tension. He hesitated, scratching his head, and said, "You don't have to do that. You don't need to worry about me. There's something I've been hiding from you." Everything is going exactly according to Yoo-jin's plan. Both Hyan and Myung-woo are on his side, but instead of being happy about it, Yoo-jin feels a bit tense. Hesitantly scratching his head, he says, "You don't have to do that. You don't need to worry about me. There's something I've been hiding from you. We don't really know anything about each other. You've misunderstood who I am. Obviously, we only just met in front of the Hunters Association a short while ago. Suddenly, you're tangled up in a bunch of trouble because you were deceived by a stranger, so you don't need to worry about me anymore. Just do whatever you want, Yu-jin says hesitantly. Truthfully, he doesn't want to let Myung-woo go, but he also feels happy seeing Myung-woo grow. So instead of holding him back, Yu-jin feels it's better to let him go. Yu-jin, you said this skill is very powerful, right? It even helps me create a greater impact than an entire guild, so I don't need to overthink it or stress about the calculations. Just let me give it to you, because if I leave it here, it'll just get burned up. I'm just doing what I want. Like you said, I won't worry about you anymore. And I'm only going to do what I intend to do. Myung-woo hands the bouquet to Yu-jin and softly replies, returning to the press conference. This Bluewood Spear family weapon has now been gifted to Harim because Myung-woo has received so much help from the Haesung Guild, so he decided to donate his first S-rank weapon to them. Yu-jin watches his heart stinging a little, feeling as if he's just torn up a bag of money right in his own hands, but well, at least thanks to Myung-woo's halo. Yu-jin is getting less attention, making his life a lot easier now. Myung-woo really did it. I don't have to worry about him being all alone anymore. Wherever Myung-woo goes now, he will be welcomed. He is the only hunter in the world capable of crafting equipment. All the guilds and hunters will be looking for him soon. So why would he stay here? He should go somewhere better. We might be friends, but we aren't childhood friends or anything. We only just met recently. As Yu-jin is calmly slurping his drink, Sung, Hyun-jae, and Harim on stage suddenly thank not just Myung-woo, but also mention Yu-jin, causing him to choke on his drink. Myung-woo immediately follows up by thanking the Haesung Guild and highlighting Yu-jin's contributions, causing the crowd to whisper and turn their gazes toward Yu-jin, making him want to disappear from embarrassment. So you really don't realize how much you mean to them, do you? Instead of leaving you, they see you as someone who must be protected. A family member more important than anyone else, Sung Hyun-jae thinks with a smile. As for Myung-woo and Harim, mentioning Yu-jin in public is a warning that if anyone dares to touch Yu-jin, they're finished. The next few days are quite quiet. Not only is security tight, but Yu-jin has no reason to go out either. Myung-woo is buried in the forge all day. Feeling bored, Yu-jin intends to take Peace out for a walk when he bumps into Hunter Kang So-young at the elevator. She sees Yu-jin heading toward the training room, and happily suggests they go together. Kang So-young is an A-rank hunter, whom the Jupiter Guildmaster invited back from the UK. Sung Hyun-jae personally invited her due to her extraordinary talent, despite her being only 19. Most importantly, Yu-jin knows for a fact that there will be a future romantic scandal between So-young and Yu-hyun. In other words, So-young will become his sister-in-law. Since he already knows how things turn out, Yu-jin happily steps into the elevator with her. So-young initiates the conversation, saying she felt somewhat relieved to hear that Yu-jin had returned safely from the kidnapping, because Yu-jin is her only hope. Actually, I have an SS-rank skill. It's a monster taming skill called Dragon Rider, So-young reveals to Yu-jin's amazement. So-young reveals too, dragons are the hardest species to tame, so owning a high-level mount compatible with an A-rank hunter like a dragon is basically impossible. But if So-young could control such a mount, it would be easier to conquer dungeons than anyone else. It's so frustrating to have it and not be able to use it. That's why I'm relying on your skill. Dragon lairs occasionally appear in dungeons managed by Jupiter. If we can hatch an egg, I'll finally have a dragon. So excited. Wondering how adorable her newborn dragon will be. So-young's cute, enthusiastic demeanor makes Yu-jin happy too, feeling that his brother's future girlfriend is truly adorable. He's practically smitten, but hearing So-young mention that Yu-jin is the one who will raise her dragon makes him want to pass out, all because of the rumors started by Hyuna. He brings Peace into the training room, but it just keeps grumbling, refusing to train, which worries Yu-jin. So-young watches the intense tug-of-war between Yu-jin and Peace and finds it hilarious. Seeing Yu-jin's disappointment at not being able to go for a walk with the monster, So-young comes up with the idea to call the guildmaster to ask for permission to go up to the rooftop garden of the Jupiter Guild. Despite Yu-jin's fierce protests, the guildmaster on the other end quickly agrees and sends a car to pick Yu-jin up, saying he is always welcome here. We need to prepare thoroughly for this special guest, don't we? The Jupiter Guildmaster says with a smirk. Yu-jin is left speechless the moment he steps onto the rooftop, admiring its vast size and lush greenery. So-young walks beside him, saying she has blocked off all entrances so Yu-jin can use it comfortably. Seeing that Peace seems shy and unused to this place, Yu-jin rushes over to reassure it, saying it can relax because So Young is a good person and this place is safe. As if to prove it, So Young playfully rushes over and gives Yu-jin a peck on the cheek, making Yu-jin want to crawl into a hole and hide. You really can't do that, sister-in-law. Is she acting this way just because she's a foreigner and thinks this is normal? What if this messes up the future of Saesung? Yu-jin is flustered, burying his face in his hands in despair, while Peace, after some advice from So Young, slowly regains his confidence, energetically dancing and romping around the flowers and grass. Even Yu-jin feels embarrassed by how overly extroverted Peace is. Although the sheer force of Peace's movements is trampling all the surrounding plants, So Young doesn't seem to mind much. Because Peace is just too adorable. She hopes that one day he and her little dragon can play together. Seeing Yu-jin curious about what kind of dragon she has, So Young immediately describes it as a third-rank flying dragon. It has sharp-tipped wings, dark-hardened skin, and sharp features on its wings and ears. It radiates majesty but looks incredibly cute. Yu-jin has no idea what part of that is supposed to be cute, feeling like So Young's taste is truly intense. Yu-jin smiles as she happily invites him to come over often to walk and get some fresh air, thinking that it might actually be nice. After all, it's been a long time since he's been able to take a walk like this. Before returning to the past, Yu-jin never had any spare time for things like this. Since Yu-jin can't really go out freely anymore, it would probably be good to come here often. Peace runs over, waddling from afar, holding a bunch of hydrangeas in his mouth as a gift for Yu-jin. He looks so adorable that Yu-jin plays happily with him, praying that the Saesung Guildmaster doesn't show up. But to his surprise, he actually does show up. The Saesung Guildmaster Sung Hyunjae appears suddenly like a ghost carrying a bouquet of purple flowers that somehow clash with his outfit. His fashion sense is just, honestly, it doesn't match at all. Hyunjae is known as the owner of the nation's top guild with influence that reaches even beyond Korea. Even when he left Korea a few years ago, Hyunjae's identity remained a mystery. He consistently ranks #1 on the volatile hunter rankings, which confirms one thing for sure. This is the strongest person in the world, and somehow he is currently pouring tea for Yu-jin, which completely blows Yu-jin's mind. Not only does he thoughtfully offer Yu-jin some pastries, Hyunjae even carefully brought a dragon's wing bone as a gift for Peace, making him wag his tail in delight. Yu-jin is a bit taken aback by how surprisingly domestic Hyunjae is. Even the sweets taste better than Myungwoo's, keeping Yu-jin eating non-stop. After asking about the kidnapping a few days ago, Hyunjae suggests that Yu-jin should help him raise monsters. You have the taming skill, you're the babysitter for S-rank hunters, and now you're protected by the only blacksmith in the world. No one can compare to you now. Because of the MKC Guild's stupid decision, other guilds are going crazy because they barely get a chance to talk to you. No matter who you ask or what you ask for, they will definitely do it. So there's no need to be humble. No matter how selfish you want to be, everyone is ready to cater to you. Want to give it a try? Faced with Hyunjae's proposal, Yu-jin freezes for a few seconds, not knowing how to respond. He wants me to act like a person with power and abuse my position. His way of thinking is so rotten, Yu-jin thinks annoyed. He gives his excuse that he is just a weak S-rank. Afraid it might affect his own safety, Hyunjae mentions they are already discussing using a second high-rank monster to protect him. Didn't you hear anything from your brother? MKC will pay to make up for their negligence in the kidnapping. Just consider them being dealt with by everyone else for that incident. Even if they didn't tell you this information, I already knew your brother would protect you closely. Hyunjae munches on a cookie while revealing this. Yu-jin blanks out for a moment, recalling that it's true Yu-hyun didn't tell him anything. Yu-hyun would just shrug whenever Yu-jin asked about the kidnapping, whether it had been resolved or not. If time hadn't turned back, and Yu-jin only had the taming skill, he probably would have been locked away living in the dark. I really can't understand Yu-hyun's actions lately. Lately, anyway. Right now, you have enough power to create a guild that could stand on par with other top-tier guilds. You already established an organization with that last negotiation. And if you continue to grow your forces, you could even own a monster squad. Hyunjae says, I think owning that many would be illegal, wouldn't it? Yu-jin replies awkwardly. That might be a problem now, but laws only exist where there is a state and a society. Currently, we can manage dungeons and maintain social order, but you also know that the number and difficulty of those dungeons keep increasing. In my opinion, within just 5 years, everything will change drastically. When that time comes, we will crave more power, whether it's mounts or anything else. And in that situation, You won't be like anyone else, a person who can nurture reliable S-rank and A-rank monsters. Yu-hyun knows this too, but he's intentionally hiding it from you. I think you two should have a proper talk. Hyunjae smirks as he says this. Eugene feels like he's acting helpful, but his words are actually laced with contempt as if he's testing him. Meanwhile, Yerim is revealing something to Yu-hyun. Last time, she used Bexul to read the memories of a Bridge Guild member. After reading Eugen's memories, Yerim is suspicious that Eugen seems to be hiding something. When Eugen is about to head back, Sesung says he will send a bodyguard stronger than an A-rank. A.K. Hyunjae is personally driving Eugen home. Not only did he take Eugen all the way back, but Hyunjae also bought flowers and gifts. It really makes Eugen want to crawl into a hole and hide. With a somber look, Eugen softly turned to let him know how much he appreciated everything. But if you do that, Hyojia's side won't gain any advantage. Hyojia suddenly exclaimed, aggressively lunging forward with his strong arms to fasten Eugen's seatbelt. The sudden movement made Eugen's heart skip a beat. Just consider it as me not helping with that kidnapping, Eugen thought. In any case, it was MKC's fault, but thanks to that incident, you visited my guild. Also, we discovered that MKC is completely rotten to the core, so it needs to be eliminated soon. Hyojia smiled while driving, letting Eugen know, which caught Eugen off guard, so MKC would collapse sooner than expected. It seemed like this was the first guild to collapse before he had turned back time. With so many thoughts swirling in his head, Eugen glanced at Hyojia sitting next to him, suddenly realizing he didn't know much about the guy, not even about his past, before he awakened. No one knew either, and because of his fair skin, there were many rumors that he was a foreigner or mixed race. Information about his birthplace parents or even siblings was completely unclear. Should I try using the promising seedling skill? I want to see what the status window of the world's #1 looks like. It should be fine, right? He probably doesn't care if I look. I just need to glance at it when the status window appears. Eugen calculated in his mind, and in a state of nervous anticipation, heart-pounding, he intended to seize the opportunity to take a look, but unexpectedly at that very moment. Hyojia pressed his hand against Eugen's neck, forcing him forward. Eugen turned pale and broke into a cold sweat, feeling that if the guy squeezed just a little tighter, he would definitely be done for. Eugen couldn't fathom how the guy knew. I thought you were acting as my bodyguard, but I never expected you to imitate MKC. Eugen said, his voice tense and guarded. Hyojia finally released his grip on Eugen's neck calmly, saying he didn't do anything, which left Eugen feeling quite wary of this sharp-witted guy. As the car screeched to a halt in front of the guild, Eugen bolted out with all his might like an Olympic sprinter. Peace was waiting at the door to greet him. Hyojia also had two grim-faced people waiting there, looking as if they'd lost a fortune, Sung-han and the department head Simeon. Seeing Hyojia holding the bouquet, Eugen had forgotten Simeon stepped forward. Simeon went into full alert mode, as it was very rare for an S-rank hunter to visit another S-rank hunter's guild due to past events. Eugen was completely baffled at this point. Holding Peace tight in his arms, Eugen sweated bullets, wondering if Hyojia was trying to provoke everyone just for fun. No need to be so hostile. I promise to ensure Eugen's safety, and I also want to give you this, Eugen, Hyojia said gently, pinning a flower onto Simeon's chest along with the bouquet. Then he pulled a very expensive skill item from his pocket. This will increase magic power and equip a B-rank barrier skill for you. I hope you will look after Eugen. And keep it well, all right? I think you dropped your earrings, because ever since the kidnapping, I haven't seen you wear them. Hyojia's comment left Eugen stunned by his excessive attention to detail. This gift is a bit too much. Yes, so it still needs many other things before it can actually take effect. From now on, I hope we can get closer to each other, Hyojia said with a smile brighter than the sun, standing with his hands on his hips and gently saying, welcome home. After placing Hyojia's gift on the table, Eugen immediately let Peace test the barrier skill on himself. Seeing that Peace couldn't get near him, Eugen was satisfied, noting that the skill was indeed effective. Sniffing Peace all over, Eugen realized it smelled a bit and that it had been running around too much today, so he immediately dropped it into a wash basin. While scrubbing soap all over Peace's body, Eugen confided in it about how happy he was. Because today, not only did I regain energy, but I also got mana equipment. Not a bad haul, but I don't want to go back to Jupiter, Eugen said gloomily. Remembering that Simeon had lectured him for daring to go there, he also mentioned that if Eugen and Hyojia were to clash, no one knew what would happen because Eugen had previously been captured after visiting another guild. Hearing this, Eugen was quite shocked. The fact that he had to influence 50 of these dangerous people made him want to grab the system and deal with it. While Yujin was lost in thought, Peace mischievously jumped out of the basin, splashing water everywhere. Yujin panicked and grabbed Peace, but was startled to realize that what he was holding was just a doll identical to Peace. He was baffled. It turned out this was the work of Dokebi, who had suddenly appeared by the window. Dokebi excitedly showed off the doll he had just brought from Japan, which had an appearance modeled after the ancient fire beast with horns identical to Peace's. Not only that, Dokebi had also bought other hot trending goods, making Yujin's head ache. Taking the investigation board from Dokebi, Yujin was quite surprised to see that all the information had been filled in by Dokebi. It was investigated even more thoroughly than Yujin had predicted. But for the data inside the dungeon, Dokebi left it blank, as he didn't know why. Every time I go into a dungeon, I get pushed straight back out. Hey, is it because he possesses the power of a dungeon? So you can't have the power of a dungeon inside another dungeon, huh? Wait, if Yunyun is viewed like a dungeon. Yujin thought for a moment, then suddenly lunged and hugged Dokebi tight, causing him to almost suffocate amidst his frantic struggling. Yujin stared and whispered for him to just hold still for a moment before teleporting. Though Dokebi didn't understand what that meant, he had no choice but to follow his master's orders. In a flash, he carried Yujin. They teleported outside the city. From the dizzying height, Yujin blankly realized that this feeling was exactly like when he stepped through a dungeon gate. After Dokebi teleported a few more times, he gradually understood what that feeling was. Let's see, so it's the same as when I entered the dungeon last time. The status window is changing. The system sent me a message while I was inside the dungeon. The status window is acting up. Did the system actually send me a message back when I was inside the dungeon? Thinking that if he could borrow Dr. Kabi's power to teleport, he might be able to fully communicate with the system, Yujin excitedly asked Dr. Kabi to do it a few more times. But Dr. Kabi was already exhausted, completely wiped out from lugging Yujin around like he was wrestling a sack of potatoes. After being thrown hard onto the ground by the drained Dr. Kabi, Yujin felt a bit bruised, but thankfully his barrier skill protected him. Just as expected, the system sent him a message. Yujin was slightly startled to see that the system had switched to using a status window to communicate, instead of speaking directly like it did inside the dungeon. Now that he thought about it, the messages inside the dungeon, did it mean it couldn't find him until he entered the dungeon? Does that mean it's powerless to do anything in his world? If that's the case, I guess I have no choice but to head back into the dungeon. Yujin decided firmly, then cheerfully said goodbye to Dr. Kabi before leaving. Yujin's haggard appearance reminded the doc of his old, frail landlady. And so the doc was finally given a break. The next day, after receiving a message confirming he could enter the F-rank dungeon exclusively, Yujin covered himself from head to toe in an outfit that made him look like a ninja. Getting ready to storm the dungeon, this was his only chance since he still had the stealth skill. Yujin lurked around like a pro ninja. His movements were as shady as a spy. Hiding behind a potted plant to scope out the situation after activating his stealth skill, Yujin faced his first obstacle, how to slip into the elevator without anyone suspecting him. Luckily, just as the doors opened for a staff member to push a cart of food in, Yujin seized the opportunity and slid right inside. Success! Now I've got the clear goal. Besides, the skill effect has increased fourfold, so I don't have to worry about being detected even by an A-rank hunter. Plus, stealth is a rare skill that only monsters have. And as for high-level monsters, only Dr. B possesses stealth. Thanks to the stealth skill, no one will suspect a thing, he thought, pressing himself into the corner of the elevator with a grin. But then a second catastrophe struck Yujin. It was the body scanner. Yujin gathered all his strength and dashed through it in a flash while someone was standing at the machine, the force of his movement creating a loud clink sound. It was ear-piercing along with a rather obvious burst of aura. After successfully dodging those two disasters, Yujin finally escaped safely. After dashing around until his ears were ringing from exhaustion, he arrived at the entrance of the F-rank dungeon, peeked left and right, and hurriedly opened the door. He intended to go inside to contact the system, and then head back home, as soon as possible. Clutching the divine medicine and the gatestone his younger brother had given him, Yujin was full of determination, promising himself he would finish this, and then take a well-deserved break. Whoosh! In an instant, the scenery around Yujin transformed into a massive, dense jungle like the Amazon. Just as he was panicking about where to go, a pack of monkeys suddenly roared from behind him. They lunged at him, looking quite terrifying. But thanks to his skill, Yujin just chilled and wiped out the entire pack with magic without missing a single one. The beasts lay shredded in a pile around his feet while he just kept strolling forward, without breaking a sweat. Sensing the system's presence, Yujin narrowed his eyes and unleashed a massive top-tier detection spell, but aside from the mountain of carcasses, he couldn't find anything unusual. At this rate, I'll end up clearing the whole dungeon, and F-rank magic stones aren't even worth that much, Yujin thought, feeling annoyed. Suddenly, a beam of light flashed, making him jump. The system appeared accompanied by the text, "It's not my fault," leaving Yujin confused about what that meant. But it didn't stop there. The system also mentioned the Wish Stone and offered a sincere apology for lying about not being able to resurrect the dead, which left Yujin stunned. Frustrated, Yujin clutched his head and cursed the system out. He felt like this whole thing hadn't been normal from the start. He yelled, demanding the system explain itself clearly. "Look closely, you jerk! Even if there are high-level monsters like last time, I can still handle them. Just say whatever you want," Yujin shouted, holding the magic stone in his hand, but no one answered him. The atmosphere grew eerily silent until suddenly, the system abruptly dumped a massive amount of information all at once. "Don't be angry, we know you're frustrated. We want to tell you everything, but we need an object to sacrifice for our next direct conversation. We need to prepare carefully. The more interference there is, the faster we get discovered. If too much information is leaked, it's dangerous. Prepare for a week." Yujin looked up dazed, reading through all the notifications while breaking into a cold sweat. He wondered, could it be? The system wanted him to wait a week so it could prepare, but by then his gratitude would have vanished, and he would be back to being a useless F-ranker. I have to find another way. Dangerous interference. What did it mean by being discovered? Does that mean there's something else out there besides the system and the monsters that appeared after the messages? What did that mean? Does it mean the more they interfere by sending messages, the more dangerous it gets? Lost in his thoughts, the beam of light in front of Yujin suddenly cracked and shattered, sending aura flying everywhere with countless fragments scattering in the air. Yujin tensed his body to avoid being blown away. He vaguely guessed that something much larger was appearing this time. Faint blue rays of light flickered in and out, making it impossible for Yujin to figure out what it was. That surging, overwhelming power erupted in waves. The terrifying light it emitted made Yujin's eyes blur. He felt it was even stronger than Docetta's. A moment after the intense aura subsided, Yujin looked down in surprise to find a round white ball of fluff on the ground that looked truly bizarre. The little mocha-colored puff twitched, flailing its tiny limbs, then scurried over to Yujin. Its adorable furry appearance made Yujin want to melt, though he still hesitated, staying on guard. After all, he still didn't know if it was dangerous or not. Using the nursery system he'd been promised, Yujin checked out the creature. To his disappointment, it was only an F-rank monster. A glitchy system like this should have spawned something better, but all he got was a common monster. He wondered if he should just take care of it, right then and there. Seeing the creature open its mouth to eat a poisonous stone on the ground, Yujin scrambled out of the bushes to stop it just in time, scooping up the soft, adorable fluff ball. He was touched to his core. With a gentle gaze, he looked for a mana crystal to feed it. A spirit monkey lunged at Yujin from behind, but Yujin wiped it out in a split second with a skill. Yujin was slightly startled, but didn't pay it much mind. He wasn't bothered by these weak little monsters. With the puff still in his arms, he marched straight through the forest, which was crawling with monsters lying in wait. A little while later, after a bit of a scramble, Yujin successfully defeated the boss. The mana crystals that dropped during the fight had already been swallowed up by the little mocha fluff ball in his arms, and it was already trying to snack on the massive crystal Yujin was holding. Worried, Yujin quickly broke it into smaller pieces for it. Suddenly, the system popped up praising Yujin for an amazing achievement, successfully clearing an F-rank dungeon. Alone, Yujin broke into a cold sweat, realizing the system had granted him the S-rank title Miracle Rookie, even though he'd only cleared an F-rank dungeon. And to top it off, he even got double the rewards. Talk about sweet. Although Yujin was a bit bummed that the rewards from such a low-level dungeon weren't much, and his sense of accomplishment would soon fade, he quickly pulled himself together, telling himself he'd go elsewhere to find more rewards. Meanwhile, while he wasn't looking, the little beast polished off, ate the entire giant crystal. Yujin's eyes nearly popped out of his head. He didn't know if it was a bird or a pig. Finally, Yujin made it home safely. But perhaps that was just Yujin's own thought, because Peace was currently tearing the whole house apart. When Peace saw Yujin bring the little beast home, he realized what was he supposed to do now. Peace was furious. How could he have forgotten that you shouldn't keep a cat and a bird together? It was about to become Peace's lunch. He really shouldn't have brought it home, but he couldn't just leave the little hatchling all alone, could he? Eugen cried out silently, clutching the beast in his arms while surrounded by the chaos of Peace, turning the house upside down in a fit of rage, feeling utterly defeated as he sat huddled by the door. Suddenly, Yuhyun appeared, making Eugen feel like his blood pressure was about to spike. Yuhyun looked at the little creature in Eugen's arms with deep skepticism, especially after Eugen told him it was a monster. Are you kidding me? Eugen quickly made excuses, claiming he just adopted it because it looked so pitiful. With teary eyes, he begged Yuhyun to help him calm Peace down. Yuhyun looked at his brother's adorable puppy dog face. It was hard to say no. They stepped into the house to face Peace's unceasing rage. Eugen nervously held the beast out to introduce it to Peace, but everything was a total disaster. Yuhyun muttered something about the kidnapping incident before. Eugen and his two beasts were bickering like a chaotic marketplace, and Yuhyun felt his blood boiling. After using all his strength to toss Peace aside, just to get some peace and quiet, Yuhyun darkened his expression and brushed off his hands, feeling like it was finally quiet enough to keep talking to Eugen. Little did he know this action had set Eugen off. Eugen scolded Yuhyun relentlessly for throwing Peace, and even looked like he was about to get physical with him. That made Yuhyun genuinely flinch. Do you even know what Hunter Kang So-young said? She said she treats her mount like a partner and cares for it like her own child. Even the guildmaster of the Jupiter Guild bought gifts for Peace. And look at you. You're his owner, yet you were heartless enough to just throw him away like that. You don't even seem interested in him anymore. Eugen went on a full-blown lecture, leaving Yuhyun completely stunned. Seeing Yuhyun treating Peace like nothing more than a piece of gear, Eugen got even more fired up and shouted right in his face. Have you even done anything for Peace? That left Yuhyun frozen, completely speechless. Yuhyun sadly apologized over and over, but Eugen wasn't having it. He knew his brother had been like this since they were kids. He never cared about others, and he'd even snap large tree branches just while walking down the road. Under Eugen's pressure, Yuhyun begrudgingly hugged Peace, even though he really didn't want to. See, isn't that peaceful? Hug him more and try to get along, Eugen said contentedly. Yuhyun and Peace hugged for about 1 second before separating like a gust of wind. Yeah, that's content and peaceful, all right? Seeing Peace putting on a teary-eyed face like a wet cat thinking Eugen was going to shun him, Eugen had Peace shake hands with the little beast to make up. He watched as Peace licked the little one until it was soaked. Eugen hoped the two of them wouldn't fight anymore. Yuhyun sat there watching his brother play with the beasts, feeling a bit like a third wheel. Eugen gently suggested that Yuhyun join him in a dungeon next week, mentioning he'd bring Peace along so the two could get closer. As soon as Yuhyun heard that, he knew Eugen was trying to hide a lie behind flimsy excuses, but he didn't dare call his brother out, so he just silently agreed. After that, Eugen went into dungeons 2 more times. An E-rank cave dungeon and a D-rank lake dungeon. Every time he entered, the system greeted Eugen, but as for the rewards, the system only gave Eugen a bunch of useless skills. He didn't have a single offensive skill. After Eugen complained until his throat was dry, the system finally gave him something more useful and undetectable skill. It was S-rank, which wasn't exactly earth-shattering, but it wasn't entirely useless either. If only he could use it to double Yuhyun or Yerim's skills, that would be great. But he could only do it for himself, only through direct contact. If I get caught during a fight, I'm definitely toast, Eugen thought while hugging his pillow. As for Peepo, he wasn't sure if the little guy was glitching or what. But Peepo was just so strange. It wasn't just the hunter's taming skills. Even Yuhyun's call didn't work on it, and Eugen couldn't even check its growth status. Eugen guessed it might have been affected by his own keywords, so he'd just have to wait and see. Eugen then used some cute photos of Peace and Peepo to start a social media page, and their cuteness caused his follower count to skyrocket. Suddenly, Dr. B appeared out of nowhere like a ghost. And not only that, but he brought a super rare rank A mana crystal for Peepo to eat, leaving Eugen absolutely shocked as he watched Eugen scold Peepo for eating anything and everything. You shouldn't just eat whatever you find. Dr. Kabi felt a pang of nostalgia for his old landlady. He had been influenced before Eugen even realized it, and like that, things moved forward step by step. The next day, while folding laundry, Eugen watched the news about the taming department project being built next to the Abyss Guild. Eugen figured there would be a lot to do. Eugen had already recruited Myungwoo and Hyan. The baby beasts would be moving in soon, too. My head hurts from all this overthinking. Eugene groaned, flopping down in frustration. He'd have to deal with these things one at a time. First off, I have to meet with the system in the next few days. What a pain, Eugene told himself. He could have just let go of the fact that the system had lied to him by deleting the description of the bond stone, since it didn't end up causing any real harm, but Eugene didn't just find out. Things that happened before he regressed in time, but more importantly, every time there was an issue, the system acted like it wasn't its fault. Looking at how it started talking to me like that, I wonder if something happened during the regression. Next time I enter a dungeon, I'm going to get some clear answers. After screaming in frustration for a bit, Eugene lay still on the sofa with his eyes closed, thinking to himself that he should have been more vigilant before falling into that disastrous, unspeakable ending with Yu Hyun.